Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. So this video is about what if Naruto and Fairy Tail was he dreamed of the opportunity to be free and untamed like the sky. This is part 1. Please leave a like and share with your friends, and please subscribe and let's get in the video. Ujima sighed as he stood on the balcony looking over the mages preparing for the Etherean firing. Despite his best attempts, it couldn't be delayed any longer. Seagrain and Altier had won the vote and the Magic Council had decided to unleash one of its ultimate weapons. Within a few minutes, the shot would be sent. He could only hope that whatever Seagrain had planned would prevent the youngsters from getting killed in the fallout. Several of the other council members tried to approach him, but he gave them the cold shoulder. Perhaps he wasn't being fair. After all, he knew far more than the others and couldn't share the information without endangering the kidnapped little girl. Nevertheless, he would have opposed this even if he didn't know of Jel's treachery. This was a moral wrong, but the others' selfishness pushed them into making this mistake. The only upside would be that this would likely ruin the Magic Council's reputation. He would take glee in seeing their selfishness get turned against them. The short man glanced over to see the traitors whispering about something. He shook his head. No point in spying on them. Things had already been decided. It was up to Naruto's group to put an end to this madness now. Ujima could now only place his trust into them. Turning around, he began to walk away. He didn't want to watch this stupidity. Instead, he began to think about what he would do when the Magic Council was disbanded after this. Perhaps he could fulfill his dream of becoming a ramen chef. It would be a lot better than dealing with this bullshit. Lucy cried out as she clutched her left arm. Life-giving blood rushed between her fingers from the newly opened gash. Searing pain surged through her after Ikaruga's sharp katana easily ripped through her soft skin. Leftover magic from the attack caused the opening to continue to burn on the inside of the wound. Numbly, Lucy stumbled back away from her foe. Ikaruga smiled at the suffering which danced across her prey's features. "Quat, you have absolutely amazing skin, dear. So soft and smooth. You're an unmatched beauty, but such qualities are detrimental in combat. Tough hard skin is needed to minimize damage. You're just asking to be hurt coming to battle like that. I think that you chose the wrong profession. Modeling is much safer than dungeon crawling as a mage. Quat." Blaring, Lucy removed her hand from her wound to pull out a key. "Quat, oh, open the gate of the Taurus. Quat. Quat mu oh Quat." Taurus appeared in a burst of light. He stood defensively between his master and the pink-haired assassin. "Quat, don't worry, Lucy. I'll protect your boobs. Quat. Quat, oh my Quat." Ikaruga smiled at the sight of the celestial spirit. "Quat, you have golden keys. Oh, that's right. I remember hearing about you. I thought the rumors were made up. Quat. Quat, get her, Taurus. Quat," Lucy ordered. "Quat mu oh Quat." Taurus swung his large axe down at the woman. Surprisingly, Ikaruga stopped the attack with her own blade. While the summon struggled to overpower his foe, the assassin easily held back the cowman. "Quat, I know a thing or two about summoning magic. Quat," Ikaruga purred. "Quat, the golden keys are the most powerful, but the spirits are only as strong as their summoner. Quat. Quat mu Quat." Taurus blinked as his weapon was cut in half. His eyes widened further as he realized that Ikaruga cut through him in half. Crying in defeat, the cow disappeared into smoke. "Quat, and you're very weak. Quat. Quat ahhhh Quat." Lucy screamed as another searing cut appeared on her good arm. "Quat, rumors said that Arya was defeated by a rookie celestial mage. Quat," Ikaruga mentioned. She flung the fresh blood from her blade. "Quat, that was you, no? How? You aren't strong enough to hold a candle to him. Quat. Quat, open the gate of cancer. Quat. Quat, stay cool. Quat." A hairdresser man with crab-themed scissors appeared. "Quat, I'll Quat." Answer was silenced when Ikaruga appeared in front of him in order to stab him through the chest. Just like the cow before him, the crab man disappeared. When he was gone, Ikaruga's smiling face appeared right in front of Lucy. Another surge of pain and splash of blood appeared from Lucy's stomach. Once again, the blonde screamed in agony. "Quat, you must have been lucky before. Quat," Ikaruga noted. "Quat, but luck won't work against me. Quat." In desperation, Lucy swung her whip at her enemy. The weapon disintegrated upon making contact with Ikaruga's sword. Cursing, the blonde threw every weapon available to her at the pinkhead. Every weapon met the same end as the whip. Once Lucy ran out of weapons, Ikaruga finally groaned in annoyance. She flashed her blade at Lucy's face. Just like the previous wounds, the katana easy cut through the soft flesh. "Quat, ah." Jell smiled. "Quat, you have arrived. Quat." Wendy's eyes shined with joy. "Quat sensei. Quat." Naruto frowned as he stepped into the throne room. His crimson eyes moved from the arrogant man to the girl in the cage. He nodded to her in support before addressing her kidnapper. "Quat, did you expect me to run? Quat." "Quat, no. Quat." Jell tapped his fingers across the chessboard in front of him. "Quat, but I thought that you might take more time. Quat." Naruto eyed the strange pieces on the chessboard. Some of them were knocked over while others were still standing. While he could possibly try to decipher the meaning of the pieces, the blonde decided that it would be wasted effort. Quat, we're in a bomb target. I'd prefer for my friends and I not to die here. Quat. Quat, fair point. Quat. Jello stood. Quat, unfortunately, I now need to buy some more time. Quat. With a snap of his fingers, Jello activated runes along the cage holding Wendy. The symbols began to smoke and sizzle like explosive. Naruto tilted his head upon seeing that. Quat, oh. So you aren't that stupid. Quat. Jello chuckled. Quat, indeed. The runes lock onto our magical signals. If you get too close to the cage, it goes off. If my magic filters too much, then it also goes off. Quat. Quat, I see. Quat. Naruto stood in a relaxed stance. Quat, so I can't do anything to free her. Quat. Quat, nope. You just have to stay and take your beating. Quat. Jello disappeared in a burst of magic. He reappeared right in front of Naruto to punch the other man across the face. Naruto went flying back until he landed onto the hard floor. Quat, this is for embarrassing me with those goddamn condescending looks, asshole. You should have listened to Simon. Quat. Naruto kept his face neutral. Out of the corner of his eyes, he saw Wendy squirm. Just like he thought. She would free herself soon enough. He just needed to keep Jello distracted until she was out of the range of the bombs. Until then, he would just have to take the beating. Luckily, he was far more familiar with pain than any human should be. Ikaruga stared down at Lucy's fallen form. Said girl rolled around in agony while clutching at her ruined face. The pool of blood gathering below the blood steadily grew larger as the life of Lucy leaked out of her open wounds. Even the assassin felt pity at this point. It was like watching an herbivore with its limbs cut off. Pity won out as Ikaruga raised her blade to finish off the pathetic creature before her. Before she could finish Lucy off, a golden energy in the form of a lion slammed into her, sending her flying back. A suit-wearing Loke appeared beside the crying Lucy. He knelt down to gently touch her shoulder. Quat, Lucy. Quat. Quat, ugh. Quat. Lucy removed her hands to show the massive cut running down the left side of her face. The wound went right over her eye, turning the tissue into mush. Quat, Loki, I didn't call you. Quat. Quat, you didn't need to. I heard your cries of pain. Quat. Loke firmly squeezed her hand. Quat, don't worry. We'll fix this. Quat. Quat, I'm not worried about that. Quat. Lucy groaned. Quat, help me up. Quat. Quat, you shouldn't move. Quat. Quat, I won't let you fight alone. Quat. Lucy made the Leo summoning help her up. With her remaining eye, she spied a recovering Ikaruga down the hall. Quat, I can handle pain. Quat. Quat, yes, I know you're strong, but Quat. Loke frowned up seeing her bloody form. Quat, I can feel your magic fading. Quat. Quat, we don't have time to close my wounds. Quat. Lucy clenched her fists. Quat, she's coming. Quat. Loke immediately reacted. He gathered golden magic around his hands. Ikaruga appeared in a blur around them. The Lion Man managed to block most of the attacks, but a few of the sword swipes made their way to Lucy's legs. Even as the new agonizing wounds released blood onto the ground, Lucy refused to exclaim in pain or fall. Instead, she forced her good eye to watch Ikaruga's movements. Eventually, Loke managed to keep up with the assassin and push her back. Once he had enough room between him and his enemy, Leo looked back to his owner. Quat, I'm sorry. I couldn't protect you properly. I still haven't recovered fully. Quat. Quat, no, it's fine. Quat. Lucy reached down to grab a piece of a broken knife. Her eye remained locked on Ikaruga's only obvious weakness. Quat, you did enough. I know how to beat her now. Get ready. We have only one shot at this. Quat. Thisum roared with laughter as he swung Samehada down at Fu. Said mint-haired girl turned to avoid getting obliterated by the tearing sword. As the scaled blade slammed into the floor, Fu lifted her leg up to ready herself for a kick. Ignoring the tiny bits of rubble which flew up when the strange weapon made contact with the floor, the Jinchuriki flung herself at the larger man. Before she could land a blow, Kisum stepped to the side and swung Samehada again. Wings burst from Fu's back once more. Fu positioned herself just out of range of the sword. Planning to attack as soon as the sword passed her, she began to spin. When the sword was positioned right next to her, Fu cried out in surprise when her wings gave out on her. She landed in a crouch, feeling like the chakra had been drained from her back. Smirking, Kisum continued his swing to do a full spin. His sword easily tore through the wall next to them as he moved. To avoid getting torn to pieces by the swing which followed, Fu used her flexibility to position herself at an unnatural angle. When Samehada passed her once more, Fu flipped back to gain some distance from her foe. Kisum rushed to follow her, but stumbled a bit from a strange force on his foot. A quick glance down revealed several bugs crawling over his leg. Moving Samehada next to his feet, Kisum absorbed the chakra from the insects before they could detonate. Twitching, the bugs collapsed to the ground dead. What shit. Quat, Fu cursed. Kisum was an extremely dangerous enemy for her. Absorbing chakra like that would make most of her attacks useless. Add in that Kisum was a tank and she was in serious trouble. Quat, you got some nice moves. Quat, Kisum admitted. Quat not a lot of people can dodge Zamahata like that. Quat. Quat it's an impressive weapon. Quat. Fu felt beads of sweat roll down her brow. Quat maybe I'll take it when I kill you. Quat. Quat might be a bit heavy for you, girly. Quat. Kissam chuckled. Quat but I'd like to see you try. Want to hold her. Quat. Quat I get the feeling that would be a bad idea. Quat. Fun noted. Quat then she'll just have to remain in my hands. Quat. Kissam rushed forward once again. Fu went back to the strenuous task of dodging the powerhouse Akatsuki member. As she moved, she made sure to keep her bugs close to her. No point in wasting them. She had to be smart about this. There were plenty of allies in the tower. She could just burn time and hope that backup arrived, but she was worried about leaving Lucy alone with deadly enemies. She would have to try to end this as quickly as possible. It was time to break out a rarely used magic. She could only hope that luck was on her side today. Not only for Jackpot, but also for the friends within the tower which might just be in over their head with these enemies. Ikaruga raised an eyebrow upon seeing Lucy step in front of Loke. The bleeding girl shakily held onto a sharp piece of metal fractured from her old weapons. She looked ready to collapse but stood defiantly. With his master guarding her from the assassin, he crossed his arms in order to charge his magic. A golden glow flowed over the area, forcing Ikaruga to narrow her eyes to see. This didn't make any sense. Lucy stood in the way of the attack. They had to know that she would just use the Celestial Spirit's mage as a shield. There was no way for the bleeding girl to keep up with her. Perhaps they had gone mad in this hopeless situation. Ikaruga shook her head. No. There had to be some kind of plan. It wouldn't matter if the girl died. One more cut would be the girl's end. Without Lucy, Leo would disappear as well. No plan would stop that. Ikaruga readied her sword. She would aim for the neck and end this. Without delay, she rushed forward while making sure that Lucy was constantly between her and the spirit. Lucy smiled upon seeing this. In order to avoid getting hit by Loke's attack, the assassin had to follow a single line towards them. Normally, she'd never be able to keep track of the other woman, but now she knew the path which Ikaruga would take. Sighing, Lucy readied herself. As the sound of her foe's platform sandals drew closer, Lucy shouted out. What now? Quat. Loke obeyed her command. He surged his energy as much as he could. The hallway was flooded with blinding light. Ikaruga was forced to close her eyes to avoid losing her vision. Having her back turned to the light, Lucy was able to just barely see what was happening. With her body completely exhausted, she couldn't throw herself forward to attack, so she allowed herself to collapse. As she fell, she weakly swiped her knife to the other woman. While too broken to properly wound the assassin, Lucy managed to barely hit her target. Instead of slicing flesh, the shard of steel cut through the strap securing her foot to her sandal. Gasping, Ikaruga stumbled as she lost her unorthodox footwear. Loke gave a war cry as he unleashed the energy which he had been building up. Quat Regulus Impact. Quat. Loke's attack made direct contact with his foe. The lion-shaped energy burst flew over the floored Lucy to ram right into the assassin. Without proper footing, Ikaruga couldn't do any to dodge the attack. Consumed by the attack, the pincat was sent flying back through dozens of walls. After several moments of being covered by the burning magic, Ikaruga was dropped to the group in a smoking heap. She did not get up. Quat hehehe quat, Lucy weakly chuckled. Quat first lesson I ever learned about fighting. Wearing weird shoes like that never pays off. If something goes wrong, you get a face full of dirt or magical attacks in this case. Quat. Ara blinked as Gray suddenly stopped his march. Quat what's wrong Quat? Quat I don't know Quat. Gray looked around in concern. Quat I just feel off. Quat. Quat off Quat, Juvia gasped from her position in Gray's arms. Quat does Gray-sama feel sick Quat? Quat no. It's not me Quat, Gray scowled. Quat I can't explain it. Something's wrong. Like something bad has happened or is about to happen. I don't know. Quat. Quat well, we are in a tower which is about to be hit by a magical bomb big enough to destroy us all Quat, Gara reasoned. Quat I guess Quat, Gray shook his head. Quat that makes sense, but it doesn't feel right. Quat. Quat does Gray-sama want to look around Quat, Juvia questioned. Gray glanced to the injured woman in his arms. Quat no. There's no point. We'd just be roaming around, looking for things that might not be real. I can't think of anything that we can do right now. Let's just keep going. I'm sure that I'm just imagining it or something. Quat. Itachi quickly learned that he hated Natsu Dragneel. The strange pink-haired man was more of a persistent animal than a human being. Everything he threw at the dragon slayer seemed to bounce off with no effect. The Uchiha survivor was beginning to wonder if this foe was specifically designed to annoy him. He couldn't even run away properly without Natsu relentlessly chasing them down. Quat get back here coward Quat, Natsu roared as he kept himself right behind his fleeing foe. Itachi was breathing hard. His chest burned. Years of fighting illness began to catch up with him. If he kept up this pace, then he would fall over and die from exertion. Grunting, he stopped his run. Saving chakra proved to be useless. If he wanted to take down the Dragon Slayer, then he needed to go all out. This would burn through a lot of his chakra, but it was the only way to even safely get to Uzumaki without Natsu running interference. Quat ha. Finally grew some balls quat, Natsu grinned. Quat stay behind me, happy. I'll ha quat. Natsu's face twisted in confusion at Itachi's eyes, shifted from the 3-tomo version of his Sharingan to a pinwheel. With the Manjikam activated, the Akatsuki shinobi whispered his next move, quat Tsukiyomi. Quat. The side of the Tower of Heaven disappeared around Itachi. Instead, he found himself in a fiery wasteland filled with lava constantly flowing down from active volcanoes. Dark smoke lifted up from all directions to cover the sky in dark ash. Oddly enough, Natsu didn't appear in his own mindscape. With a shake of his head, Itachi tried to impose his will upon his enemy's mind. To his horror, nothing happened to change the land of lava and hardened stone. Quat what quat, Itachi paused as he heard a deep growl behind him. Turning, he caught the sight of a massive winged lizard with dark red scales. Pointed horns and facial scars only hid the monster's dangerous aura. The beast smiled down at him with sharpened teeth. Raw power seemed to radiate off the beast in waves to hint that this creature existed at a higher existence than humans. Quat a dragon quat. Big Neil stared down at the man. Quat what are you doing in my son's mind, descendant of Kagaya quat. Loke smiled down at his summoner. Quat you did it. Quat. Lucy was silent. Quat Lucy quat, Loke kneeled down to examine the girl. He gently turned her over onto her back. Quat Lucy. Lucy quat. Quat I quat, Lucy's eyes were dim. Quat I'm cold quat. Quat no quat, Loke checked Lucy's pulse to find a weakened heartbeat. Quat you can't do this. I won't lose another owner. You have to hold on. Quat. Lucy watched as Loke's body began to dissolve. She couldn't keep up the flow of magic to her summon anymore. Quat I sorry quat. Quat no. Don't apologize. Just focus on my voice. Keep me here. I won't be able to fight in this world on my own yet. Please, Lucy. Please quat. Loke disappeared before her eyes. She was left in silence in the abandoned hallway. Fatigue raked across her mind. Her breathing slowed. For the briefest of moments, she thought that she saw her mother standing above her while whispering words of encouragement. As she closed her eyes, she thought about how much of a shame it was that there was so much in the world that she would never get to experience. With one final breath, her body stilled. Within the Tower of Heaven, Lucy Hertfilia died bloody and alone. But not on a mission, Naruto was restricted to the inside of Danzo's base. After all, he was a weapon to them. When the battle was finished, the fighter would sheath the sword. Naruto was no exception. Jinchuriki were weapons of mass destruction that needed to be contained. So, during his free time, Naruto was always restricted to being inside and was always under constant watch. As such, he was never allowed to see the sky unless he was on a mission. That was why the Jinchuriki was always ready to be sent of missions. The only time the 10-year-old truly felt alive was when he was on missions that usually involved killing, because that was the only time that he felt even a little free. Thus, he had forced himself to harden his heart on the concept of taking another human life. He took no joy in the act, but it was necessary for his life, and it was the only time he could even get a glimpse at freedom. Now, though, he had received an offer that would give him the chance of freedom that he always wanted. That woman Azura was offering Naruto the chance to escape the shackles of this world and move on to another one. It sounded too good to be true, perhaps it was. He sure as hell hoped that this offer didn't involve him dying. What do you think, Kurama? Naruto questioned mentally as he meditated in his cell-like room. Quat I really don't know what to think, kid. Quat, Kurama's voice boomed in his head. Quat I always thought that Earthland was just a story that the old man told to us. Quat. The sage of the six paths. What did he say? Naruto questioned. Truthfully, I don't remember much. I just remember him mentioning something about the true origins or something like that. Kurama stated. There is something I remember, though. He didn't go into much detail, but he noted that we all need to avoid someone named Zeref. The old man said that Zeref's power was beyond our comprehension. Beyond your comprehension. But didn't you say that you came from the Jbai, a being that has the combined strength of all the Bijk? Naruto questioned. Yes, but I tend to believe the old man. Kurama retorted. Of course, he also rambled on about Zeref being the Mage of Death and to beware the Rabbit Queen, so he might have been senile. Mage of Death and the Rabbit Queen, Naruto repeated. Perhaps he was, but who know what might be in another world if it exists. You doubt the woman? I doubt the logic of it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I still believe her for some reason. Naruto explained. I sense no ill intent from her if that helps. Kurama put in his input. What do you think I should do then? Naruto questioned. After all, this affects you just as much as it does me. I'm stuck with you either way. But I have no love for your stupid village. Kurama snorted. So you would take the offer? What if it isn't true? Like I said, I didn't sense it as being a lie, and I sensed incredible power from her. She's definitely not a normal human. Kurama explained. I see. Naruto frowned. Then the only thing left to decide what I want. But you already know that. But I do. Then the choice is easy. What? Danzo-sama, you called for me? Quat. Naruto knelt before his master. Quat. Yes, I need you to prep for your next mission. Quat. Danzo stated. Quat. There has been trouble with the border in Iowa. I need you to investigate. Quat. Quat. I shall prepare at once. Quat. Naruto stated respectfully. Quat. Good. Quat. Danzo nodded. Quat. Am I dismissed, sir? Quat. Naruto questioned from his position. He had received his orders, yet his master did not give him permission to leave yet. Quat. No, not yet. Quat. Danzo answered. Quat. Kitsune, there's something we need to discuss. Quat. For the briefest of moments, Naruto thought that Danzo knew about his plan. This thought was quickly dismissed, though. The only way to do that was to read his mind, and Naruto knew that Kurama would protect his mind and inform him if anyone tried to intrude. So, the boy kept his cool and stated, Quat. Yes, Danzo-sama. Quat. Quat. Peace is a fool's dream. Quat. Danzo noted. Quat. It is merely the time to prepare for the next war, and time for people to soften while thinking that they are safe. That is why Na is necessary. We are the roots that support the village in the dark. Without us, the soft leaves will all fall and die. Quat. Quat. I know, Danzo-sama. Quat. Kitsune stated dutifully. In truth, he didn't really care what the scared man was saying. Quat. We need to prepare for the next war. We need to be ready for anything. That is why you need to learn how to use the Kikbi's chakra. Quat. Danzo stated. Quat. As soon as you return, we will begin your training in using its chakra. And when you master it, we will be able to obliterate all of our enemies. Quat. Not likely. Ha 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 ha. Kurama laughed in his head. Quat. Yes, Danzo-sama. Quat. Naruto stated. Quat. Good. You are dismissed, Kitsune. I will see you when you get back. Quat. Danzo ordered expectantly. No, you won't. Kurama took a great deal of glee in mocking the Warhawk. Silently, Naruto moved away from his soon-to-be ex-leader. It was time. This was the chance he was waiting for. Once he was on the mission, he would replace himself with a Kage Bunshin and disappear without anyone noticing. The Warhawk was right about one thing, though. You can start training with my chakra if you want, Kurama mentioned. It might help you later. I refuse to become reliant on your power. Naruto spoke to his friend and partner. I am already your jailer. I don't think it's fair to use your power for nothing in return. Besides, didn't you mention that your chakra would hurt me as long as I hold darkness in my heart? So you listened, eh? It's true, even if I lend you my chakra willingly and without trying to take you over, my chakra would still hurt you because of the anger and hatred you hide in your heart. It shouldn't affect you too much with a small bit of chakra, though. Kurama sighed. Knowing that he couldn't hide his inner feelings from his closest friend, Naruto nodded solemnly. And as long as I don't deal with my darkness, I won't be able to use your chakra properly. Thus, it's pointless to try. So, will you try to fight your dark self? No. Not now at least. I have enough to worry about right now. Thinking about defeating myself will become counterproductive. Perhaps when I'm older and stronger, I'll think about it. Like the member planned, escape was easy. One quick clone and substitution was all it took. Naruto knew it wouldn't last forever, though. Soon, the clone would run out of chakra and disappear. After that happened, his squad members would either immediately come looking for him or report to Danzo. Neither of those things were ideal, but by then, he should be gone, so it was fine. Quat. You came. Quat. Azura clapped her hands together in glee. Quat. I did. Quat. Naruto bowed before the woman. Quat. Please, take me to Earthland. Please, give me the power you spoke of. Quat. Quat. Oh, you. Quat. Azura giggled. Quat. Stand, my chosen. I don't need to bow before me. Quat. Quat. Forgive me, Azura-sama. Quat. Naruto stood. The woman giggled again. Quat. No need to be so formal. Call me Azura-chan. Quat. Quat. Okay, Azura-chan. Quat. Naruto nodded. Quat. Excellent. Quat. Azura gave him a beautiful smile. Quat. Now come. It's time to go. Quat. The stunning woman led the young shinobi into the store behind her. Except, it wasn't a store. The building was completely empty, except for the strange symbols and seals on the floor, walls, and ceiling. Quat. What is this? Quat. Naruto questioned and looked around the room. Quat. There is a bit of a complication while transporting you to a new world. Quat. Azura explained as she stepped into the center of the room. Quat. It has to do with what you contain. Quat. Quat. Who I contain. His name is Kurama. Quat. Naruto argued. Quat. Of course. Quat. She smiled. Quat. But what does he have to do with anything? Quat. Naruto questioned. Quat. He is one of 9. Quat. Azura began. Quat. 9 pieces of 10 that are connected. They cannot be separated by world barriers. If they are, the barrier will begin to degrade. Thus, they must all remain on one side of the barrier in order to prevent the worlds from collapsing into each other. Quad. What, that sounds complicated. Quad. Naruto was lost. What it is. Quad. Azura chuckled. Quad, I'll just say this. If the 9 big are separated in different worlds, bad things will happen. As such, I will need to transfer all of you to Earthland. Luckily, all I need is one piece to move all of you. Quad. What, wait, all the Jinchuriki will be sent to the new world. Quad. Naruto's eyes widened. That could end badly. Kurama mentioned from the boy's mind. If this new world may be thrown into chaos under the new power of the Jinchuriki. What, yes, all of you must be moved. Quad. Azura nodded. Quad, but it's not like most of you don't desire the possibility for a new start. Quad. What, true, but Quad. What, besides, I have discussed it with my remaining siblings. Quad. Azura smiled. Quad, they agreed that this may be for the best. I may very well prevent the resurrection of her. Quad. What, excuse me. Quad. Naruto questioned. What, never mind. Quad. Azura shook her head. Quad, just talking to myself. Quad. What, is there no way for just me to go? Quad. Naruto questioned. What, no. Kurama cannot be removed from you without killing you, and the barrier cannot hold if only you are sent. Quad. Azura sighed. Quad, this is the only way. This the risk and price you must take to be free. Quad. Quad, this world will be thrown into chaos. Quad. Naruto mentioned. Quad, the threat of the Jinchuriki running wild is one of the reasons that the villages have tried to avoid war. If they all disappear, everyone will panic and accuse each other of stealing them. Another great shinobi war may very well start. Quad. Quad, that is very likely. Quad. Azura shrugged. Quad, like I said, though, that is the price for freedom. Quad. Quad, okay. Quad. Naruto sighed. Quad, if this is how it must be, then so be it. Let's do this. Quad. Quad, good. Step into that circle. Quad. Azura pointed to the circle that had the kanji for 9 in it. Kid, are you sure about this? Kurama questioned. This is a very selfish choice. You are forsaking an entire planet for your own needs. Can you live with that? Yes. I do not care for this world or the people in it. Naruto stated mentally. I have already made my choice. I will do anything for my freedom. Besides, war was going to happen anyway. This may very well limit the casualties overall. That's a slippery slope argument. Kurama noted. It may very well end terribly for all that's involved. Perhaps I would care more if I was ever taught to love and to care for others. Naruto stepped into the circle. But that's not who I am. I was raised to be a weapon and I refuse to be that anymore. From now on, I am not a shinobi, I am what Azura calls me. I am a god slayer. I understand. With that, Kurama was silent. What, are you ready? Quad. Azura questioned. What, yes. Quad. Naruto nodded. What, very well. Quad. Azura then began to perform the ceremony. Quad, a few more things you should know. This new world uses magic. Luckily, all shinobi can use magic if trained to do so. It's a genetic trait. I shall place you in a location where you can be trained properly in the art of the sky. So don't move too far away until you find your new teacher. Quad. Quad, I understand. Quad. Quad, also as a god slayer, you will be tasked with slaying those who call themselves gods. Quad. Azura noted. Quad, I cannot tell you who your enemy is, but you will find out soon enough. Your enemy shall make himself known to you. Quad. Quad, okay. Quad. Naruto took a deep breath. Quad, and finally, I will not be able to contact you for a long time, so Quad. Azura smiled. Quad, stay safe, my chosen. Quad. Quad, I will. Quad. Naruto nodded as he was consumed in a blast of white light. That day, 9 people disappeared without a trace. 9 very important weapons vanished from their homes. Every village that contained those weapons all went into a panic as their Jinchuriki faded away in a blur of light. Panic spread throughout the world as the most powerful being in the world were taken away. No one knew what happened, but everyone began to point fingers at each other. Angry words and fearful accusations were thrown around. Tensions grew to a boiling point. People began to attack each other. Thus, the 4th Great Shinobi War began. Quad, mother. Quad. Gaara grabbed his head and groaned as he appeared in the middle of the desert. Quad. Quad. Something was wrong. One moment, the red-haired and blue-green eyes with dark rings around them was sitting on the roof of his house. It was most definitely not a home. The next moment, he was in the middle of the desert. For a second, the boy with a red scar on his forehead thought he fell asleep and his mother took over. That wasn't it, though. It couldn't be. He didn't wake up in a crater surrounded by his father's golden sand. Not only that, the air was different. It was more rich. He could taste it. There was something new, something powerful. Quad. Gaara glared around him. He knew the deserts around his village like the back of his hand. This was most certainly not the deserts around his village. Looking around at the vast empty spaces of nothingness, Gaara realized that he was alone. No, he was always alone emotionally and mentally, but now he was physically alone. Oh well, not like there was a big difference. Still, with no one around, there was no one to kill. He couldn't prove his own existence without any people to kill. No, there are people. Gaara looked and saw what appeared to be a caravan traveling through the desert. Go to them. Kill them. Prove that your existence is greater than theirs. The voice of Mother spoke to Gaara. Quat, yes Quat. A bloodthirsty grin appeared on Gaara's face as the sand moved around them. Quat, I will kill them all. Quat. Vegito Nai was at a complete loss. Merely a few seconds ago, she was sleeping peacefully in her bed. Now, she stood in front of a hot spring. The warm inviting water was calling to her. Is this a dream? The woman with blonde hair pulled into a braid questioned. She thought about contacting her bitch but decided against it. The cat hated water anyway, so she would say anything to avoid having her container in it. The fair-skinned woman looked around and noticed that the woman in the springs were looking at her oddly. Yujito could imagine why. She was the only one wearing clothes and they were pajamas to top it off. Pinching herself, Yujito realized that this wasn't a dream. She was just teleported. Was this because of the enemy? But why would an enemy would teleport her here? Because of her demon, Yujito always had a good sense of potential danger. There was none around here. She was completely safe for now. So what happened? What oi? Brat. Are you just going to stand there or are you going to jump in? Do it or I'll make you spin. Quat. An old woman with her gray hair pulled up into a large bun yelled as she twirled her fingers. Quat. Yujito blinked. Nodding, she began to remove her clothes. For some odd reason, she felt the need to obey the strange old woman. Quat. Okay Quat. Quat, what the hell happened? Quat, Yugura questioned as he stood on the edge of a cliff overlooking the ocean. He didn't remember anything. Everything that occurred in the last couple of years were a complete blur. No, he remembered a man in a mask with a single red eye. The Sharingan had controlled him. He committed atrocities and started a civil war because of that man. Quat, damn the Uchiha Quat. The man with gray hair and pink eyes knew that he would have to deal with that later, though. First, he had to figure out where he was. He did not recognize any of the landmarks around him. The man who looked more like a boy needed to find a map or something. Quat, hey, little boy. Be careful while standing by the cliff. You might fall off. Quat. Quat, who are you calling a little boy? I am a fully grown man. I have armpit hair and everything. Quat, Yugura ranted while scratching the scar below his right eye. Quat, yeah, whatever you say, kid. Quat, the woman that was talking to him had short black hair, was wearing a large trench coat that hid most of her body, and was extremely tall. Quat, I'd believe it when I see it. How old are you really? 10. Quat. Quat, you picking a fight, girl? Quat, Yugura growled as the water below the cliff began to churn and swish around. Quat, my eye. Quat, the woman grinned. The earth below them began to bleed black and began to rumble. Quat, only if you can give me a good time, though, Gaki. Quat. Quat, all hail the Rabbit Queen. All hail the Rabbit Queen. All hail the Rabbit Queen. Quat. Quat, yo, what's going on? Quat, the aging man with red hair pulled back into a ponytail asked. Quat, we're worshipping the mighty Rabbit Queen. Quat, one of weirdos wearing golden robes shouted. Quat, oh. And who's the Rabbit Queen? Quat, Rashi questioned and stroked his beard. Quat, our god. Quat. Quat, your god? Quat, Rashi looked around at the various people bound before the altar at the center of the church. Quat, would you be willing to tell me more? Quat. Quat, of course. We always welcome new members to the church. Quat, the girl stood and smiled at the man. She had extremely cute and innocent features. Wow. Rashi grinned. Quat, come. Quat, the girl gestured for him to follow her. She led into the courtyard. Quat, this is the Church of the Rabbit Queen. It has existed for hundreds of years. We promote the principles of respecting your parents and following the rules above all else. That's why the Magic Council has always been kind to us. Quat. Quat, Magic Council? Quat, Rashi mumbled under his breath. Quat, yes. Quat, the girl with mousy brown hair smiled. Quat, they even ask us to train some of their specialized mage troops too. All members of the church can use magic. None of us, though, are as strong as the High Priestess. She's a god slayer, after all. Quat. Quat, god slayer? Quat, Rashi blinked. Quat, those exist? Quat. Quat, of course. What other kind of person can communicate with gods? Quat, the girl nodded. Quat, in fact, the High Priestess says that as long as we obey her and the commands of the church, we will all prosper when the Rabbit Queen returns. Quat. Steam collated around the armored fist as Han punched the last man standing before him. The force of the blow caused the thug to be sent through the wall of the bar and into the road that led to the building. Han had found this building shortly after teleporting. It was rather run down and broken, but it had people in it. Each person had the same odd tattoo, though. It confused Han. Was the symbol like the one on his headband? He didn't recognize the symbol, though. What village were they from? A giant of a man who was covered completely in red and black armor decided to find out. He walked into the building and was immediately attacked. The attackers were as weak as flies. One blow, and they were out. Then, the rest of the flies attacked. The masked hand made quick work over all of them. It was easy. The bad thing was that now he couldn't ask them any questions. Wait, there was still one weakling that was conscious. He was hiding in the corner. The thin man with rat-like features looked like he was about to cry. "What you quat?" Han walked to the crying man. "Quat, answer my questions. Quat. Quat, anything you want. Quat," the sniveling man whimpered. "Quat, where am I? Quat?" Han questioned as he reached down and grabbed the man by the collar. "Quat, why you're at the B-base of the Dark Guild Purple Skunk. Quat," the rat man cried as he was lifted up into the air. "What guild? Purple Skunk?" Quat. Han didn't know if he should be confused or amused. "Quat, why yes. Quat. Quat, whatever, we'll get to that later. Quat," Han grunted. "Quat, what country are we in? Quat. Quat F Fiore. Quat. Quat Fiore. Quat, where was Fiore?" Han had never heard of it before. Was it close to Iowa? "Quat, get up, worm. It's time to work." Quat, one of the men wearing dark robes, laughed as he mocked the prisoner. "Quat, meh, I don't feel like it. Quat," Utakata shrugged. His long brown hair fell over the left side of his face and hid his brown eyes. The boy also wore a light blue kimono with bubbles on the side. "Quat, what? Quat," the other one of the men wearing dark robes, sneered. "Quat, you think you have a choice? Quat. Quat, yes. Quat." Utakata raised the pipe he had in his hands and began to blow bubbles. "Quat, fool." Quat, the man that Utakata dubbed the Fat One shouted as he waved his wooden staff around. Sparks flew off the weapon. Utakata just continued to blow bubbles. "Quat, get up now." Quat, the ugly one whined. His voice hurt Utakata's ears. "Quat, no." Quat, Utakata shrugged and looked up at the men. "Quat, how about this, you leave me alone and I won't kill you. I'm alright staying here for now until I figure out what happened, so as long as you don't annoy me, you'll be fine." Quat. "Quat, moron." Quat, the Fat One stepped up to Utakata. "Quat, who do you think you're talking to? We're members of the cult of Zareth." Quat. "Quat, and I'm the Jinch Kriki of the Rakubi." Quat, Utakata sighed. "Quat, I think I outrank a fat fool." Quat. "Quat, raw." Quat, in anger, the Fat One swung his staff at Utakata. "Quat, fool." Quat. Swoosh. A giant bubble appeared from Utakata's pipe. Pop. The bubble blew up and sent the Fat One flying out of the cell. "Quat, ah." Quat, the ugly one's eyes widened. "Quat, leave. You are only allowed to talk to me if you bring me food and water. If you don't, then I will have search for some and you might get hurt." Quat, Utakata warned. "Quat, wah." Quat, the ugly one ran out of the cell. After teleporting, Utakata found himself outside a large tower. He allowed them to capture him to find out what they wanted, but the Jinch Kriki refused to work for them. He wanted to use this time to figure out what to do next. But he was comfortable and content right now. He might just stay here a while and meditate. "What annoying little brat." Quat, an elderly pink-haired woman yelled and swung a broom at the mint-haired girl. "Quat, get out of my house." Quat. "Quat, but it's a tree." Quat, Fu mumbled as she rubbed her tan arm. "Quat, I thought I could sleep here." Quat. "Quat, no. This is my home. Get out." Quat, Perusica shouted. Fu allowed the woman to hit her with a broom. She received worse from her fellow villagers. "Quat, but I don't know where I am and the air seems weird." And "Quat. Quat, that doesn't give you the right to barge into my home, stupid human." Quat, Perusica growled. "What did you call me?" Quat, Fu's eyes widened. "Quat, human. I hate humans. They're disgusting creatures." Quat, Perusica noted. "What, you called me a human?" Quat, Fu mumbled as her eyes teared up. "Quat, and no one has ever called me a human before." Quat. "Quat, ha." Quat. "Quat, wahh." Quat, Fu began to weep for joy. "Quat, what are you doing?" Quat, Perusica froze as Fu jumped up and hugged her. "Quat, thank you." Quat, Fu cried into the elderly woman's dress. "Quat, why oh." Quat, Killer Bee swung his arms around rapidly. "Quat, I am Killer Bee. You like what you see. Because I am the king. That fights in the ring. No one can beat me. So they run up a tree. B is the best. Above all the rest." Quat. "Quat, ah." Quat, the bald elderly dressed in drag, leapt to his feet and began to clap. "Quat, bravo. Excellent. Encore." Quat. The dark-skinned, blonde-haired man with sunglasses stuck out his chest in pride. "Quat, finally. Someone appreciates my talents. Why oh." Quat. "B, you're an idiot and your rapping sucks." Jiki the eight-tailed octopus bull yelled at his host. "Aren't you concerned at all that we are clearly not anywhere near Kumo anymore?" "No. Yo. Killer Bee needed a vacation from all the boring Asian." Killer Bee exclaimed in his mind. "That's not even a real word, Dumbus." Jiki cried. "What, so tell me, B." Quat, Bob, the master of the Blue Pegasus Guild, grabbed B's muscular arm. "Quat, what brings you to my little guild?" Quat. "Quat, why oh, I was lost, but now I'm found, dog." Quat, B raised his arms to the sky. "Quat, I see." Quat, Bob giggled. "Quat, tell me, B. Do you want to join our guild?" Quat. "Quat, Quat," the blonde-haired woman with glassy blue eyes blinked as she saw what appeared to be a 10-year-old in the middle of the forest. He appeared to be practicing throwing knives. Quat, what are you doing, Quat? Quat, waiting. Quat, the boy with cute whisker marks on his cheek said, but did not turn. Quat, waiting for what, Quat? The woman questioned. Her white sundress waved in the wind. Quat, my future teacher. Quat, the boy stated. Quat, teacher? What are you learning, Quat? The woman's blonde hair flowed behind her like a wavy curtain, and her pure blue eyes lit up with curiosity. Quat, magic. Sky magic. Quat, the boy turned. Quat, sky magic. Quat, the woman tilted her head in confusion. Quat, your teacher knows sky magic. That's a rare form of magic. Are you sure that's what you're going to study, Quat? Quat, yes. I haven't met my new teacher, though. I was just told to wait here, Quat, the boy sighed. Quat, by who, Quat? The woman asked out of pure curiosity. Quat, a woman named Azura. Quat, the boy answered. Quat, I see, Quat, Azura. How did this boy know that name? It was a name that appeared in only the most advanced sky magic books. Not even the Magic Council, who made it their business to know everything, would have a clue of what that name stood for, Quat, and this woman Azura, why? Did she tell you to wait here for your teacher, Quat? Quat, she said that I need to learn that magic in order to reach my dream. Quat, he informed her. Quat, and that is Quat. Quat, to touch the sky. Quat. Quat, psh. Ga ha 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 awkward, the woman burst out laughing. Quat. Why are you laughing, Quat? The boy frowned. He looked insulted. Quat, oh ha ha ha, I'm sorry, Quat, the woman smiled brightly. Quat, I didn't mean to offend you. I just haven't heard anything so ridiculous since I was a loudmouth kid with strange dreams of my own, Quat. Quat, I see, Quat. Quat, you know, I practice sky magic. Quat, the woman noted. Quat, you do, Quat, the boy's eyes lit up. Quat, I see, then you are the person Azura said to wait for. Quat, he bowed. Quat, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. Please, teach me to touch the sky. Quat. The woman eyed him. He appeared to be wearing some weird kind of armor. He looked like a soldier, a child soldier who had gone through too much. His eyes showed suffering and pain. The woman instantly felt sympathy for him. Despite the strangeness of the situation, she felt as if this was a destined meeting. Quat, yes, I can teach you if you want. Quat, April extended a hand towards the bowing boy. She appeared to have a strange orange tattoo on the back of her hand. Quat, my name is April Kazan, ex-mage of Fairy Tail. Quat. Naruto ignored his partner and focused on the task at hand. He was in a simple examination room that April built into her house. There were shelves of medical books, cabinets with organized medicine and bandages, and the bed where the patient sit. After a year of training with April, Naruto had learned enough about sky magic to get into the healing aspect of it. That was one of the differences between sky and wind magic. Not only was sky magic devastatingly strong, it had the ability to heal people. That made it even more useful to everyone but Naruto. Truthfully, he didn't care about healing people, but it was a required part of his training, so he did it. Quat, the aging farm sighed as the wounds on his leg healed. Quat, thank you, son. I thought that when the horse threw me off, I wouldn't able to walk for a month. Now, I can get my crops ready. Quat. Quat, don't mention it. Quat, Naruto shrugged. Quat, Kazan-sensei could have easily done it, Connor-san. Quat. Quat, ha 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 ha. True, but at least with you I don't have to deal with a tongue lashing. In fact, I don't think it would kill you to talk a little bit more, Naruto. Quat, Connor mentioned. Quat, I get to the lot. Quat, Naruto gave a small chuckle and smiled at the man he knew for a year. Quat, I managed to heal most of it. Your leg should be sore for a day or so, but besides that you'll be fine. Quat. Quat, good. I can't trust that wishy-washy son of mine to get the job done alone. Quat, Connor jumped to his feet. Quat, in fact, I better be getting back to him. Thanks again, Naruto. Quat. Quat, you're welcome. Quat, Naruto continued to smile as Connor left. Well, there were upsides to being a healer. Receiving thanks was very different than what he was used to in Konoha. But it was nice. Quat, you finished? Quat, April questioned from the doorframe. Quat, how was he? Quat. Quat, his leg was pretty banged up, but besides that. Quat, Naruto shrugged. Quat, he'll be fine. Quat. Quat, did you give him any medicine or instructions? Quat, April questioned. Quat, should I have? Quat, Naruto returned. The woman sighed. Quat, yes, Naruto. Not everyone is like you. They can't get healed instantly. Quat. Quat, he'll be fine. Quat, Naruto shrugged. Quat, fine, but it's on you if he comes back within a week. Quat, April finally noted. Quat, and if that happens, I shall come to you on my hands and knees and beg for your forgiveness, Kazan-sensei. Quat, Naruto spoke up. Quat, smartest. Quat, April rolled her eyes. Quat, I guess you don't want training today. Quat. Quat, Naruto got on his hands and knees. Quat, forgive me, Kazan-sensei. I was wrong. Quat. Quat, ha 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 ha. Quat, the blonde-haired woman laughed. Quat, good to see that your ego is still non-existent. I give you credit, though, you're true to your word. Quat. Quat, I never go back on my word. Quat, Naruto raised from his bow. Quad even if I was being sarcastic. Quad. Quad good to know. That means if I trick you into saying you'll rub my feet, you'll do it. Quad. April smirked. Quad yes, but there is no way you can trick me into saying that. Quad. Naruto's eyes narrowed. Quad you underestimate me. Quad. Ara was content for the first time in his life. For the past year, he stayed in this desert and killed anyone that passed. Luckily, he quickly found a small oasis that had plenty of water and food. The red-haired boy usually stayed in the shade of the oasis and waited for anyone to appear in the horizon. And if someone appeared well, Gaara would prove his existence was greater than theirs. The greatest part was that at nights, he could let himself sleep. Mother always took over when he let himself unconscious. Back at Suna, if he allowed this to happen, his father would stop his rampage and place him in lockup with guards to make sure he stayed awake. Now, though, he could sleep from sunrise to sunset. Gaara was just grateful that mother didn't move too far from the oasis. He actually enjoyed life while staying by the oasis. Quat quat, Gaara took a deep breath. Over the past year, he learned about this new world that he was in. Despite his desire for blood, Gaara listened to the people that passed by before killing them. He now knew what the weird feeling in the air was. It was magic. Apparently, that was the main form of energy in this world. That explained why the air was so rich. Magical energy was everywhere. While about equal in strength, magic was superior to chakra in one aspect. It was an outside source that people didn't need to live. If a magic user ran out of energy, they could just absorb more later. Chakra users, however, could possibly die by using too much energy. Gaara thought about trying to work with magic, but it didn't work all that well. He tried to use his new magical abilities to control sand, but it didn't work the same way as with chakra. He could barely get it to move. Not that he stopped trying. By not killing travelers, Gaara didn't have a whole lot to do. But when there was someone nearby. Quat hey you Quat, a voice snapped to Gaara. Quat have you seen a demon around here? I've been contracted to kill it Quat. Gaara grinned darkly. It was time to prove his existence again. Quat so I wasn't the only one sent here. Quat, Yujito noted as she nursed her drink. Quat yep, both of us were mashed to here in a flash, dawg. Quat, B nodded his head. Quat you know I hate being called dog. B Quat, the 21-year-old woman glared. Quat can you please take this seriously? We've been gone from home for over a year. Quat. Quat, B looked around the guild hall of Lamia scale. After hearing that this guild had a mage that had cat-like tendencies and blue fire, B basically ran here from his own guild. Rubbing his guild mark, he mumbled. Quat sorry. Quat. Quat it's fine, B. Quat, Yujito sighed. Quat it's just how you are Quat. Quat yeah Quat, B nodded. Quat it is how you been, number 2 Quat. Quat pretty damn great. Quat, Yujito admitted. Quat this has been the most relaxing year of my life. Quat. Quat me too, but I miss home. Quat, B noted. Yujito was silent. Quat you don't Quat, B raised a blonde eyebrow. His shades hid the confusion in his eyes. Quat B I worked hard to gain the respect of everyone in Kumo, but their eyes Quat, Yujito shuddered. Quat no matter what, they feared and hated me. Here though Quat. She looked around. Her guildmates were cheering and laughing. Her guildmaster Uba Babasama was currently spinning a few of them that mouthed off to her. Her usual partner in missions, Jiranikas who oddly enough was bald at the age of 18, was sitting patiently nearby. He was waiting for her to finish so they could go on their next mission. There was even a few kids in the guild. One looked like a dog boy and the other had really large eyebrows. Quat I am happy. Quat, Yujito noted. Quat more so than I have ever been. I don't know what happened, but I'm grateful. I am sorry that I feel that way. I know you must miss your brother. Quat. Quat I do but it is nice not to have to be yelled at by a bro, but I promise to always have his back yo. Sorry, force of habit. Quat, B gained a sheepish grin. Quat so will you work to find a way back Quat, Yujito questioned. Quat I'll try, but I don't know if I can. Quat, B frowned. Quat this complicated stuff isn't my forte and I do enjoy my time in Blue Pegasus. Quat. Quat I've met some of the mages from there you definitely fit in there. Quat, Yujito smiled. What did I do? Quat, B groaned and rose to his feet. Quat well, I leave you B, cause this bee needs to get back to the nest, dog. Quat. Quat I'm a cat, not a dog. Quat, Yujito rolled her eyes. Quat word, kitty cat, word. Quat, B, then began to leave. Quat take care, yo Quat. Seeing that her visitor was now gone, Jira approached the woman. Quat your friend was very strange, Yujito. Quat. Quat yeah, but you won't ever meet a more loyal guy. Quat, Yujito smiled. Quat Yujito? Jira Quat, Uba jumped on top of the counter of the bar and spun her fingers in circles. Quat you need to get going or you'll miss your train. You must not disappoint our clients. Spinning Quat. Quat yes, Uba-sama. Quat, Yujito snapped to attention. Her eyes were sharp and her stature was rigid as her militaristic instincts kicked in as she saluted the guildmaster. Quad I will uphold the high standards of Lamia scale quad. Quad I know you will quad, Uba declared. Quad you should all work as hard as Yujito. She sets the bar for all of you. Granted if she was around in my days quad. Everyone groaned as Uba began to lecture them again. Even Jura looked bored. Yujito, however, stood at complete attention the whole time without moving a muscle. What sky shot quad, Naruto yelled as he sent a blast of air towards his teacher. The blast came out of his hand and was strong enough to crack the bark of a tree. April, however, blocked it with ease. What nice technique, now add more power behind it. Quad, April instructed. What high quad, Naruto rushed forward. He sent a roundhouse kick to her midsection. The wind flew around his leg in a sweeping motion. Quad sky whip quad. Quad sky burst. Quad, a strong gust of wind blew around April and hurled Naruto back. He still landed on his feet, but his attack didn't even get close to hitting his teacher. Quad sky spear quad, Naruto gathered wind around his hands. Then, in a straight vortex of twirling wind, the magic attack flew towards April. Quad excellent quad, April actually dodged what had become Naruto's favorite attack. Quad but you need more speed. Quad. Quad sky quad, Naruto raised his hands together and was about to bring them down in an arching motion, but he was stopped. Quad sky geyser. Quad, April waved her hands. Wind burst from below Naruto's feet. The force sent him flying into the air. Luckily, while the attack was fast, it lacked the power to do any real damage to Naruto. Nevertheless, he tossed away into the nearby forest. He landed through the branches with a crash. Quad in case you didn't know I was trying to get you to use support magic. Quad, April noted as her apprentice dragged himself out of the trees and back to the clearing that was behind April's simple one-story, blue home. Quad I get it, but it takes time to use support sky magic. Quad, Naruto picked twigs out of his hair. Quad even as I used it to speed myself up, I would be completely open. Then you would have told me not to drop my guard and use the same attack. Quad. Quad you know me so well Quad, April sighed in contentment. Quad but if you sped up your incantation, you wouldn't be open so be faster. Quad. Quad yes, master. Whatever you say, master Quad, Naruto rolled his eyes. Quad hey. Don't make fun of me, brat Quad, April stuck her tongue and pulled her right eyelid down. Quad I'm the mature teacher here and you're my humble little student that should do everything I say Quad. Quad I'm sorry, did you say something? I was cleaning out my ears Quad, Naruto put his finger in his ear and acted like he was cleaning it out. Quad ga who taught you to be such a brat Quad, April pouted and held her arms under her bust. Quad you and Kurama. Quad, Naruto shrugged and then used the foxy smile that Kurama taught him. Quad you're both bad influences on me. Quad. Over the course of the time Naruto spent with April, he revealed all his secrets to her. He didn't want her to ever question his motives or past while training him. Oddly enough, she seemed to believe him. Naruto didn't know if she was good at reading people or if she was gullible. What stupid brat saying I'm a bad influence Quad, April kicked him in the head and then held him down with her foot. Quad what do you say now Quad? Quad you're wearing a sundress Quad, Naruto stated. Quad so Quad? Quad you're standing over me cute panties by the way. Quad, Naruto mentioned. Quad thanks. I thought about wearing my silk ones, but then the red shows through the dress and people can't see them Quad, April blinked. Quad wait oh you little pervert. Stop looking up my skirt Quad. Quad then get off of me, Dadabeo Quad, Naruto exclaimed. He then paused. Wait. Quad ha Quad, April released Naruto and stepped back laughing. Quad I got you to say it again. That's so hilarious Quad. Naruto felt his flush. His sensei had a tendency to do things like this. She was always trying to shake him up by doing weird things like this. He had to admit that it worked. Naruto was coming out of the emotionless tendencies he had before. It also helped that Kurama's constant barrage of sarcastic remarks and mocking of basically everyone has been in his ear for years. He was still the boy that viewed emotions as pointless, but he could understand the upsides a little now. Quad I hate you Quad, Naruto muttered. April knelt down and pinched his cheeks. In the most demeaning voice possible, she stated, Quad I love you too, Neri-chan Quad. Quad what are we even doing Quad, Yugura questioned as he walked with his companion to the train station. Quad we're going to go hunt some monsters Quad, Shion cheered. She was a taller woman than most. Her short hair was pitch black, but her eyes were a warm brown. Her dusty torn and old trench coat hid most of her figure, but Yugura knew that she had a very womanly body. Quad burp. Whoa. I think I tasted pickles in that one. When did I have pickles Quad? Quad you stole them from my plate at the restaurant Quad, Yugura sighed. Quad can't you act like a lady for once Quad? Quad no way. That's boring as hell Quad, Shion laughed and stomped the ground in laughter. Quad ah Quad. Quad help. An earthquake Quad. Quad we're all going to die Quad. Quad whoops Quad, Shion stopped her moments and grinned sheepishly. Quad my bad Quad. All the people began to run away screaming. Quad ah. Why do people always do that quad? Xian sighed with a shrug. Quad I'm a fun person if you get to know me and not get smashed to dust. A lot of my friends and old boyfriends got smashed to dust. But that was before I got my little sidekick quad. The woman hugged Yugara close. The difference in height caused her to lean down. Her sizable breast smashed against the top of his head. The ex-Mizukage frowned. Quad I am not your sidekick. We are partners quad. What but people ask me if you're my kid. Quad, Xian mentioned. Quad how can I be partners with a little boy quad? Quad I am not a little boy. I am a fully grown man. I went through puberty. Respect that, damn it quad, Yugara screamed. Quad I know quad, Xian smirked. Quad after all, you seem to be enjoying my hug a lot quad. Quad no comment quad, Yugara stated but did nothing to exit the hug. Quad of course not quad, Xian exited the hug and looked around the train station. Quad oh I scared everyone of again quad. Quad of course you did. Your laughter causes earthquakes. Your sneezes destroy buildings. And your aura quad, Yugara paused. Quad it rocks the world. Quad, Xian smirked. Quad that is not a proper topic. Quad, Yugara stated firmly. Quad let us move on immediately. Quad. Quad you're such a stiff. Quad, Xian spat on the ground and scratched her armpit. Quad and you are a slop. Quad, Yugara noted. Quad thank you. Quad. Quad it was not a compliment. Quad. Quad I'll take it as one quad, Xian blinked. Quad oh I destroyed the tracks by accident quad. Quad crap quad, Yugara sighed and slumped down. Quad now what quad? Quad can we take the turtle quad, Xian questioned. Quad no. Last time you got so excited you almost put a crack in his shell. He is still quite displeased. Quad, Yugara noted. Quad oh time for the catapult then. Earth God's catapult quad, Xian noted. She waved her arms to the side. Beside the train station, the earth began to turn black and shift. A giant catapult was formed. Quad let's go quad. Quad damn quad, Yugara followed the cheering woman. Quad I hate that cursed catapult. Quad. Quad Rashi quad, Han noted as he leaned back in his chair. Quad what's with the white and gold robes quad? Quad a quad, Rashi blinked and looked down at his clothes. Quad you see there was this girl quad. Quad you never change old man. You see a pretty face and some wide eyes and you're wrapped around some girl's finger. Quad, Han laughed harshly. Quad are you that desperate for some affection quad? Quad not everyone is as gruff and cold as you, Han. And like you're one to talk about acting strange. Quad, Rashi eyed the place where Han was sitting. Quad you start a dark guild and sit on a throne. I thought you hated authority figures. Quad. Quad and what better way to stick it to those stiffs in the Magic Council than making a dark guild. Quad has shrugged from his spot on the throne. Quad it wasn't even really that hard. I just started beating people up, other people started following me, and then Death's Caucus head was born. Quad. Quad I can see that quad, Rashi looked around the surprisingly well-kept building. It was filled with people. They all didn't look like criminals. Most of them were incredibly normal. There were even a few kids here. One of them seemed to have an owl head. Quad I'm surprised that these are the people that follow you. They seem so not violent. Quad. Quad just because we are a dark guild does not mean we are bad people. Quad, Han stated. Quad we just don't want to conform to the Magic Council's whims. Quad. Quad that I can understand they can be real assholes sometimes. Quad, Rashi sighed when he remembered when a few of the members came to the church and acted like they owned the place. Quad but I'm not here about any of that. Quad. Quad then why are you here? Quad, Han questioned. Quad I heard about you. The steam bull. Quad, Rashi stroked his red beard. Quad from the description, I knew it was you. I came to ask if you knew what happened. How did we end up here? Quad. Quad who cares? Quad, Han shrugged. Quad this place is a lot better than home. I don't have to deal with that big-nosed old man and his stupid demands. Why are you even asking? I thought you were retiring anyway. Quad. Quad doesn't it bother you that you and I were teleported to this weird land without even a hint of what happened? Quad, Rashi questioned. Quad I spoke with the High Priestess, but I don't want to explain everything just yet, so she can't give a full answer. Quad. Anne did not care who the priestess was. Quad no, it doesn't bother me. I'm free now. That's all that matters. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, old man. You complained about Iowa even more than I did. Quad. Quad yeah Quad, Rashi rubbed the back of his neck. Quad at least now I can grow old in peace. Quad. Quad that's the spirit. Quad. Quad are you still mad? Quad, April questioned. They were in the small kitchen that she had in her home. It had a simple stove and sink, but there were pictures of flowers and clouds everywhere. The sky magic users even painted the ceiling to look like the sky and the floor to look like a garden. Quad I was never mad. Anger is a useless thing. Quad, Naruto took a bite of the vegetable on his plate. Quad it makes people illogical and causes them to do things they regret. Quad. Quad it is a human emotion, Naruto. Quad, April noted with a frown. Quad it isn't useless. Quad. Quad of course it is. Quad, Naruto eyed his teacher. Quad it is something that only brings suffering. Quad. Quad you're wrong Quad, April stated. Quad it doesn't bring suffering. It is meant to bring an end to suffering. People get angry because things become unjust or unfair. Anger is a sign of passion and pride in what we care for. Quad. Quad whatever Quad, Naruto shrugged. April frowned. Quad do not take emotions so lightly, Naruto. They are what make us human. Quad. Quad I have never been called human. Quad, Naruto rationalized. Quad I was raised as a weapon and am being trained to be a god slayer. Quad. Quad and what makes you think I will even give you my notes on Sky God Slayer magic? Quad, April questioned. Quad I can't even perform such magic. What makes you think you can? Quad. Quad because I have to in order to fulfill my goal. Quad, Naruto stated. Quad okay and what makes you think that I will even let you learn if you refuse to accept your emotions? Quad, April questioned. Quad Sky God magic it's dangerous. In the wrong hands, it could be used to destroy things like a hurricane could. I cannot in good conscience let someone emotionally unstable learn that magic. Quad. What you think, I'm emotionally unstable? Quad, Naruto frowned. What no, not now, but if you keep bottling up what you feel, you'll crack. And then you will truly do something that you do regret. Quad, April noted. Quad you once told me that you refuse to feel angry at the man that responsible for your parents' death. That's not a good thing Naruto. Quad. Quad and what was I supposed to do? Get angry at him and get revenge? Quad, Naruto questioned. Quad no, you were supposed to grieve. Quad, April noted. Quad it's something you refuse to do. Quad. Quad I can't grieve people I never met. Quad, Naruto rationalized. Quad maybe so, but you can grieve the fact that you never had the life you deserve. Quad, April mentioned. Quad but instead, you bury your emotions in your heart instead of dealing with them. That never ends well. Quad. Quad you act like I have experience in the matter. Quad, Naruto stated. Quad feeling is not natural for me. I was trained beaten into never feeling. Quad. Quad and that's why I spend so much time trying to help you. Quad, April explained. Quad even if it's small you're making progress. Today, you were happy to help Connor and you were flustered by me. But until you're willing to open up, you will never be able to find happiness. Quad. Quad no I will never be happy until I learn Sky God Slayer magic. Quad, Naruto stood from the table. Quad and you refuse to let me teach myself. Quad. Quad because you're not ready. Quad. Quad when will I be ready? Quad when I say so. Quad. Quad then never. Quad, Naruto frowned. Quad you know I've been ready for a few months, but you continue to keep me from it. Why? Because you're afraid of me leaving you and you being alone. Quad. Quad that's not it, Naruto. Quad, April glared at him. Quad is it because you pity me for my past? Quad, he frowned. Quad no, now stop. Quad. Quad no, I won't. Quit treating me like a child. I was never allowed to be a child, so now shouldn't be any different. Quad, Naruto stated. Quad so stop treating me like I'm some kid that you're completely responsible for. I'm not your son. Quad. Quad, April clenched her fork. Quad go to your room. Now. Quad. Quad is your student, I will obey, but despite what you think, you're not my mother. Quad, Naruto walked away. Quad my mother died and abandoned me to a cursed life long ago. Quad. Quad meh the sun is so hot. Quad, Utakata mumbled and leaned back in his small boat. Quad I wish it would get cloudy so the sun wouldn't burn so much. Quad. To his embarrassment, Utakata stayed at the tower for about a year. It wasn't that he didn't think about leaving. It was just that the tower was nice, dark, damp, and quiet but the Jinchuriki realized he couldn't stay there forever. While the cultists left him alone out of fear, the slaves glared and yelled at him to do something. He would but he didn't care about some stupid humans. Plus, he should probably figure what happened to send him there in the first place. It was then that Utakata decided to leave. It was no longer peaceful there for him there, especially with that red-haired girl yelling at him. So, Utakata grabbed a boat and sailed off. He didn't care about what happened to the people there. People never cared about him, so he didn't care about them. The Jinchuriki didn't even feel slightly guilty by leaving. What to do now? Quad, Utakata blew bubbles from his pipe. He learned a lot about this world from listening to the cultists. From what they said, it might be smart to find a guild or something. Quad I don't want to work, though. Quad. He just wanted to relax and not have to deal with stupid crap. Maybe he could just live in a forest instead. Eat the fruit and relax by a waterfall or something. Quad I need to find land, though. Quad, the brown-haired boy realized. Quad which way do I go? Quad. It suddenly occurred to him that he didn't exactly think things through all that much. But that wasn't anything new. It could be worse, people could be trying to kill him, or he could be back at the village. Those guys back at his home village were depressing. At least now he didn't have to deal with them. Quad I guess I can purify the water and eat the fish. Quad, Utakata realized. Quad and the sun won't do too much damage to a Jinchuriki, but it's a pain. Quad. He was then covered by shade. Quad oh Quad, Utakata blinked. Quad that works. Maybe I should complain about things more quat. Broom. Quat ha quat, Utakata looked up to see a floating ship thing or something. Quat well, that's new quat. What it is, isn't it quat? Quat yep. Pretty impressive. Quat. Quat thank you. I take pride in my mobile guild. Quat. Quat your mobile guild quat, Utakata turned and blinked at the elderly man with long hair and an eye patch. He was floating over the water. There was no shadow, though, so it was probably an illusion. Quat that's your ship or something quat. Quat yes. I've been using it to look for you. Quat, the elderly man noted. Quat looking for me quat, Utakata tilted his head. Quat yes, you terrorized the Tower of Heaven with ease for a year. That is very impressive. Quat, the man explained. Quat so impressive that I want you to join my guild. Quat. Quat guild, quat, the teen rubbed his head. Quat I don't know what I have to do boring stuff quat. Quat not often, no. Quat, the old man stated. Quat alright, I guess. I don't have anything better to do. Quat, Utakata shrugged. Quat and what's your name, guildmaster quat. Quat Hades. Master of Grimwar Heart. Quat. Quat Abachan quat, Fu cried as she ran into the house-shaped tree. Quat I got the plants you wanted. Quat. Quat good, those fairy tale idiots keep hurting themselves, so I need as much supplies as possible. Quat, Perusica noted from her desk. She was currently making medicine. Quat then why do you want me to go there, Abachan quat, Fu tilted her head to the side. Quat because I want you to go away, stupid child. Quat, Perusica rolled her eyes. Quat oh but then who would get the plants for you quat, Fu questioned. Quat I can get my own plants quat, Perusica snapped. Quat not as fast as me quat, Fu bragged. Quat my bugs lead me right to the ones I want. Quat. Quat that is true, but it's not worth dealing with you quat, Perusica mentioned with a frown. Quat you always say that, Abachan, but I know you put that extra blanket on me last night. Quat, Fu beamed at her most precious person. Quat no I didn't. Quat, Perusica argued weakly. Quat yes you did. Despite what you say, you like me. Quat, Fu looked absolutely content at that moment. Quat you're the first person to ever be kind to me, that's why I love Abachan quat. Quat it's sad if I'm the nicest person you ever met. Quat, Perusica mentioned sadly. Quat you should really go to Fairy Tale. You would be happy there. Quat. Quat but then Abachan would be lonely. I can't let that happen. Quat, Fu stated. Quat I don't get lonely. I hate humans and moved out here to get away from them. Quat, Perusica argued. Quat I know. But I'm not a human. I'm a Jinchuriki. Quat, Fu mentioned. Quat him the power of the human sacrifice. Quat, Perusica remembered when Fu first explained what that was. The tales she heard about what it was like to be a Jinchuriki made her hate humanity even more. How could anyone ever hate an innocent child like that? Quat there are 9 of you right quat. Quat yeah. Quat. Quat tell me, do you think they might have teleported between worlds with you quat? Perusica knew that the girl she was caring for was from a different world. Just like her except it wasn't Adola's. It was a different world, one that was filled with war and grief. Quat maybe, but that might end badly. Quat, Fu stated. Quat a lot of us are really destructive. I heard that number 9 has the power to shatter mountains and cause tsunamis with a swipe of the tail. Quat. Quat I see quat, this worried Perusica greatly. Quat but you don't have to worry about that with me quat, insect-like wings extended from the girl's back and allowed her to float into the air. Quat because I'm lucky number 7. With my good luck, I'll make sure nothing bad ever happens to Abachan and her guild. Quat. Knock. 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 Quat Naruto quat, April's voice sounded behind the door to the Jinchuriki's room. Quat yes quat, Naruto answered. He was meditating on the middle of his room. Quat what is it quat? Quat I need to speak with you. Quat, April noted. Quat then come in, Kaizen-sensei. Quat, Naruto did not open his eyes. April entered the small room. It did not have a lot in it. A shelf full of sky magic books and a small desk were the only furniture besides the bed. Quat you need to liven up the place, you know that. Quat. Quat I can see the sky from the window. That is all I need. Quat, Naruto opened his eyes but did not rise from his position. Quat of course you would say that. Quat, April walked over to his bed and sat down. Quat is that all you care about? Quat. Quat somewhat, yes. There's still Kurama, but besides that. Quat, Naruto answered immediately. Quat it was the only comfort I had for a long time. Quat. Quat you are still a cold person, Naruto. Quat, she gave him a sad look. Quat but you are also observant. What you said was hurtful but true. I have been treating you like a child and you haven't been a child for a long time. Quat. Quat that doesn't excuse my rudeness. Quat, Naruto bowed his head. Quat forgive me, Kaizen-sensei. Quat. Quat I wish you wouldn't call me that. Quat, April mentioned sadly. Quat it is the proper thing to call you. Quat, Naruto rationalized. Quat still. Quat, the blonde woman gained a wistful look. Quat never mind. You were right. I am holding you back. You have such potential and I was wrong to try and halt your progress. That's why I'm giving you this. Quad. She used a magic called Requip which stored items in a pocket dimension. The item she summoned was an old tomb that seemed to be falling apart. What is that? Quad? Naruto eyed the book. What? Yes. This has all the notes available on Sky God Slayer magic. I could never get it to work, but I think it takes a certain kind of person to be able to use this magic. Quad. April stared at the book. What, can I see it? Quad. Naruto finally rose and stared at the book. What? Yes, but only on one condition. Quad. April explained. Quad, if I give you this book, you must allow me to teach you more than magic. You must let me teach you what it means to be a human. We'll do lessons on emotions. Quad. Quad, and that is your final offer? Quad. What? Yes. Quad. Naruto frowned. April's new lesson seemed pointless, but he needed to learn that magic. It was the only way to get close enough to being like the sky. Quad. Fine. I agree. Quad. Quad. Excellent. Quad. April cheered and handed him the book. Quad, we'll start tomorrow. Quad. Quad. Okay. Quad. Naruto held the book close to him. Quad, you should get some rest then. Quad. April walked to the door. Quad, I think that tomorrow is going to be a long day. Quad. Quad. Yeah, it probably will be. Quad. Naruto probably wasn't going to sleep, though. He wanted to read this book. Quad. Good night, Naruto. I'll see you tomorrow. Quad. April stated from the doorframe. Quad. Good night, Kaizen-sensei. Quad. Naruto peered into his book. Quad. April paused and looked back. Quad. Naruto. Quad. Quad. Yes. Quad. Naruto looked up. Quad, what you said about me treating you like my son, you were right. Quad. April mentioned. Quad, I do think of you as a son, because I never had the chance to have one. Quad. Quad, why are you telling me this? Quad. Naruto questioned. Quad, I don't know. Maybe it's your first lesson. Maybe it's your last. Quad. April shrugged. Quad, but I want you to think about it for a while. Quad. Quad, if you say so. Quad. Naruto eyed her. Quad. Good night, Naruto. Quad. With that, she closed the door. Kurama spoke up. Are you okay? Of course I am. I have my ticket to Sky God Slayer magic now. Naruto gave a small smirk. That's not what I meant. I know, but I don't want to think about that. Naruto mentioned. Right now, it's time to start my journey to become a God Slayer. That's all that matters. Naruto had no argument. Opening his eyes, Naruto peered at the blue sky above him. From the top of this hill, he had a great view of the sky. Not only that, he could see the town down below and April's house past the edge of the town. It was a beautiful view, and Naruto often came here to meditate. His progress in Sky God Slayer magic was minimal. His sky magic gained a slight black tint to it, but it never had the force behind it that the note said there should be. It was frustrating to say the least. He could feel it, though. Each day, he was getting closer. Quad. Naruto. Quad. April called from the side of the hill. She had a basket in her hand and a sun hat on her head. The wind moved her pure white sundress and golden hair. This emphasized her feminine figure in ways that most teen boys Naruto's age would find pleasing. Her heart-shaped face shone in the sun. The woman's pure blue eyes sparkled. A beautiful smile graced her lips. In that moment, Naruto thought that she looked truly angelic. Quad. I'm going to town to buy some food for dinner. Quad. April called. Quad, do you want to come? Quad. Quad. Sure. Quad. Naruto called back and stood. He quickly approached his sensei. Quad, what are you planning on making? Quad. Quad. A dish I haven't made for a while. Quad. April mentioned. Quad. Oh. Is it that weird puffer fish thing? Quad. Naruto questioned. Quad. No, it was a dish I ate a long time ago, but haven't made for a while. Quad. April noted. Quad. It was always my favorite though. Quad. Quad. Why did you stop eating it, though? Quad. Naruto questioned. Quad. Because I never had a reason to cook it. Quad. April began to walk down the hill. Quad. What is it? Quad. Quad. Raymond. Quad. Quad. Good afternoon, April. Quad. Quad. Ah. It's the angle of Trafalgar. Quad. Quad. It's great to see you again, Kaizen-sama. Quad. April waved and greeted the townspeople. She was well known, respected, and loved in this town. Her kindness and generosity was well known. The woman always used her sky magic to heal the sick and injured, and she did it for free. Naruto never really understood this, but he didn't question it. It was just part of her weird morality. Besides, it'd have him good practice on using his healing sky magic. He didn't really care for others, but healing magic could also heal his wounds, so that was an upside. Now, he didn't have to completely rely on Kurama. Quad. It's good to see you, April. Quad. An elderly woman named Sophia smiled. Quad. How have you been? Quad. Quad. Fine. Been having to deal with this brat, but besides that. Quad. April giggled. Quad. You're more of a brat than I am, April-sensei. Quad. Naruto mentioned. Quad. You take that back. Quad. April grabbed his whiskered cheek and pulled it. Quad. I'm the definition of maturity. Quad. Quad. Fine. Quad. Naruto slapped his hand away. Quad. Just don't do that. It's annoying, Dad. Quad. Quad. Ha. Quad. April grinned teasingly and cupped a hand behind her ear. What was that last bit quat? What nothing. Quat. Naruto looked away. He hated the verbal tick. Apparently, he got it from his birth mother. That was just a great trait to get from a woman he never even met for real. What if you say so. Quat. April did not drop the grin, though. What oh, you too. Quat. Sophia laughed. Quat, you're always fun to be around. Quat. What whatever. Quat. Naruto shrugged with a neutral look. He was quick to gain his composure. What so, what you gonna buy, Auntie Quat? A head popped out from behind the stand that they were at. She was a brown-haired little girl with a pink bow in her hair. Her green eyes sparkled in mischief. What, just some vegetables. Quat. April looked at the produce on the stand. What, well, pick out whatever you want. After you healed Sora last week, you get everything free today. Quat. Sophia stated. What, thank you, but that's not necessary. Quat. April smiled. Quat, I still have plenty of money saved from my days as a mage. Quat. What, yes, you were a member of Fairy Tail, right? Quat. Sophia eyed the guild tattoo on the sky magic user's hand. Quat, what made you quit anyway? Quat. What, I decided I needed a change. Quat. April answered. What, but didn't you like it, Auntie Quat? Sora walked from out behind the stand. What, of course I did. I love all my friends from the guild. Quat. April patted the girl's head. Quat, there was just too many reminders of the past. Quat. What, ha? Quat. Sora was confused. What, forget it, Sora. Quat. Naruto spoke up. Quat, it's complicated. Quat. What, okay, Naranai. Quat. Sora beamed up at the boy. What, don't call me that. Quat. Naruto sighed. What, but it suits you, Naruto Nai. Quat. Sora stated. Quat, after all, you let me play dress up with you all the time. Quat. What, that means nothing. Quat. Naruto stared down at the little girl in the blue dress. What, of course it does. Quat. Sora smiled. Quat, we're friends. That's why I made you this. Quat. Sora held out a crown made of flowers. It was colorful and pretty. This did not suit Naruto at all. What, no. Quat. What, please. Quat. What, no. Quat. What, please. Quat. What, no. Quat. What, please. Quat. Sora's eyes went big and filled with tears. What, damn. Quat. Naruto bowed his head and let the little girl place the flowery crown on his head. April laughed. Quat, I love it. How adorable, Naru Chan. Quat. What? Quat. Naruto was silent. What, now a piggyback ride? Quat. Sora demanded. What, fine, but don't cry this time. Quat. What, then don't jump from the rooftops. Quat. What, oh, I hate when they do that. Quat. Sophia frowned. Quat, Sora could get hurt. Quat. What, trust Naruto a little. Quat. April smiled. Quat, he has excellent coordination. He won't drop her. Quat. What, you have a lot of faith in your student. Quat. Sophia noted. What, of course. Quat. April nodded. What, and I noticed. Quat. Sophia gave the woman a knowing look. Quat, you have been much happier with him around. Quat. What, I always wanted a son. Quat. April admitted. She gripped her stomach tightly. Quat, but I never had one properly. Quat. What, oh? Never found the right man. Quat. What, no, it's not that. Quat. April gained a saddened look. Quat, I just can't have one. Quat. What, it's always nice to speak to everyone in town. Quat. April noted as she and her apprentice began their trek home. What, I guess. Quat. Naruto shrugged. He was carrying the basket full of food that they bought. What, you know, Sora just adores you. I think she has a crush on you. Quat. April smirked at the boy. What, that's nice, I suppose. Quat. Naruto didn't seem to care. What, I think it's sweet. Quat. April chuckled. Quat, maybe in 10 years when she's 18, you'll get married. Quat. What, married? Quat. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Quat, where did that come from? Quat. What, it's a woman thing. We like to think about such things. Quat. April giggled. They passed by Connor-san's farm and made sure to wave at the farmer and his family. After they passed the farm, Naruto spoke up. Quat, I don't like the concept of marriage. It seems like something that restricts freedom. Quat. What, well, it kind of does. Quat. April admitted. Quat, but it's an expression of devotion and commitment to another person. Quat. What, no thanks then. Quat. Naruto frowned. Quat, I don't want anything to hold back my freedom. Quat. What, you'll change your mind when you fall in love. Quat. April noted. What, doubtful. Even though I was young, Danzo-sama made sure that I began my training to resist seduction. Quat. Naruto mentioned. What, that's not what I meant. It's not about lust. It's about love. Quat. April mentioned. What, and you think I'm capable of loving someone so much that I would restrict my own freedom for her? Quat. Naruto scoffed. Quat, not likely. Quat. What, perhaps you will change your mind one day. Quat. April shrugged. What, April-sensei. Quat. Naruto spoke up. What, yes. Quat. April turned to look at the boy. What, were you ever married? Quat. Naruto questioned. Quat, you speak with such passion about it, but you don't wear a ring and you don't have any wedding pictures. Quat. What, I do have all those things. They're in the attic. Quat. April gained a sad look. Quad I don't want to think about them though. Marriage is only until death after all. Quad. What how did he die? Quad, Naruto questioned. What he was killed on a mission. Quad, April explained. Quad we were on the mission together, but we were separated and I couldn't get to him in time to save him. Quad. Quad I'm sorry. Quad, Naruto stated. Quad I didn't know. Quad. Quad it's fine. Quad, April smiled sadly. Quad it happened a long time ago. Quad. Quad, Naruto looked up from his notes to look over at April who was cooking dinner. Quad April-sensei, may I ask another personal question? Quad. Quad oh? You're very inquisitive today, Naruto. Quad, April noted as she worked at the stove. Quad very well, what is it? Quad. Quad you talk about fairy tale a lot. You clearly loved your guild. Why did you leave? Quad, Naruto questioned. Quad many different reasons. Quad, April noted. Quad too many empty bedrooms at my old home, the constant looks of pity, the dreams I knew would never come to be. Quad. Quad dreams? Quad, Naruto took notice of that. Quad yes. Quad, April nodded. Quad I always wanted to be guild master, just like the first one Master Mavis, but I knew after what happened, I could never do it. Quad. Quad oh Quad, Naruto raised an eyebrow. Quad why's that? Quad. Quad I had many reasons. Quad, April sighed. Quad it started when I found out I was infertile, then my husband died and then I tried a forbidden form of magic. It ended badly. Master Makarov was angry but forgave me. He said we could move past it but I couldn't. There was too many bad memories. So I left and came here. Quad. Quad I see. Quad, Naruto nodded slowly. Quad aren't you going to ask what forbidden magic I use? Quad, April turned to him. She had a sad look on her face. Quad no I can see that talking about it upsets you. Quad, Naruto shrugged. Quad let's just move on. Quad. Quad, the woman stared at him for a moment then began to giggle. Quad ha 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 oh, you really have grown. You never used to be sensitive to how I felt. Quad. Quad if I annoy or upset you, it will come back and bite me. So, it's better to avoid it altogether. Quad, Naruto closed his eyes and crossed his arms. Quad that's all. Quad. Quad sure it is, you big softy. Quad. Quad whatever. Quad. Quad okay, I won't tease you. You can come back out of your shell. Quad, April placed a bowl in front Naruto along with a pair of chopsticks. Quad you need to try this after all. Quad. Naruto's eyes snapped open. He looked down at the bowl in front of him. The boy could feel his mouth begin to water. Quad that smells really good. Quad. Quad of course it does. Quad, April smiled and set her own bowl on the table. Quad ramen is the food of the gods after all. Quad. Quad I see. Quad, Naruto bowed his head. Quad I did akimasu. Quad. He then began to eat. The noodles flowed into his mouth. After one bite, Naruto paused for only a brief second and then began to eat as quickly as possible. Quad ha 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 ha. Quad, April ate at a much more subdued pace. She enjoyed her meal too, though. Quad I'm glad you like it. Quad. Quad it is amazing. Quad, Naruto mumbled between bites. Quad I'm glad. Quad, the woman smiled in joy. A week later, the duo was once again training. Quad Sky God's Fist. Quad, Naruto rushed toward April. A combination of black and regular wind danced around his fist. The blonde boy sent a punch at the woman, but the fist was caught. Quad Sky drop. Quad, April whispered. The air around Naruto became incredibly heavy. He fell to the ground in a heap. It felt like the sky itself was pushing on his shoulders. Quad you can't just use partial magic like that. Quad, April noted as she stood over Naruto. Quad trying to combine regular and god sky magic weakens them both. Don't do things by halves. It will get you killed. Quad. Quad I know. Quad, Naruto groaned under the force what felt like a mountain. Quad but it's the only way I can make it work. Quad. Quad then that means it doesn't work at all. Quad, April dropped the pressure. Quad your infinity with the wind gives you skill in regular sky magic, but sky god slayer magic is different. It is far more potent and powerful. It is the ability to contain the power of a hurricane into a bottle. Quad. Quad but Quad, Naruto pushed himself to his feet. Quad you're monstrously strong and you can't use sky god slayer magic. Quad. Quad it takes a certain type of person to do so. Quad, April noted. Quad you must have absolute control, but an uncontrollable passion. You must be strong as a mountain, but as penetrable as a puddle of water. You must have all the potential in the world and the drive to use it. I lack all the qualities needed. Only a select few can use regular sky magic. Slayer magic, however, is on a whole different level. Quad. Quad so what am I missing? Quad, Naruto questioned. Quad you'll know when you figure it out. Quad, April smiled. Quad April-sensei, how strong are you? Quad, Naruto questioned as he helped his teacher hang up some laundry on the clothesline outside their home. Quad strong enough. Why do you ask? Quad, April gave him a curious glance. Quad you are the only mage I have ever met. Quad, Naruto stated. Quad thus, I don't know the true amount of power most mages have. Quad. Quad well, I doubt most mages can keep up with me. Quad, April giggled. Quad I was considered to be one of the strongest of fairy tale. Right after the master and the dumbest womanizer, but I think I could have handled Gildert's. Quad. What so you are at the top quad, Naruto questioned. What yes. Quad, April nodded. Quad I like to think so at least. Of course, there are always people stronger than you. Quad. Quad and how strong am I? I can't gauge that against you because I can never get close to hurt you. Quad, Naruto mentioned. What stronger than I was your age. Quad, April smiled. Quad I'm sure you'll surpass me one day. Quad. Quad, Naruto looked at the basket in his hands. Quad are you planning on hanging your bras and panties out here? Quad. Quad sure, why not? Quad, April shrugged. Quad I can give you plenty of reasons. Quad, Naruto rolled his eyes. Quad first one, if I hand them to you, you'll call me a pervert for touching your underwear. Quad. Quad yes, that's going to happen. Quad, April nodded. Quad second, when we come back to get them later, you'll call me a pervert. In fact, if I look out the window facing this way at all you'll call me a pervert. Quad, Naruto stated. Quad that's going to happen too. Quad, April laughed. Quad third, most of the panties are embarrassing. Hearts and flowers. Really? Quad. Quad pervert, what are you doing looking at my underwear for? Quad. Quad so you're just trying to put me in a situation that will let you tease me? Quad, Naruto sighed. Quad yep. Quad, April grinned. Quad this is the only way that I can get under your skin after all. Quad. Quad my answer is no. Quad, April stated as she put down her cup of tea onto the kitchen table. Quad what? Quad, the Magic Council representative yelled out in shock. Quad but you've been summoned. Quad. Quad I am no tool for the government. Quad, April glared. Quad you don't have a choice in the matter. Quad, the representative glared. Quad they'll have you arrested. Quad. April just laughed. Quad what's so funny? Quad, the man snapped. Quad who would they send? Quad, April noted. Quad I could mow down almost anyone. Quad. Quad you? Quad. Quad not to mention the bad publicity they would get from trying to arrest me. Quad, April noted. Quad I can hear the rumors now. Why's the Magic Council attacking the innocent Sky Mistress? She's been living alone after that tragedy for years. Now they arrest her for no good reason. Are they going to do that to everyone they don't like? Yeah, I'm sure that will go over really well. Quad. Quad, the frogman representative of the Magic Council, trembled in anger. Quad do you not care about the safety of this country? Quad. Quad I do, but what they speak of is of no consequence to me or the people of this country. Quad, April shrugged. Quad it's been 2 whole years. Quad, the representative jumped from his chair and glared. Quad 2 years since the massive power surges, the biggest of which happened not too far from here. Yet there has not been one consequence, not one thing too out of the ordinary. For all we know, 9 bombs could go off at any minute. Quad. Quad I doubt that will happen. Quad, April shrugged. Quad besides, I'm sure what the Magic Council sensed was a glitch. Quad. What you think 9 power surges more than powerful enough to level cities, countries, continents were a glitch? Quad, the representative glared. Quad yes. Quad, April maintained a cool look. Quad after all, no one in this small town saw anything. Nor did anyone else across the country. Quad. Quad that's not true. Quad, the frogman shook his head. Quad 1 surge appeared in a desert and people keep disappearing in there. It has to be related. Quad. Quad maybe not. I don't care, though. Quad, April shrugged. Quad I'm done with my life as a mage. I just want to live in peace now. Quad. Quad so you don't care at all that one of those surges happened right near Fairy Tale? Quad. April froze as she raised her teacup to her mouth. Quad did something happen to my old guild? Quad. Quad no, but Quad. Quad then I don't care. You can leave now. Quad. Quad but Quad. Quad I said get out. Quad, April glared. The air pressure in the room began to drop. Quad fine. Fine. Quad, the frogman walked to the front door and walked out. Quad but I'll be back. Quad. Slam. April sighed and went back to her tea. Quad sensei. Quad, Naruto opened the door to his room. Quad are you okay? Quad. Quad I'm fine. Quad, April nodded from her spot at the table. Quad I understand why you hid me. Quad, Naruto walked over to the table and sat down. Quad if the Magic Council knew about me and when I became your apprentice they would become suspicious. Quad. Quad yes. Quad, April looked tired. Quad I can't let them take you. Quad. Quad sensei. Quad, Naruto frowned. Quad I don't have much, Naruto. Quad, April sighed. Quad and I refuse to lose what little I do have. Quad. Quad I know. Quad. Quad Naruto I haven't asked you much about your home out of respect, but Quad, April stared at him. Quad I think I need to learn more about what happened and what exactly it means to be a Jinchuriki. Quad. It was close to a month later when something else happened. Quad well, son of a bitch. Quad, an orange-haired man with a dark cloak, noted as he walked up to April and watched what she was looking at. Quad hello, Gildert's. Quad, April did not turn to the man. What, you really did take an apprentice? Quad. Gilderts looked shocked. Quad, I thought after everything that happened, you wouldn't want to see a child again. Quad. What, why are you here? Quad. April questioned as she gazed out to the fields to see Naruto training. What, master wanted me to check up on you. Quad. Gilderts mentioned. Quad, he still gets your letters, but he worries. Quad. What, I know. Quad. April nodded. Quad, you can tell him that I'm fine. Quad. Quad, yeah, I can see that. Quad. Gilderts looked her over. Quad, are you feeling okay? Quad. Quad, no worse than usual. Quad. April sighed. Quad, and him? How is this famous Naruto? Quad. Gilderts questioned. Quad, he is making progress. Quad. April noted. Quad, both magically and emotionally. He is a hurt child. Quad. Quad, and how did he take the news when you told him? Quad. Gilderts questioned. Quad. April was silent. Quad, you didn't tell him? Quad. Gilderts' eye widened. Quad, no, I did not wish to worry him. Quad. April stated. Quad, but if it gets worse and then he finds out, all your progress would be for nothing. Quad. Gilderts glared. Quad, I know that, but Quad. April grabbed her flat stomach. Quad, I just wanted more time. This is always what I wanted. Well, I imagined my husband here too, but. Quad. Quad, I see. Quad. Gilderts sighed. Quad, you know the guild's got a few children now. A boy named Gray and a girl named Kana. I think there will be more soon too. Being with children his own age might be good for him. Quad. Quad, I won't be able to get him to leave even if I wanted to. Quad. April noted. Quad, I see the way he looks at me. He's not willing to go yet. Quad. Quad, so you're not willing to let go of each other. Quad. Gilderts nodded. Quad, I understand that, but what happens when you run out of time? He will be alone again. Quad. Quad, what are you saying? Quad. Quad, move back to Magnolia. Quad. Gilderts suggested. Quad, we've kept your house in shape. That way, you two can stay with each other, he can build bonds with others, and Quad. Quad, and father can keep an eye on me. Quad. April sighed. Quad, I wouldn't put it that way. Quad. Gilderts rubbed the back of his head. Quad, I would. Quad. April gained a sad look. Quad, I don't know if I can go back, though. Too many memories. Quad. Quad, I get it. Quad. Gilderts nodded. Quad, I'm just saying if you really think of him as your son, maybe you should think less about what you want and what's best for him. After all, it's our job to look out for the next generation. Quad. Quad, yes it is. Quad. April nodded slowly. Quad, what? Quad. Naruto had an alarmed look. Quad, I'm very ill, Naruto. Quad. April explained from across the kitchen table. Quad, I have been ever since I met you. Quad. Quad, but you never showed any symptoms. You never even coughed or sneezed before. Quad. Naruto stated. His voice cracked ever so slightly. Quad, I'm a sky magic user. I can heal any of the symptoms. Quad. April gained a sad look. Quad, but internally, I'm dying. Very slowly. I don't know when, but one day I'll go to sleep and I won't wake up. Quad. Quad, but there has to be a way to help you. Quad. Naruto clenched his fists. Quad, what disease do you have? Quad. Quad, it's not a normal disease. It's a consequence of lost forbidden magic. Quad. April stated. Quad, that is the consequence I have for my actions as a youth and now I'm dealing with them. Quad. Quad, is nothing that can be done. We use magic for Kami's sake. Quad. Naruto argued. Quad, there must be a way to stop it. Quad. Quad, I've looked, Naruto. There isn't. Quad. April stated. Quad, I accepted my fate a long time ago. Quad. Quad, but Quad. Quad, until recently that is. Quad. April noted. Quad, lately, I've been resentful of my illness because I'm not ready to die. I don't want to leave you yet. Quad. Quad, you don't have to. Quad. Naruto stood. Quad, I'll heal you. Sky God Slayer magic is one of the most potent healing magics in the world, right? With enough energy, it can heal almost any wound or illness. When I master Sky God Slayer magic, I'll heal you. Quad. Quad, Naruto, we don't have that kind of time. Quad. April stated. Quad, then I'll do it now. Quad. Naruto argued. Quad, I've been practicing for over a year. I know I can help you. Quad. Quad, no you can't. Naruto. Quad. April shook her head. Quad, you still need practice, and that will take time. At best, I probably have a year. Quad. Quad, I can do it by then. Quad. Naruto reasoned. Quad, perhaps. Perhaps not. Quad. April smiled. Quad, either way, we're moving. Quad. Quad, what? Quad. Naruto questioned. Quad, we're going to Magnolia. Quad. April stated. Quad, we're going to live there and you're going to join Fairy Tail. Quad. Quad, I don't want to join a guild. Quad. Naruto mentioned. Quad, I want to stay here and live in peace. Quad. Quad, I do too, but this is for the best. Quad. April took a shaky breath. Quad, that way, you can have friends around you when I pass. Quad. Quad, no you won't. Quad. Naruto actually roared. Quad, I won't let that happen. I promise you, I'll heal you. That's a promise of a lifetime. Quad. Quad, Naruto. Quad. April felt tears in her eyes. Quad, I won't lose you. Quad. Naruto walked over to her. He reached out slowly and grabbed his shoulders awkwardly. Quad'll go with you to Magnolia, but you have to keep fighting, because I will heal you Quad. April pulled him into a hug. Quad thank you. Quad. Quad don't mention it. Quad. Did you know you suck at healing? Kurama noted a few days later. They hadn't moved yet. They were still packing and prepping for the trip. It was late now, but Naruto wasn't at home. He was on his usual hill that overlooked everything. How do you plan to get good enough at it to heal an incurable disease? I practice and train my ass off. Naruto mentioned. It doesn't matter how long it takes or how much work I have to put into it. I won't lose her. You really care for her, huh? Kurama questioned. I do. Hey, you're different now. Kurama laughed. Actually caring about someone. I never thought I would see the day. I suppose even I am human. Naruto argued. I suppose you are. I don't know if I should be relieved or disappointed. Kurama stated. But you're still pretty much a heartless bastard to everyone else, so it's a small change. Not like you're going around screaming about the power of love or some hippie shit like that. No it's not. Naruto nodded. He paused and looked up from his book. He smelled smoke. Down below in town, he saw a dull blaze that slowly began to grow. As this happened, smoke rose from the burning buildings. What happened Quat? Naruto questioned as he jumped to his feet. What there? A boy. Grab him Quat, Naruto heard a voice yell. Quat he'll be a good slave Quat. Quat for the cult of Zareth and the return of our master Quat. Naruto saw a group of robed individuals running at him. They all had weapons and creepy looks on their faces. Quat sky drill Quat, a tornado appeared around the group of men. The cultists were sent flying away into the forest. Quat Naruto Quat. Quat April sensei, what's happening Quat? Naruto questioned as he ran up to his teacher at the bottom of the hill. Quat these cultists are attacking the town. Quat, April noted. Quat why Quat? Naruto asked. Quat they're gathering slaves. Quat, April stated. Quat I've heard of these guys. They raid town and take people as slaves. No one knows why, but they leave destruction in their wake. We need to stop them. You go down to the town and help the people. Quat. Quat what about you Quat? Quat I'm going to deal with another problem. Quat. Despite everything he despised about Konoha, there was one single thing Naruto did miss about his homeland. It was something he thought about occasionally, but those thoughts were quickly dismissed by the knowledge of his gained freedom. One small thing was not worth everything the boy went through at his homeworld. Nevertheless, Naruto felt his blood begin to pump faster and his adrenaline begin to surge as he rushed into battle. As the boy ran up to a man with a spear, flipped over the attack, and kicked the cultist in the face, Naruto felt excitement for the first time in over 2 years. Sure, he still trained and sparred against April for that time, but that was not true combat. This was real fighting, and Naruto was a natural at it. It was like riding a bike. He couldn't forget even if he wanted to. Even outnumbered, his trained body ducked and weaved out of the way of swinging spears and deadly blasts of magic. Through all of this, Naruto allowed the smallest of smiles grace his face. He felt at ease and at home. This was his element. Quat sky shot Quat, Naruto sent a blast of air that hit a cultist in the chest. This caused the man to go flying back. He landed into a wall and crumbled to the ground unconscious. The town was burning. Fires were spreading everywhere. Bleeding unconscious bodies and bleeding corpses were spread across the ground. Some of them were the townspeople. Some of them were cultists defeated by Naruto. To almost every other 12-year-old this would be devastating. There was so much blood. So many different people were injured, dying, or dead. Any normal human being would be feeling physically ill at this point. Naruto was still smiling lightly. This was his element. Naruto was raised in the art of war. Before he came to this world, the blonde was trained to be a soldier his entire life. Through constant training, beatings, and missions, he had long since hardened to this kind of carnage. It was part of who he was. This was what he was raised to live with. Even though these were people Naruto had known for 2 years, he didn't so much as flinch at their wounds and deaths. That lady over there crying in the corner once had Naruto heal her sick dog. An old man bleeding on the ground had told Naruto countless stories about the elder man's life. And Connor-san, the farmer that liked to tease Naruto, was lying dead before him. Naruto stepped over his body without hesitation. There was no more hope for the dead. It would be pointless to put thought into them right now. The boy still needed to think a bit about the wounded, though. Through his adrenaline rush, Naruto's abilities with sky magic rocketed. As he passed the injured people, Naruto idly healed them as he passed. He did not close the wound completely, but he healed them enough so that the injured people didn't die immediately. That was all he could do right now, and it was enough so that he wouldn't get an earful from April later. Hearing shouts and sounds of combat not too far away, Naruto began to walk in that direction. His body tingled with pleasure. He was about to fight again. He didn't even realize how much he missed this until now. Stepping over the bodies, Naruto continued his trek. It was time to fight once again. April wanted to go help the townspeople. She really did. There wouldn't be a point to that though if she saved half the town only for the other half to be completely leveled to the ground. Besides, she entrusted the village to Naruto. Thus, she walked to the edge of the nearby forest and waited. He would be coming soon. What, so this is where you were hiding all this time, eh? In this pathetic dingy town, Quat, a man's voice appeared to April's left. The woman turned to the man she hated most in this world. Quat, hiding? Perhaps. But not from you, team. I have been hiding from my past. Quat. What, and do I not exist in your past, Kaizen. Wait, that's your name now, right? I remember that you used to have a different last name before you got married. Quat, the man crossed his arms. His thick hairy forearms were on display. What, are you mocking me, Quat? April glared. The wind picked up around her. Quat, you very well know that's my name now. It's the name of one of the few people that beat you. Quat. What, but at a great cost, no, Quat, the man noted. He looked down his hooked nose at her. His long ponytail trailed behind him. Quat, I did kill your husband, right? Now his name, I don't remember. But you, after our fight I researched you. April Kaizen, once April Senju, the greatest sky magic user in the country. One of the aces of fairy tale. Well known for her heavenly beauty and hellish strength. A true monster. Quat. April merely glared at the man. Quat, after all these years, after all this time since our first fight, tell me, can you still fly? Quat. Quat, I don't know. Blue Note Stinger. You tell me, Quat, April shouted. Quat, sky updraft. Quat. Quat full. Quat, Blue Note shouted. Two forces collided in that instant. One was the unfightable power of gravity pushing down with enough force to make the very earth crumple and bow. The other force was that of a dozen tornadoes pushing up against the sky defiantly and saying that the wind had no limits in this world. Magic flared around as the two spells clashed. Gravity and the sky fought against each other. The forest to the side of them tumbled. The earth below them crumbled. Everything around them fled. Crack. Crash. Swoosh. The two forces cancelled each other out and caused a massive backlash to spread across the area around the two fighters. April and Blue Note were left surrounded by a miniature wasteland. Despite the destruction, the fighters did not turn away from the other. They were too dangerous to be taken any other way other than seriously. Quat, you've gotten better. Quat, April noted with a glare. Quat, and you've gotten weaker. Quat, Blue Note smirked. Quat, that means I'm going to win this. Quat. April decided not to argue. Well, it wasn't that big of a difference. April was not in her prime. The illness took a bit of a toll from her. That did not mean that she would take his insults lying down. Quat, you think you can win, monkey? Fool. My element is the sky. My element is an alive force that causes the very heavens to shake. My element allows me to fly. Quat. Quat, you Quat, Blue Note's eyes flared in anger. Quat, and today, Blue Note. Quat, April was lifted up into the air as the sky swirled around her. Quat, you are going to fall. Quat. Quat, what the hell are you? Quat, the bald cultist exclaimed in fear. Quat, a shinobi. Quat, Naruto still held that small smile on his face even as he brought his elbow down and shattered the cultist's arm. Quat, I. Quat, the cultist screamed, clutched his broken arm and fell to the ground in pain. Quat, shut up. Quat, Naruto did an axe kick to the back of the cultist's head and knocked him out. Damn, Kit. I forgot how brutal you are to your enemies. Kurama grinned from behind his cage. I love it. Do more. Luckily, there's more of them in the town. Naruto mentally noted. The whiskered boy began to move through the village. He went to the place where he heard more screams. These cultists were fools. They had the tiniest bit of power, so they thought they were invincible. What they lacked, however, was skill. Well, Naruto had both more skill and power than any of the cultists. He could take them down with ease. It felt just like those old assassination days. Reminiscing, Naruto. Kurama barked out a laugh. You sound like an old man. Perhaps I have an old soul. Naruto suggested. That, or perhaps peace doesn't suit you as much as you would like to think. Kurama mentioned. That may very well be true. Naruto admitted. Perhaps being a mage won't be such a bad thing. At least I'll be able to go on jobs and missions. I can have real challenges to test my sky god, slayer magic, or at least something to make it work right. There you go, Naruto. The glass is half full and all that shit. Kurama chuckled. Naruto ignored that comment. Instead, he focused on his next fight. How would he break the next cultist? A shattered knee was always effective. Of course, a quick knockout would work too, but what would happen if they suddenly woke up and ran away? At least with a broken knee would make sure they couldn't do any more harm. Crack. Crash. Swoosh. Naruto channeled chakra through his feet so he wouldn't be sent flying. The ground below him rumbled. A shockwave spread through the village. Air rushed past the whiskered teen. It was like an explosion went off. Then it stopped. Naruto stopped covering his eyes. That was an effective, extremely powerful magic. He recognized one of those magical signals. April was fighting. Not only that, she was fighting without holding back. What did that speak for her enemy? How powerful was this threat? Another shockwave went off. Then another followed. This continued as several shockwaves blasted through the area. Naruto turned to where the waves of energy originated. That was a high-scale battle. This was something that was far beyond him. April and her opponent were certainly monsters that he couldn't even hope to lift a finger against. It was a battle that Naruto should in no way be a part of right now. For some reason, though, Naruto could no longer focus on the pathetic cultists that kept falling before him. April rushed in to meet the pony-tailed man. 4 narrow tornadoes danced around her. She had long since used her support magic to increase her body's endurance. While they were close magically, April would admit that Blue Note had more physical force than she did. Her magic would make sure that did not matter. The gruff man pushed the tornadoes away with a wave of his hand. The gravity stopped the tornadoes, but it did not stop April. The blonde woman continued to rush in with a guard raised. She sent a jab. Blue Note blocked with a forearm and grimaced in a bit of pain. The man then sent a hook at the smaller human's body. He made sure to push gravity magic behind it for an extra effect. April ducked under the attack and avoided it altogether. She then tried to punch the man's ribs. Blue Note caught this attack with a hand that he did not use to attack. He felt his bones ache under the pressure of her punch. The gravity magic user did not let go, though. Instead, he used his magic and tried to hit her with a wave of gravity. The force of the attack caused the ground to jump in the air, but it did not hit April. The woman had broken his hold and moved back before the wave of gravity could hit her. She also managed to dodge the boulders that rose into the air. But dust and rock stopping them from seeing each other, both combatants were blinded. April, however, knew Blue Note's location. She could use that. Quat sky quat, April brought her arms to her side and gathered a whirlwind of energy in her palms. The power of a hurricane was contained in her hands. The woman then spread her arms forward and yelled out. Quat spear quat. Unlike Naruto's sky spear, April's attack was not a straight vortex the width of an arm. Nope. April's attack was about 20 times bigger and more powerful than that. The massive vortex shot straight forward through the dust and earth. It then hit Blue Note. The man, however, was not harmed. He used his gravity to block the attack at the last possible second. The wind was stopped right in front of him, but it did fling dust in his eyes. Thus, he was once again blinded. This could explain how April got so close to him while he was blocking the wind. It also explained how Blue Note was hit with a powerful sidekick to his ribs. Quat ga quat, Blue Note spit out blood and held his side. Quat huff how do pant you like huff that quat, April felt exhausted and drained. Her stamina was depleted. The illness had taken far more from her than she originally thought. Quat ga quat, Blue Note straightened up. Quat excellent move but all that work seems to have exhausted you, eh quat. Quat nonsense quat, April glared at him. Quat oh quat, Blue Note held out a hand. Quat push dot quat. April barely managed to put up a shield made of wind. Even then, it wasn't enough. It blocked most of the blow, but it did not stop the attack completely. The force hit April and sent her rolling back. Quat ak quat, April pushed herself up. Quat you have injured me more than I thought anyone besides my master could. Even now, you still manage to fight as my equal. You truly can fly. Quat, Blue Note wiped the blood from his mouth. Quat but that is changing. You are falling. Quat. Quat quat, April glared at the man. Quat I didn't come here to kill you, Kaizen. Quat, Blue Note noted. Quat you spared me, after all. Quat. Quat not on my own will. Quat, April growled. Quat I was attempting to kill you mercilessly. If master did not show up and you didn't run. Quat. Quat still, there are so few people in this world that can fly. Why would I try to clip the wings of one of the few flying birds? Quat, Blue Note noted. Quat what do you want then? Quat, April questioned. Quat I want your notes on Sky God Slayer magic. Quat, Blue Note stated. Quat or more precisely, my master does. He thought this little invasion would enough of a distraction so that I would go unnoticed. Quat. Quat well, he can suck donkey balls. Quat, April snapped. Quat I don't have that book anymore. Quat. Quat you don't. Quat. Quat no, I gave it away. Even if you check my home, you will find nothing. Quat, April looked smug. It was true. Naruto kept that book with him always in his requip space. Quat you're telling the truth. I can see it in your eyes. Tell me, who has that book now? Quat, Blue Note demanded. Quat I'd rather die than tell you that. Quat, April glared. Blue Note sighed. Quat unfortunately, that's the backup plan. Master's orders of course. If we can't gain your research, you're no use to us. I could try to capture you and get you to tell us your secrets, but I doubt you would tell. Quat. Quat damn right I won't. Quat. Quat it's a shame. Quat, Blue Note noted. Quat in that book is the most detailed descriptions of every sky magic available. Not only that master seems to think that it holds something else. Something more. Something secret. Is it true, Quat? What, you know that I won't tell you anything about that book. Quat, April glared. Quat, I know, it's too bad. I would have wished to fight you again. Quat, Blue Note sighed. Quat, now the Sky Mistress must fall. Quat. Naruto had a bad feeling. That was not natural to him. There was no logic or reasoning to it. For some reason, Naruto had a gut instinct that something was going wrong. In all of his life, Naruto had never had such a feeling of dread. Despite having no real knowledge either way of what was happening, the whiskered boy somehow knew that April needed help. He didn't know how he knew, but he sure as hell knew. Thus, Naruto began to run to where April was fighting. He ignored the burning buildings, injured civilians, and evil cultists. The sound of Kurama's warnings in his mind fell on deaf ears. Naruto could focus on nothing else other than getting to April. Quat, oh swift wind that dashes through the heavens. Vernair Quat, Naruto shouted. His magic swirled around him. His speed was drastically increased. The blonde became a blur as he ran through the village. He was forced to jump and dodge the debris and people to avoid being tripped up. Naruto even jumped to the roof for a brief time, despite the flames. He didn't care about his injuries. Such things did not matter to him. While he was going, Naruto failed to realize something. In any other moment, it would have been extremely important to him. Usually, the whiskered shinobi sucked at enhancement magic. Now, he used it with ease. Hang on, April-sensei. Quat, April grunted in pain. Once again, she managed to block Blue Note's attack, but she could feel her body ache from the pain and pressure of the attack. The woman did not back down, though. She extended her arms out widely. She brought them together and clapped her hands. Quat, Skybreaker Quat. The air around Blue Note's head twisted. Two twin forces of wind smashed against the man's head. Blue Note shouted in pain and clutched his aching head. He then bent over and stumbled. This was a desperate attempt to regain his equilibrium and not fall over. The blonde quickly took advantage of this. She jumped into the air and flipped. April then came crashing down at breakneck speeds. The wind wrapped around her right leg as she brought it down. Her target was the back of Blue Note's neck. She was going to decapitate him. Quat, Sky Guillotine Quat. April's wind was definitely sharp enough to cut the man in half. Even when she was within a foot of hitting the man, a small cut appeared on the man's neck. A trickle of blood ran down from the small wound. At the last possible second, Blue Note flipped over. He brought his legs up and kicked the woman away from him before her attack could do any real damage. With the added gravity magic behind it, the kick landed in April's side and sent her flying off to the side. The woman tried to force herself up, but she found that was not possible to get up from her knees. Her arms were numb. Her legs were aching. Her body was too ill, tired, and beaten to do any more. Quat, April choked as blood ran up her throat and out her mouth. She lurched forward and spit the blood out on the ground in front of her. She clenched her eyes shut momentarily as her body ached in pain. It wasn't a long moment, but it was more than enough for Blue Note. Looking up, the blonde saw her opponent standing right in front of her. His look was a solemn one. He showed no pity or anger. It was a look of cold resolve. April tried to attack. Using all her willpower, she shoved an arm forward. Quat, Sky Quat. Blue Note slapped the hand away. Wind rushed past his body and created a deep crater behind him. The man was uninjured, though. Quat, nice try. Quat. Blue Note placed a palm on her face. He could still see her blue eyes. Most people would have eyes filled with terror. April's eyes only showed defiance, though. This only increased Blue Note's respect for the woman. Quat, push. Quat. The force of the gravity magic that rammed into April's face and body was unbelievable. April had her fair share of injuries in her lifetime. This, however, was different. Her bones shattered. Blood vessels popped. Major organs shifted and twisted. April was sent flying back. Her body was flung like a rag doll. She landed and rolled a few times before coming to a halt with her on her back. Her body lay there broken and unmoving. Quat, what the hell? Quat. Naruto ran face first into an invisible wall. He stumbled back and regained his bearings. The wall of air stood before him. After Naruto made contact with the wall, it became visible. It reached up high into the sky. It spread out wide enough that it would take Naruto several minutes to get around it. This must be why the shockwaves stopped. April must have discreetly put this shield up during her fight in order to prevent the shockwaves from hurting the people of the village. Either that, or it was meant to stop people from getting close. It was meant to keep Naruto from getting close. The whiskered boy did not have time to go around, and there was no way to jump over the wall. He would have to go through it. Placing his hands on the shield, Naruto tried to distort the sky magic wall. It did not work. April's skill was far above his in every way. It would take hours for him to take something so advanced like this. It also appeared that the wall was self-sustaining. Even if something happened to April, the wall would not fall until the magic put into it was used up. Thus, there was no way for a normal sky magic user to get through. I'm not normal, though. Naruto glared at the wall. It was then that Naruto opened his jaw widely. He lunged forward to the wall and bit it. His teeth sunk into the wall of wind. The piece of the sky shimmered and danced around him. Pulling back, Naruto began to swallow. Wind rushed down his throat. Usually, that would be for breathing. This time, however, the air went to his stomach. Air continued to be gathered around the whiskered boy's mouth. He swallowed as much as he could and as quickly as possible. This lasted for a few seconds until Naruto stopped the flow by biting down on the wind flowing into his mouth. But the pull stopped, the wind returned to the wall. This time, however, there was a hole. It was bigger than Naruto. The shinobi could get through with ease. "Naruto, did you just?" Kurama was gobsmacked. Well, he knew that Slayer magic allowed people to eat their element as long as it didn't originate from the Slayer, the Biju still didn't really believe it. Was it really possible to eat the sky like that? Naruto ignored Kurama. He jumped through the hole in the sky wall before it could close. The boy then continued his run to April. He was almost there. Blue Note stared at the body. He was prepared in case she started moving again and attacked him. Logically, that was impossible. He put enough force in that attack to take down a castle wall. Nevertheless, he was careful. April Kazan was not a woman who would go down easily. After a few moments, though, Blue Note got closer and looked at the body. It was not moving and not breathing. She was dead. Quad, and so another one falls. Quad. Blue Note looked up to the cloudy sky. Quad, even those who can fly cannot touch the sky forever. Quad. Stepping away from the body, Blue Note turned back to the forest. His mission was over. He could go search in her home, but it would probably be pointless. Kazan wasn't a liar, and he was. If Master Hades asked about it, Blue Note would say that he searched her home. Right now, though, Blue Note was tired and wounded. He just wished to go have a drink. Perhaps he would make a toast for April. She was one of the few people in this world that actually pushed him after all. The man began to walk. The edge of the forest was destroyed, but there were still trees in deeper. Once he was in cover, Blue Note would allow himself to relax a bit. Wait. Something was coming at him. Whirling around, Blue Note saw a 12-year-old boy running up to him at incredible speeds. In the boy's hand was a knife of some kind. It was pointed at his neck. Blue Note grabbed the boy's wrist and stopped the stabbing motion. He was then forced to block a knee strike with his other hand. The man thought he was safe for a brief moment until he saw another knife sticking to the bottom of the boy's free foot. Not wanting to be stabbed, Blue Note shoved the boy back with a bit of gravity magic. The force sent the whiskered boy flying back. Strangely enough, he landed on his feet. "What you quat?" The blonde glared at him. He then put his arms at his sides. He gathered wind around his palms and thrusted them forward. Quat sky spear quat. A straight vortex of wind shot at Blue Note. It was a lot smaller and slower than April's sky spear, but it was the same technique for sure. Unlike April's attack, though, Blue Note could swat the spear away with the back of his hand. "Kit. Don't fight this man." Kurama roared in Naruto's mind. "You aren't in his league. You'll die." But Naruto's eyes darted over to April's unmoving body for the briefest of seconds. "What you quat?" Blue Note stared at the boy. "Quat Kazan took an apprentice. Quat. What she did quat?" Naruto glared at him. Kurama was right. He could not fight this man and win. The monkey man beat April, and she was far better at combat than Naruto. "Quat interesting quat." Blue Note had a curious look. "Quat, tell me, do you think you can fly one day quat?" What kind of question is that quat?" Naruto asked. "Quat, a serious one. Answer it, or I'll kill you. Quat." Blue Note had a serious look on his face. "Quat, I don't know about flying, but I will tell you this quat." Naruto clenched his fists. "Quat, one day I will reach up and touch the sky with these hands. Quat." Blue Note gained a smile on his face. He began to chuckle lightly. "Quat, now that is an excellent answer. Maybe one day you will be a challenge to me. Out of respect to her, I'll spare you today. My name is Blue Note Stinger. Who are you quat?" "Quat Naruto Uzumaki. Quat." Naruto glared. "Quat Uzumaki quat." Blue Note turned. "Quat, I'll remember that, and I'll look forward to the day you attempt to kill me. You'll fail, but it will still be interesting. Quat." Blue Note began to walk away. Naruto did nothing to stop him. If he tried anything, then the man would kill him. That much was certain. So, Naruto did the only thing he could. He ran over to April and began to try and heal her. "Quat, how interesting quat," Blue Note noted as he moved through the forest. "Quat, that boy looked a bit like her with his hair and eyes. I heard she once tried life make magic from Master. Did she succeed? Quat." It was unlikely. That spell could not be done by normal mages. Gods like Zeref could do it with demons, and Master Hades could kind of do it a little bit. April, however, lacked the darkness for such a thing. Perhaps the similar appearances was a coincidence. Either way, April did have an apprentice. That means she was teaching him. Could she have possibly given him that book? It was possible, but Blue Note did not care to investigate. He would leave the boy out of his report. Hades did not need to know about him yet. The boy Uzumaki would need something to make him stronger. If he had the book, then he had all the keys needed to surpass April. And if he did that perhaps, Blue Note would have a challenge once again. Blue Note smiled. Quad, I do believe things are going to be a lot more interesting in the future. Quad. Quad ga quad, April's bruised eyes fluttered open. Quad Naruto quad. Quad April sensei. Quad. Naruto gained a relieved look as he looked up from his glowing hands over her torn stomach. He had been using his healing magic on her. Quad, you're awake. Quad. Quad, yeah, where did Blue Note go? Quad, April questioned. Quad, he left. Quad. Naruto turned his attention back to his healing work. Quad, don't worry. I'm fine, and you will be soon. Quad. Quad Naruto quad, blood dripped from April's mouth. Quad, my internal organs. Quad. Quad'll heal them. Just save your strength. Quad, Naruto insisted. April moved her hand up and cupped his cheek gently. Quad, look at me, Naruto. Quad. Quad, I need to keep focused. Quad. Quad, look at me. Quad, she ordered. Naruto obeyed. Quad, oh quad, tears appeared in her eyes. Quad, I always hoped that he would look like you. Quad. Quad April sensei. Quad, Naruto was confused. Quad, why must you call me that? Have I not been a mother to you? Naruto. Quad, April questioned. Quad, what did she try to call him? Quad, I wish I had more time. Quad, April began to cry openly. Hot tears rolled down her face to her quivering lips. Quad, I wanted to see you smile more. I would help you gain a bit of humanity, and I wanted to be there when you fell in love. Then you would get married and I would get grandchildren. Quad. Quad April sensei. Quad, Naruto frowned at her. Quad, don't call me that. Quad, April demanded. Quad, call me Kasan. Quad. Naruto was shocked into silence. Quad, is that too much to ask? Quad, April cried. Quad, I always wanted to be a mom. Is that such a bad thing? Quad. Quad, no, I don't believe so. Quad, Naruto shook his head. Quad, you would have made you are a great mother. Quad. April gave him a smile. Quad, thank you. Quad. They were silent for a moment. Naruto had an emotionless face while April was crying. Quad, in my study is my will. Quad, April spoke again. Quad, follow it please. Quad. Naruto was silent. Quad, and I need to tell you why I always believed you. I know about everything. Quad, April noted. Quad, Azura, she's Quad. Quad, she's what? Quad. Quad, nothing. Quad, April shook her head. Quad, look in the book. Quad. Quad, the book. Quad. Quad, yes. Be strong, Naruto. Find friends, smile more, and remember your dream. Don't forget it. Quad. April gently reached up to grab with the last of her strength. She then pulled him down to him. Quad, and I love you, Naruto. Quad. Her arms went slack. Quad April sensei. Quad. He sat up and looked at her closed eyes and peaceful expression. Quad April. Quad. April was dead. Quad Kasan. Quad. Quad, we got everyone. Quad. One of the cultists sneered at the cages of people. They were all sobbing, desperately crying out for mercy and help. The cultists just ignored them. Quad, what happened to these guys, though? Quad. Another cultist looked down at the unconscious bodies of the cultists that fought Naruto. Quad, no way a civilian could do this. Quad. A third cultist spoke up. Quad is a mage here. Quad. Quad, why would he do this to a few of us and run off, though? Quad, the first cultist questioned. Quad, we still got these slaves. Quad. Quad, maybe one of the unconscious guys killed him. Quad, the second cultist spoke. Quad, I guess, but Quad. A small noise sounded out. It was the sound of brick being dug into and cracked, like a stick being dragged from through the dirt, except a lot louder. The sound was coming from down the road. The three cultists that were speaking, the other dozen men that were with them, and the people in cages turned to the noise. They saw Naruto. He was walking by the houses and dragging his hand across the walls. His fingers dug into the wall and left 5 scratches in his wake. Quad, hey, you left a brat. Quad, a cultist yelled out. Quad, I got him. Quad, a fat cultist grumbled and lifted up his spear. He walked towards Naruto and pointed his spear at the blonde. Quad, don't move, or you're dead, brat. Quad. Quad, I understand now. Quad, Naruto's head was bent over. His spiked hair hid his features. Quad, this is what I felt at the masked man. Quad. Quad, hey. I said not to move. Quad, the fat man rushed forward with his spear. Quad, sky god strike. Quad, Naruto mumbled. Black wind whirled around his free fist. He dodged the cultist's stab and struck the man across the face. The fat man was sent flying into the house on the other side of the road. Naruto then stopped dragging his hand behind him on the wall and opened his fist. That revealed his clawed hands. Quad, what the hell? Quad. Quad, he must be the mage that hurt our comrades. Quad. Quad, well, we outnumber him. Let's kill him. Quad. Quad, when I looked at that man I felt a twinge of anger. Quad, Naruto lifted his head up a little. This revealed his deeper whisker marks and sharpened teeth. Quad, that was nothing, though. Compared to this. This is real emotion. I thought it was pointless before, but I see the point now. Quad. The cultists all rushed at Naruto. Magic seals formed around them as they prepared their spells. They were sure that altogether, their attacks would kill the boy. They froze when Naruto looked up completely and showed them his red slitted demon eyes. What, I get it now. Emotions explain the situation when logic can't. Quat, Naruto glared at them. Quat, but I don't feel sad or even angry. No, I feel hatred. I hate all of you. Quat. Black wind twirled around Naruto's whole body. A miniature hurricane danced around him and hugged him close. He looked like an all-powerful demon to the cultists. What are you? Quat, one of the cultists trembled. Quat, are you a demon of Zeref? Quat. Quat, no, I'm just the guy that hates you and is going to kill you. Quat, Naruto roared. He took a deep breath and gathered magic into his stomach. Quat, sky gods bellow. Quat. Naruto's breath attack came out like a black whirlwind of energy. The hurricane hit most of the cultists and defeated them instantly. A few of them remained conscious through the attack. That was a good thing, though, because Naruto was not done yet. Quat, sky gods. Quat, Naruto gathered black wind around the hands at his sides. He thrusted them forward. Quat, spear. Quat. The straight vortex beam was larger and more powerful than the one he sent at Blue Note. This one was over twice the size of the last spear of air. It flew at a speed that the cultists could barely see. When it hit two of the remaining cultists, they were sent flying into the houses down the road. With a loud groan of cracking wood, the buildings quickly collapsed from the last bit of damage, covering the downed cultists in splinters and rubble. The last cultist immediately realized his situation. He fell back on his butt in fear. His spear fell out of his hands, and he was left defenseless. Quat, please. Have mercy. Quat. Quat, mercy. Quat, the red-eyed boy walked up to the man. He kicked the cultists and held him down with a foot. Quat, do you even know such a word? Quat. Quat, don't kill me. Quat, the man pleaded. Quat, oh, I'm going to kill you. Quat, Naruto gave his enemy a small smile. It made the new slayer look even more demonic and fearsome. Hey, April did say to smile more. Quat, the only question is how painful will your death be? Quat. Quat, and no. Quat. Naruto's right hand straightened into a knife hand. Black wind wrapped around his arm and formed a spinning drill. Quat, sky god sword. Quat. The blonde held the drill sword to the cultist's throat. Quat, who is Blue Note Stinger and why were you working with him? Quat. Quat, be Blue Note. Quat, the cultist trembled. Quat, I don't know much. We were told to come here. Apparently, there's a monster that lived by here, but our anonymous benefactor said he would send his own monster to kill it for us. Quat. Quat, I see, so he was supporting you. Quat, Naruto growled out a snarl. Quat, the cult of Zeref, he supports Zeref. Quat. Quat, please let me go. Quat, the man whimpered. Quat, no. Quat, Naruto raised a drill of wind and then plunged it into the man's chest. Quat, Quat, the cultist screamed in pain as he was impaled. His chest was torn open as the wind sliced his skin apart. Skin splintered and split with a disgusting squelching noise. When Naruto stopped and pulled his arm out, all that was left in the man's chest was a gaping hole. Turning away from the corpse, Naruto walked to the cage of prisoners. They were all covering their ears and had their eyes shut in terror. When he passed the cage, Naruto grabbed the door and ripped it off its hinges. He did not speak to them as he walked away. He did not care about them. Quat, wait. Nai-san. Quat, Sora's voice called out. Naruto stopped his walk. He looked over his shoulder dully. Quat, I'm not your brother. Quat. Quat, Quat, the girl teared up. Quat, thank you. You saved us. Don't worry. We won't tell anyone on you. Quat. Quat, like I care. Quat, Naruto looked away and began walking again. He didn't look back. Naruto looked down at the grave. He had buried April behind their home. Using his magic, Naruto carved her name into a makeshift gravestone. April Kazan. A loving mother and mage of fairy tale. The whiskered preteen sat on his knees in front of his grave. He had been sitting here for a long time. Most of his demonic features faded as his anger dwindled away into grief. His eyes did not change back, though. The red eyes stayed on his face as he stared longingly into Dot. Kid, are you okay? Kurama questioned. No, I'm not. Naruto growled mentally. You're subconsciously channeling a bit of my chakra into your eyes. Kurama noted. As long as you hold on to this hatred, you'll keep doing it. Do you want me to cut off the connection? I don't care. Just leave it. Naruto mentioned. You shouldn't be put out because I decided to start feeling. I'm sorry, Naruto. I know you cared for her. Kurama mentioned. Thank you, Kurama. Naruto closed his eyes. It hurt. April was the only human Naruto ever cared for. She was kind and cared for him without asking for anything in return. Now, she was gone. She was taken away from him by Blue Note by the people that followed Zeref. April was gone and Naruto would never see her again. Naruto felt something hot and wet run down his face. When he investigated what it was, Naruto found that it was tears. Wiping one of the tears away, Naruto peered at it while letting the rest of them fall. It had been a long time since Naruto last cried. He was never allowed to cry when he was a toddler. Crying would ensure punishment. The boy quickly learned that it was better just to stop crying. It led to less pain. Now, though, the pain was too much. Quad April Ka-san quad, Naruto looked down at the grave. Quad I'll miss you. Quad. Wiping his tears, Naruto looked up to the sky. He reached out. The sky was there. It seemed even more prevalent than ever. It now stood bright before him. At the same time, though, it seemed further away than ever. Pulling his hand back, Naruto formed a fist. He stared at it. Quad also as a god slayer, you will be tasked with slaying those who call themselves gods. Quad, Azura noted. Quad I cannot tell you who your enemy is, but you will find out soon enough. Your enemy shall make himself known to you. Quad. Those were some of Azura's last words to him. They always stuck out in his brain. He always wondered why she said that. Naruto never really intended to make enemies, but. Quad yes. Be strong, Naruto, find friends, smile more and remember your dream, don't forget it. Quad. April gently reached up to grab with the last of her strength. She then pulled him down to him. Quad and I love you, Naruto. Quad. Blue Note took April away from him. The worshippers of Zeref took April away from him. Zeref took April away from him. Zeref was a god in the eyes of many. Naruto was a god slayer. He now understood everything. There was a reason why Azura wanted to bring him here. He always knew that there would be a catch. The boy just wanted to be free from Konoha, so that didn't matter to him. Now, though, it meant the world to him. Naruto's red eyes gleamed in anger and grief. Black wind began to swirl around him. Quad my enemy is Zeref. Quad. Naruto decided that he enjoyed trains. They were very convenient in order to get to your destination, and they conserved energy. Thus, the now 13-year-old had a lot of free time to kill. When this happened, Naruto would train, read, or watch the sky. Of course, Naruto couldn't do any training on the train. That was something he found rather humorous and ironic. He couldn't train on the train because his Sky God Slayer magic would tear his compartment apart. Thus, Naruto was left with his other two pastimes. It was a beautiful day, but when Naruto watched the sky, he tended to think about confusing things. He did not want to do that now, at least with a difficult situation was coming up. So, the whiskered teen was left with reading, and, like it had always been the past couple of months, the God Slayer only had two things he wanted to read. He had long since lost count of how many times he read through April's book of notes. Even before her death, he spent hours upon hours peering into that book. Before, it was to learn more about Sky God Slayer magic. Now, though, he continued to look for any secret he could find in that book. Yet, there was nothing there. April said before her death to look in the book, but Naruto had yet to find out what she wanted him to find. He tried everything he could think of. Magic, special ink, and even trying to decode the pages did nothing. This didn't stop him from trying to figure out what secret this book held, but he needed a clue to figure out what to do. Putting that book in his requip space, Naruto pulled out his other reading material. The boy was sure that he read through April's will more times than even the book. Granted, it took a lot less time, but Naruto did read each part of the will carefully after retrieving it from April's study. His teacher left him everything. The house, her money, and all her books were all his now. Naruto was grateful he had so much left to remember her. Although he didn't plan to stay there a lot, he was also grateful to have a home to go to. Besides this, though, April left him instructions to follow. Some of them were simple, such as taking care of her garden and to make sure to eat right. Other things were far more complicated. Naruto never knew that April had so many different friends that she wanted to know about her passing. The boy had to deal with a lot of people crying. Naruto was not good with crying people. There were other things as well. They were complicated things that Naruto wasn't sure that he wanted to do. Nevertheless, Naruto knew he would have to try and complete all of them at some point except for one. Unfortunately, Naruto was not allowed to start on doing the tasks left to him by April right after her death. It turned out that Magic Council was interested in one of the few times that the cult of Zera failed to complete their kidnapping attempts. They investigated the incident heavily and interrogated the citizens, including Naruto. The whiskered boy was glad that none of the people told the council representatives and Rune Knights about his involvement. It would be bad if they were suddenly aware that April Kazin had an apprentice god slayer that murdered all the cultists. Luckily, he was quickly overlooked as a simple boy and even made an effort to hide his hair, whisker marks, and red eyes from the authorities so they couldn't identify him later. It was quite simple to hide his features when Naruto used a henge and acted like a simple morning boy. Naruto did note that the Rune Knight searched April's home. Luckily, Naruto already took everything of importance out of the building. Thus, after their search turned up nothing, the Knights left the town altogether. The people of Trafalgar was left to rebuild or to leave the area altogether. The teen wasn't sure which they'd do considering all the people that died there. He didn't care what they did, though. As soon as the Knights left, so did Naruto. He went to follow April's instructions. The whiskered teen traveled across Fiori. Nothing very notable happened in those few months. Most of the time was spent informing old friends of April's death, returning borrowed books and items, and even repaying old favors. As he traveled, Naruto continued to hone his magic. It was strange how natural it was now, and he felt the need to use it. Luckily, there was no shortage of dark guilds. He could beat up on them however much he wanted. In order to avoid drawing too much attention, he made sure to keep them alive, though. The teen even felt nice enough to contact some authorities anonymously so they could arrest the dark mages. This wasn't just done for amusement and training, though. Naruto was also searching for information. He was looking for anything on the cult of Zeref, Blue Note, or even the Black Mage Zeref himself. Nothing turned up for the two later subjects, but there were whispers about the cult. The Tower of Heaven was something Naruto heard a lot. It was something the cultists were building. They were using slaves in order to build it too. So that was why they were trying to abduct people from Trafalgar. It made sense, but that did not mean that Naruto liked the idea. As a strong believer of freedom, Naruto was appalled by the idea of slavery. It disgusted him. So, while he really didn't give a damn about the people, Naruto decided that the Tower of Heaven had to go. Just as he got close to finding it, though, Naruto found out something strange. Someone beat him to the punch. The cult of Zeref and the Tower of Heaven seemed to hit a snag when the slaves revolted. It seems that the desire for freedom caused them to lash out on their own just like Naruto did almost 3 years ago. So that was something Naruto could cross off his to-do list. In fact, a lot of things were already crossed off. He was almost done with April's last requests, or at least the ones that Naruto felt he could do. There was only one more thing he needed to do. One more message that he had to give. Feeling the train come to a stop, Naruto put April's will away. It seems that he arrived to his destination. Exiting the train, Naruto stepped out into the famous city of Magnolia. He had saved this for last. After this, he was done. It was time to meet Fairy Tail. What did you hear what Fairy Tail did quat? What yeah, they're a wild bunch, huh? They keep causing property damage and stepping on the council's toes. Quat. What at least they keep things interesting. Quat. Walking through the bustling city, Naruto kept his ears open. People often gave away information to him without even realizing it. After all, Naruto had honed senses that were far above a normal human's. He could hear that conversation from far down the street. This wasn't news to him, though. Everyone knew that Fairy Tail had a habit of being destructive. People always complained about it and Naruto could kind of see why. If someone destroyed April's home, Naruto would either beat that person within an inch of his or her life or kill them. It depends if Naruto thought if he could get away with it. It wouldn't be smart to go on a rampage that got him labeled a dark mage. On the other hand, it was just stuff that people were complaining about. They didn't seem to have the ties to the objects like Naruto did. They just liked their money and stuff. So, Naruto didn't really sympathize with them. Without memories, stuff meant nothing other than monetary value. It wasn't like Fairy Tail was hurting people physically after all. What hey what's with that kid quat? What why he's dressed like that? How does he even see quat? What is he a wizard? He looks weird enough to be one. Quat. That was something Naruto heard a lot. When he started traveling again, Naruto began to wear Anbu armor over his chest and forearms again. They were over his long-sleeved navy shirt. Over his black pants were the various pouches and holsters on his belt and legs. This way he wouldn't have to use his containment seals or his requip space for his kunai and shuriken. Unlike most shinobi, Naruto didn't wear sandals. He preferred something that would protect his toes a little bit. Getting your toe cut off in battle tended to be distracting. Naruto knew that because he used that trick all the time back in his days in Root. Thus, he went with steel-toed boots. No need to lose a toe after all. What confused most people was the headband, though. The metal of the headband had the Uzumaki spiral on it. The black cloth of the headband was pulled down enough to cover most of Naruto's eyes. He could still see a bit, but no one could see his eyes without being completely below the teen. This way, no one would freak out over his demonic eyes. Of course, he could just squint, but that was annoying. Crash. Crack. Of course, there were downsides to the headband thing too. Sometimes, Naruto accidentally bumped into stuff. That was another reason the boots were good. They prevented a lot of stubbed toes. What, the fruit stand owner gasped. Quat, you broke my stand. All my fruit is ruined. Quat, my apologies. Quat, Naruto did a respectful bow. Quat, I don't want your apologies. I want you to pay for all this. Quat, the stand owner cried. Quat, unfortunately, I will not do that. Quat, Naruto came up from his bow. What the hell you won't? Quat, the stand owner exclaimed. Quat, I need my money to buy things later. Quat, Naruto argued. Quat, and I need money to support my family. Quat, the stand owner was getting red in the face. Quat, well, maybe you should think about that next time before you put your stand in the middle of the busy street. Quat, Naruto suggest. What I'm at the side of the road just like every other stand quat. The man looked like he was about to pop a vein. What then how come I hit this stand and none of the other ones quat? Naruto questioned. Quat this stand must have been further out than the others. It was a tripping hazard. You're luckily I'm not injured. Quat. Quat please. Your foot hit my table's leg and caused it to explode quat, the man shouted. Quat you must be using magic to make your body stronger quat. Quat you are incorrect. My foot is just stronger than your stand was. Quat, Naruto shrugged. Quat once again, I apologize. Good day. Quat. Quat no. Don't go anywhere. Hey, someone call the cops or something quat. The stand owner turned away for a split second to address the other people. He turned back to where Naruto was. Quat I'll make you pay one way or where'd he go quat. Naruto was gone. Quat damn it quat. Quat Gildert's Ajisen quat, Fu exclaimed as the man walked into the guild hall. The mint-haired girl wore a bright yellow shirt with a smiley face on the front and blue shorts. Quat damn it, brat. I'm not that old quat, Gildert's grumbled. When the ace of Fairy Tail walked into the guild hall, everyone cheered and greeted him. This was a common occurrence when the orange-haired man returned. He was often away on missions, so it was a rare occasion to see him. Everyone was glad to see him, but the children of the guild were especially excited to see their goal and role model. Quat you look pretty damn old to me quat, Gray, a youth around Fu's age noted. He had spiky black hair, blue eyes, and had the odd tendency to randomly strip off his clothes. Quat Gray quat, Kana sighed. This card mage girl had brown hair and eyes. Quat your shirt is gone. Quat. Quat not again quat, Gray began to frantically search for his missing shirt. Quat hey, Gildert's Ajisen quat, Fu bounced up to the man. Quat how was your job quat? Quat pretty sucky quat, Gildert sighed. Quat I looked in that desert for that demon everyone's talking about, but I couldn't find it. I think it's smart enough not to challenge people that are a threat to it but let's forget about that. What happened while I was gone quat? Quat we got a new guild member. She's about my age and is pretty tough quat. Quat really quat, Gildert's grinned at the mint-haired girl. Quat tougher than you quat. Quat she wishes quat, Fu puffed out her cheeks. Quat hey Urza. Get over here quat. Quat huh-oh, right quat, the red-haired girl lifted her head a bit from her table. Oddly enough, she seemed to wear armor over her white blouse and blue skirt. Her brown eyes showed caution at the strange man. Quat Urza, this is the old man. Old man, this is Urza Scarlet quat, Fu gestured to both of them. Gildert's bopped Fu gently on the head. Quat not old, and it's nice to meet you, Urza. Quat. Quat yes, it's a pleasure to meet you as well. Quat, Urza bowed her head. Quat I have heard a lot about you. Quat. Quat a brat with actual respect. That's rare quat, Gildert's laughed. Quat she's kind of new. Quat, Fu stated. Quat that's why she hasn't shown a lot of her weirdness yet. My guess is that she's the strict type of person, though. Quat. Quat oh. We might need one of those to keep us all in line. Quat, Gildert's ruffled Urza's hair, much to her annoyance. Quat why yes quat, Urza glared at him. Quat you cause far too much destruction. The town even had to be modified so you could get through it without any destruction, right quat? Quat ha 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 ha. Yeah. It sure as hell cost less than repairing all the buildings I destroy quat, Gildert's broke out laughing. Quat is that what that large pathway was for? I was wondering why the whole city shifted when I got close to this place. Quat. Quat yeah, kid. It confuses a lot of tourists and newbies like you quat, Gildert's blinked. Quat wait is there another new kid besides Urza quat? Quat nope. Quat, Fu shook her head. Gildert stepped to the side and looked to the person that was behind him. It was a strange blonde-haired boy wearing a headband that covered his eyes almost completely. Quat hello. Quat, he greeted. Quat he quat, Fu waved over to the new boy. Quat are you here to join the guild quat? Quat I have to speak with Master Dreyer. I have a message to him and the rest of the guild from April Kazan. Quat. Quat April quat, Gildert's tilted his head. Quat wait you're her brat. The kid she decided to train quat. Quat I am. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. Quat. Quat wow. Does that means April's back in town quat, Gildert smiled at the thought of meeting his old friend again. Quat no I should probably explain this to everyone at once. It will be better that way. Quat, Naruto mentioned. Quat alright. Quat, Gildert's looked to the bar. Makarov wasn't there. Quat hey Macau, is the master in his office quat? Quat yeah, I'll go get him. Quat, a man with slick back dark blue hair got up and headed to the back of the guild hall. Quat thank you. This won't take quat, Naruto paused when he saw the two girls who was with them staring. Quat is there a problem quat? Quat you're wearing armor quat, Urza noted. She never saw another child around her age wear armor. Quat I am. Quat, Naruto nodded. Quat is that a problem quat? Quat no it's just strange, or so I've heard. Quat, Urza frowned and looked away. Quat menu? Is there something wrong quat, Naruto questioned. Fu paused and listened to a voice in her head. Be careful, Fu girl. That boy is a jinchkriki like you. He contains the kikbi. Fu smiled. Quad of course not, number 9. My name is Fu. Quad. Hit, she contains one of my weaker siblings. Kurama mentioned. Which one? Meta doesn't really matter, but she has Shmei in her. The annoying bug always going on and on about luck. The only reason he does that though is because he's so weak he has to rely on luck. Kurama chuckled. But Shmei has 7 tails, right? That's pretty powerful. Not compared to me. Quad I see quad, Naruto stated cautiously. Quad it's a pleasure, number 7. Quad. This left the rest of the guild stumped. Why were they calling each other by numbers? How odd. Quad so you're April's apprentice, huh quad, Makarov Dreyer was a very short thin man. In order to even be able to look Naruto in the eyes on even level, the master has to sit on the bar. He was very visibly going bald and growing old. Despite this, he was still one of the most powerful mages in the country. Even April, Blue Note and Gilderts probably wouldn't win in a one-on-one fight. What I am, Master Dreyer. Quad, Naruto bowed respectfully. What Master Dreyer ha 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 quad, Makarov burst out laughing. Quad a brat with actual respect and from April that's hilarious quad. Quad well to be fair, April was pretty polite to everyone but you and me quad, Gilderts rubbed the back of his head. Quad for good reason quad, Makarov held up his beer and cheered. He was copied by the rest of the guild. He took a big swig of the alcohol. Quad now, tell me how is that brat of mine doing quad? Quad I quad, Naruto had told this to so many people before. Nevertheless, it never got easier to admit that someone you loved so dearly was gone. Quad I quad. Quad you okay, Gaki quad, Makarov raised an eyebrow. Quad cat got your tongue quad. Quad ka April sensei has sent me here with a message. Quad, Naruto felt his throat go dry. Quad oh? Is she finally moving back here quad, Makarov smiled. Quad no, she's quad, Naruto took a deep breath. Quad she's dead. Quad. Silence. Everyone was staring at him. Their looks were that of shock and disbelief at how he could even consider thinking about saying that sentence. The oldest members were frozen in shock. Makarov even dropped his mug. It shattered on the floor with a crash. Quad you quad, Gilderts grabbed Naruto's shoulder and glared down at him. Quad how dare you even joke about that quad. Quad I'm not joking. I buried my sensei myself. She's gone. Quad, Naruto turned to the large man. The teen had his hands behind his back. Quad April's dead quad, Mikao looked extremely pale. Quad that shouldn't be possible. Quad, the blonde man beside Mikao looked ready to drop to the floor. Quad I apologize for having to deliver this last message of hers. Quad, Naruto spoke to the guild. Quad she wanted you to know that she never stopped loving this guild. Quad. Quad how could you quad, Gilderts was ready to snap the boy in half. Either this was a cruel joke or the kid was treating April's death like it was nothing. The cloaked man paused, however. Unlike the rest of the guild besides Makarov, the ace of fairy tale could see the boy's hands, even if it was just a little bit. Naruto's hands were trembling as he stood before them. His face was blank and his eyes were hidden, but the boy could not hold back the grief completely. Quad I'm sorry Naruto, was it? That you had to deliver such a terrible message. Quad, Makarov eyed the boy in pity. Quad now tell me. Who would dare to kill one of my brats? Quad. Naruto rarely felt fear. He faced Kurama on a daily basis and trained with April after all. When Makarov's voice growled that sentence out in absolute anger, the teen couldn't fight back the shiver that went up his spine. This was not the man to pick a fight with. Quad it all happened when the cult of Zeref attacked the town near our home. Quad. Urza had to fight back a gasp. She clenched the beside her table in anger. Quad but they were not the ones to kill her. Quad, Naruto stated. Quad no, the man that took April from this world was Blue Note Stinger. Quad. Quad Blue Note Stinger. Quad, Gilderts gave Makarov a side glance. Quad that's the man. Quad. Quad yes. Quad, Makarov sighed. Quad it would be hard for anyone to find him. He has a good ability to stay hidden. Quad. Quad hey Quad, Mikao jumped to his feet. Quad if April really died like that why wasn't there an announcement or something? Quad. Quad I believe that the Magic Council wished to conceal the incident. They don't like people knowing that they are not all powerful. Quad, Naruto shrugged. Quad besides I think they fear anything that involves Zeref to the point that they will do anything to make it disappear. Even to the point of ignoring the facts. Quad. Quad damn it April deserves better than that. Quad, Gilderts growled. Quad to be pushed aside and forgotten by the Magic Council. Quad. Quad my sensei will never be forgotten. I will not let that happen. Quad, Naruto frowned at them. Quad yeah Quad, Makarov looked around the guild hall. He noted the somber mood now. The master of fairy tale didn't want to make this worse right now, so he leaned forward and whispered. Quad Naruto, I think we should discuss the rest in private. Quad. Naruto nodded. That would definitely be best. Quad so Quad, Makarov sighed as he sat at his desk. Quad I'm guessing that there's more to this. Quad. What yes. Quad, Naruto nodded. What hey, brat quad, Gilderts eyed the boy as the older man leaned against the wall. Quad why did you wait so long to come here and tell us? You did say that this happened a long time ago. Quad. Quad I had to follow April's will. She left instructions for me. Quad, Naruto explained. Quad I had to tell everyone that cared about this. I kind of procrastinated with this last message. I spent a lot of time avoiding coming here. Quad. Quad hey Quad, Mikao was sitting on a couch nearby. Quad it's alright, kid. Quad. Quad yeah Quad, Wakaba mind blew out smoke from his cigarette. Quad it must have been hard on you. Quad. Makarov allowed the most veteran mages in the guild to come to this meeting. They were the ones that knew April the best and they deserved to know everything that happened. Naruto did not protest. He heard good things about them from April. Quad no it was my weakness and stubbornness. Quad, Naruto sighed. Quad I spent a lot of time investigating into those people who attacked the town. I was close to finding a way to track the cultists down but it turns out that they created their own downfall. Quad. Quad yes Urza told us about that. Quad, Makarov nodded. Quad don't be surprised if she comes to talk with you. Quad. Naruto nodded. Quad what were you even doing trying to track them down? Quad, Gilderts questioned. Quad did you want revenge? Quad. Quad yes. I plan to brutally kill all of them. Quad, Naruto stated without hesitation. Quad damn don't talk like that kid. Quad, Mikao shuddered at the coldness. Quad kid, even if you did track them down, I doubt you could have done anything to them. Quad, Wakaba mentioned. Quad no, I think that you could back up your words. Quad, Makarov stared at the boy. He examined him closely. The master of fairy tale sensed great power from him. It was a familiar power. Quad I see you learned from April's research, huh? You learned Sky God Slayer magic. Quad. Quad I did. Quad, Naruto lifted his hand and revealed the swirling black wind surrounding it. Quad you did, but not even April. Quad, Gildert's jaw dropped at the sight. Quad I see. Quad, Makarov frowned at the boy. Quad and is that the way April would have wanted you to use the power she taught you? To kill and to ruin lives. Quad. Quad no, she wouldn't. Quad, Naruto admitted. Quad but I don't care. This is my life and I get to choose how I live it. That is my right. Quad. Quad true. Quad, Makarov nodded. Quad but I don't think you're the type to forget your teacher's instructions. Quad. Quad you're right I will never forget her words. Quad, Naruto frowned in though. He would never forget a Pearl's last physical words to him or the letter that she left him in her will. Quad that is why I am even here. She wanted me to join the guild. Quad. Quad I see then, I'll go ahead and ask you. Quad, Makarov smiled at the boy. Quad do you want to join Fairy Tail? Quad. Quad no. Quad, Naruto shook his head. Quad what? Quad, Gilderts blinked. Quad but I thought. Quad. Quad April did want me to join the guild. It was one of her last wishes, but I can't do it. I will not fit in here. Quad, Naruto shook his head. Quad I have a complicated past and I'm sure that I'll have an even more complicated future. I will be forced to do things that no legal mage should do. If I stay here, I will only drag Fairy Tail's name through the mud. I cannot not do that to the guild that Ka-san loved so much. Quad. None of the older men in the room missed what Naruto called April. They decided not to comment on it. Quad you're not going to join a dark guild, are you? Quad, Mikao asked in caution. Quad no. Quad, Naruto shook his head. Quad I will not join that scum. I will be an independent mage. I will work in the gray area in order to accomplish my goals. Quad. Quad and those are? Quad, Gilderts questioned. Quad I have two dreams in my life. One I will obtain absolute freedom to the point that I can be compared to the sky. The second. Quad, Naruto lifted up his headband. Quad I will destroy everyone and everything related to Zeref. Quad. They all stared in shock at his demonic eyes. Quad thank you for listening to me, Master Dreyer. Quad, Naruto lowered his headband and turned away from them. Quad though I may not be a wizard of this guild, I shall always be its ally because it is the precious guild that Ka-san loved so much. Quad. With that, Naruto walked out of the office and back to the guild. Quad you okay, Grey? Quad, Kana questioned. Quad a Quad, the stopped staring off into space and turned to her. Quad yeah I'm fine. Quad. Quad oh you just look distracted. Quad. Quad I guess. Quad, Grey looked away. He could sympathize with that Naruto kid. Losing your teacher like that it didn't feel good. Despite the blonde's cool-headed appearance, Grey was sure the guy was hurting on the inside. Quad well. Quad, Kana looked over to Urza and Fu. They were both looking off into space as well. Quad you're not the only one. Quad. The guild was unusually quiet. That was understandable. It wasn't often that they lost a member like this. Even the kids felt sad, though they never got to meet the woman. They heard stories, of course, but they would have liked to meet her at least once. It was then that the door to the back opened. Everyone turned to see Naruto enter the guild hall. He passed by all of them and head towards the door. The boy didn't stop to look at them for even a passing glance. Quad hey Quad, Kana said to the boy as he grew close to their table. Quat, do you want to join us? I can read your fortune. Quat. Quat, no, I don't. Quat. Naruto walked by their table and kept going. Quat, goodbye. Quat. Quat, hey Quat, Kana glared at the boy. He did not stop. Quat, hey Quat, Kana grabbed an empty bottle and threw it at the boy. The bottle flew at the back of his head. At the last possible second, Naruto turned around and caught the bottle like it was nothing. He then placed it on a nearby table. Quat, what Quat? Quat, wah? How did you catch that while you're blindfolded? Quat, Kana questioned. Quat, I am a trained shinobi. I am a master of stealth and grace. Even if I can't see completely, my battle skill will not allow a sneak attack to get to me. Quat. Naruto turned and began to walk away. Crash. Naruto tripped over a chair and destroyed it. Quat, although I do tend to trip over stuff when I am not in danger. Quat, Naruto mentioned. He pushed himself up and bowed to the room. Quat, I apologize for breaking your chair. Next time, you should not put it in my way. Quat. Quat, don't act like it's our fault. Quat, Kana exclaimed. Quat, my apologies again. Quat. Naruto came up from his bow and turned to leave once again. He made it out the door before he felt someone grabbed him. Quat, wait. Quat, Urza spoke to him. Quat, yes Quat, Naruto questioned. The other children came with her. They all stood outside the guild as the doors closed behind them. Quat, Urza stared at him as she released his arm. Quat, are you not going to join the guild? Quat. Quat, no. I have goals that I need to accomplish. Being a part of this guild will only limit the freedom and time I have to accomplish those goals. Quat, Naruto answered. Quat, and those goals, do they have to do with the cult of Zeref? Quat, Urza questioned. Quat, they do. Quat, Naruto nodded. Quat, don't let revenge cloud your mind. Quat, Urza warned. Quat, I don't want to see more people fall into madness because of Zeref. Quat. Quat, do not worry. I will not let myself fall too far into the darkness. Quat, Naruto mentioned with a nod. Quat, you sure you don't want to stay? Quat, Gray questioned. Quat, from what I've seen, you seem to be weird enough to fit in, and I'm sure that it would help you after what happened. Quat. Naruto got the feeling that these children were speaking from personal experience in these matters. April did say that Fairy Tail was a guild that accepted people, even if they had darker pasts and personal issues. That was probably why April wanted him to join the guild. It would be good for him. Even Naruto knew that. For the briefest of moments, Naruto considered joining the guild. It was one of April's last requests after all, and these children, they had pain themselves. They could understand Naruto a little. He quickly dismissed the thought, however. This was not the choice he decided on. His path was not one bathed in light. Quat, no. Quat, Naruto shook his head. Quat, I don't think that's a good idea. I am not looking for the opportunity to find peace. I am not looking to heal or to find comrades. All I want is to fulfill my responsibilities. Quat. Quat, responsibilities? Ha. Quat, Fu blinked at that. Quat, well, that sounds like something I can respect. Number 9. Quat. Quat, it actually sounded pretty manly. Quat, Kana snorted. Quat, still be careful. Quat, Urza warned. Quat, I don't think that the path you're choosing is one filled with honor and nobility. It is not the path an armor-wearing knight should walk. Quat. Quat, it isn't. Quat, Naruto shook his head. Quat, but I'm not a knight. I'm a shinobi. I work best from the shadows where no one can find me. Quat. Quat, remember to smile more. Quat, April's rang through his head. Naruto gave them a smile. It was a charming smile that instantly made the other children feel better. It was also completely fake, though. Quat, thank you for your concerns, though. If you'll excuse me, I'll be off. I have a lot I need to do. Quat. Naruto gave them a small bow and began to walk off. Quat, hey, wait. Quat, Fu called out. Naruto paused. Quat, have you met any of the other numbers? Quat, Fu questioned. Quat, I wonder what they're like. Quat, I have not. Quat, Naruto called back. Quat, but I plan to. Quat. But that he was off. What numbers? Quat, Kana questioned the mint-haired girl. Quat, what does that mean? Quat. Quat, it's an inside joke. Quat, Fu shrugged. Quat, you just met him half an hour ago. How do you have an inside joke? Quat. As he began his trek out of Magnolia, Naruto peered down at the letter in his hands. April had written it for him in case her illness took her early. His heart ached at that though. He never got the chance to keep his promise and heal her of her illness. Even if he had his Sky God Slayer magic now, it was useless to heal a dead person. Promise of a lifetime, what a joke. I'm sorry, Ka-san. Naruto thought. I'm probably such a disappointment already. I have broken 2 promises already. I never got to heal you, and I refuse to join your guild. Sick of the ache in his chest, Naruto began to read the letter. It always made him feel better. Dear Naruto. If you're reading this, then that means I have passed away. I don't want that to happen and to leave you alone, but sometimes life isn't fair enough to let us spend enough time with the people we love. So, I just want to say that I love you so much. You're the son I never had. Please remember that. In my will, I have left you everything I own. My only request is that you follow the instructions I left in it for you. Especially the part about joining Fairy Tail. The guild will be good for you. You need it. Unfortunately, I know that you probably won't do as I ask. You most likely will do what you want and I accept that. Only you will know what will make you happy in life. I just ask you to be careful with your choices. Remember that there are always reasons why things are forbidden. I know that your life has never been an easy one. I tried my best to make it better for you, but I doubt that things will get any easier for you. Remain strong and hold fast, Naruto. Remember what I taught you and continue to hone your skills. I'm sure that you're the one that is meant to be Azura's God Slayer. Also remember to enjoy life, though. Life isn't just about training and fighting. Life is about the people we care for and the dreams we work to fulfill. Don't lose sight of what you care about. If you always keep your sight on that, then you will always keep on the right path even if you stumble a bit. Don't forget that and remember to smile more. You look so much better when you smile. Eat for both fitness and pleasure. Ramen is the food of the gods after all. And remember what you are responsible for. Finish what you start and always be able to live with the consequences of your actions. Goodbye Naruto. I love you so much. April Kazan. What hey, Naruto. Quat. Naruto paused in his reading. He quickly put the letter back in his requip space. Turning, the team greeted the man who addressed him. Quat Master Dreyer, why are you here Quat? Quat, I wish to speak with you before you left. Quat. Makarov approached the young man. Quat, I told you that I will not join your guild. Quat, Naruto mentioned. Quat, I know, and I respect your choice. Quat, Makarov nodded. Quat, but I needed to talk to you a bit more before you left. Quat. Quat, what is it Quat? Naruto questioned. Quat, April lost her family when she was very young. Quat, Makarov explained with tears in his eyes. Quat, her father was a dear friend of mine and I was her godfather, so I ended up raising her. She's a daughter to me in every way that matters. Thus, in a way, you are like a grandchild to me. Quat. Quat, I'm not going to start calling you Aji-san. Quat, Naruto stated firmly. Quat, I figured you wouldn't. Quat, Makarov barked out a laugh. Quat, but I do care what happens to you. I know you said that you would always be an ally to my guild, so in return, I offer you this. My offer to join the guild will always be open. If you ever change your mind, I will be here waiting. Quat. Quat, thank you. That means a lot. Quat, Naruto nodded. Quat, also, can you indulge an old man and send a letter to two from time to time? Quat, Makarov mentioned as he wiped the tears that were running down his face. Quat, I would like to get to know my new grandson a bit more. Even if you do have those strange eyes. Quat. Quat, sure. Quat, Naruto nodded. He turned to the horizon. The sun was now setting. The red-orange glow washed over the two mages and the city behind them. Quat, I'm sure that's what Ka-san would have wanted me to do. That. Quat. Quat, and you know I have to ask this. Quat, Makarov eyed the teen. Quat, what do you plan to do now? You aren't near strong enough to fight Blue Note or any dark guild related to Zeref. Quat. Quat, I know. Quat, Naruto nodded. Quat, that's why I'm going to hone my skills. One day, I will actually have the power to slay gods. That's a promise. But until that day there are a few things that I'm responsible for that I need to take care of. Quat. Quat, and that is Quat. Naruto paused and looked up to the sky. Quat, I have found one of my kin here. They are here because of me. I should find the other 7 and make sure they don't bring an end to this world. That is my responsibility. Quat. Quat, as so you are like Fu. Quat, Makarov nodded. Quat, that explains the eyes. I have kept my ears open for the other Jinchuriki that she mentioned. I think a few of them joined the guilds my old teammate started. Quat. Quat, yes, but those ones are under control. It is the chaotic ones that I need to be concerned about. Quat, Naruto mentioned. Quat, and recently I have been hearing rumors about a desert demon killing civilians and weaker mages. It also seems smart enough to avoid those that pose an actual threat. Quat. Quat, ah yes, Gilderts went to look for that demon. Quat, Makarov stroked his chin. Quat, I don't think he showed himself. Do you think it's a Jinchuriki? Quat. Quat, maybe, or maybe he's a demon of Zeref. Quat, Naruto stated. Quat, either way I think I'll pay that demon a visit and find out just how strong it is. Quat. Quat, are you sure? Either you're strong enough that he'll avoid you, or you're weak enough to be his prey. Quat, Makarov mentioned. Quat, I'm strong enough to beat the demon. Quat, Naruto said this with certainty. Quat, then how do you plan to draw it out? Quat. Quat, by using a talent I share with a demon sealed within me. Quat, Naruto gave him a charming smile that Makarov could tell was fake. Quat, the ability to piss people off without even trying. Quat. They're not even trying to be quiet. Naruto noted as he took a bite of his chicken. His enhanced hearing would have picked up the words if they were whispering, but these people weren't even trying to be discreet. Naruto had arrived in a small village at the edge of the desert. Most travelers started from here to cut through a bit of the desert to the next town. Or at least they used to do that. Most people went around the desert now. They were too afraid of the demon. Naruto thought this was wise. If the demon was a Jinchuriki or a monster of Zeref, then no civilian would have a prayer of survival. When he first arrived, Naruto tried to gather some information on the demon. The blonde wanted to learn if anyone knew about its location in the desert. No one really knew anything, though. They didn't even like to talk about the demon, out of fear that it would eventually come and destroy their town. That didn't matter that much, though. Naruto thought that he had an idea of what the demon could do. If this was a Jinchuriki, it would probably be the container of the Ichibi. Kurama said that the One Tail had an affiliation with sand and the desert. That would explain the location. Even if it was a different demon from a Book of Zeref, then it would probably control sand as well. Either way, the container of Kurama would be at a disadvantage. He would be surrounded by the enemy's element. The blonde would need something to avoid the sand and slow it down. Luckily, Naruto kept a lot of water in his requip space and in his seals. If he could use that to slow down the sand and use his magic to spread the sand away, then he might have a chance. Raising his head, Naruto saw that it was getting dark now. He didn't want to fight in the heat of the day. It would seep away his stamina more than the coldness of desert night. Besides, Naruto preferred the darkness when fighting. The shadows were his element. Leaving his jewels on the table, Naruto raised from his seat. He then turned and began to walk out of the restaurant he had been resting in. What hey, Gaki Quat. Naruto paused at the doorframe. He looked back to see a man behind him. The man was a large and muscular man. In fact, he towered over the teenage boy. Quat yes Quat. Quat I heard from the others that you're looking to fight the desert demon. Quat. The restaurant owner raised a hand and rubbed his cloth-covered hand. Quat I can't let you go do that in clean conscience. You'll be killed. Quat. Quat no I won't. Quat. Naruto ignored the man and kept walking. He was quickly stopped when the man put a hand on his shoulder. Quat Gaki, that thing has killed hundreds of people. A lot of them were mages twice your age. Quat. The man with the hardened face glared down at Naruto. Quat so? Age doesn't mean shit. Quat. Naruto argued. Quat I'm stronger than you could ever dream to be and I'm only a third of your age. Quat. Quat cocky little Quat, the man grumbled. Quat cocky? No. Arrogance is something that was beaten out of me a long time ago. Quat. Naruto grabbed the man's wrist. He then began to force the much larger man's off his shoulder. Quat I assess my own strength and the strength of others accurately. So you can take my word on it when I say that I'm strong enough to take down a crazed demon. Thus Quat. The much larger man was looking at his arm in shock. The boy was overpowering him somehow. Not only that, he was doing it with ease. The man was so distracted by this, he never noticed when Naruto put his other hand in front of the man's chest. Quat whoa Quat, the man cried out. The wind around him seemed to compress on his chest and push him back. There wasn't enough force to hurt him, but there was enough to push him back. The man slid all the way from the door to the counter of the restaurant. Quat you can let go of me. Quat, Naruto finished. Quat w what Quat, the large man was looking at the teenage boy in fear and awe. Turning, Naruto raised the headband over his eyes. His red eyes gleamed. He would need his full vision in this fight. Quat you can stop worrying about the demon because this demon will take care of it. After today, it won't give anyone trouble anymore. Quat. But that said, Naruto walked out the door, through the small town, and into the desert. I spy with my giant eye, something yellowish gold. Sand. Correct. I spy with my giant eye, something loose and runny. Sand. Correct. I spy with my giant eye. Sand. All that around us is sand, Kurama. I know. It's goddamn annoying. I hate sand so much. Kurama shouted in Naruto's mind. Will you just find Shukaku's container already so we can leave this hellhole? I'm trying, you impatient fox. Naruto sighed mentally. The blonde was slowly trekking through the desert. He used his chakra to stay above the sand and kept his senses aware in case of a sneak attack. Well, try harder. Kurama grumbled and placed his head on his hand-shaped paws. This would go faster if you gave me some assistance. Naruto looked up at the clear sky above him. While there were no clouds, the sky's beauty still shined through. Millions of stars shined above him. The moon was full and bright. If this was any other moment, the whiskered teen would spend time admiring the beauty of the night. Can't you sense negative emotions? You're the one that said that you didn't want to use any of my powers. Kurama snorted. No, I said that I want to be able to rely on my own strength. Naruto sighed. But in this case, I'm facing a sand demon in the middle of the desert. I'm going to need your help a little bit. You're forgetting that you have no experience in using my chakra. Not only that, magic and chakra don't mix. You can't use Sky God Slayer magic and my chakra at the same time. If you try, one of them will be cancelled out. Just like when you fought the cultists back home. Your appearance changed because of my influence, but my chakra was forced back because of the magic you were using. Kurama mentioned. I don't want to go full Biju mode, Kurama. I just want your advice. You know your siblings' powers well and can give me advice as I battle. Naruto explained. I already told you all of Shikaku's abilities and weaknesses. But I guess I can keep an eye out and give you some pointers. Kurama shrugged. Anything to get out of this boring-ass desert. Good. Naruto nodded. So, can you tell me where your brother is? Alright. I'm sensing a lot of bloodlust about a kilometer to your left. Kurama muttered. Thank you. Naruto turned and began to head in the direction that Kurama told him. It took only a few minutes before Naruto saw something different than the miles of sand that spread out around him. Off in the distance, Naruto saw a small oasis. I know that chakra. The voice of mother rang through Gaara's mind. The red-haired teen was silent. He had sensed the enemy approaching him. The Jinchuriki hid in the sand as he waited for the enemy to arrive. Gaara had learned to do this a long time ago. This way, he could judge the enemy's strength. Most of time, the people were weak, incredibly weak. But sometimes there were monsters. They were people that Gaara felt fear against. Just like that orange-haired man that was here a few weeks ago. Kurama mother growled. That cocky son of a bitch, why is he here? So that boy is like me? Gaara let a large grin appear on his face. Don't get too excited. I don't like the feel I get from that boy. His scent is off. Like those other mages, he uses magic, but this one feels different. More potent. Do you think he's stronger than me? Gaara growled in anger. Not necessarily, but I don't like the smell. Shukaku grunted. There's something off about that boy. As much as I would like to stick it to Kurama, you should just let him pass. There's too much uncertainty here for my tastes. But I must prove my existence. His existence cannot be greater than mine. I know. I want to watch his blood flow as well, but I'd prefer not to die because you did something stupid. The blonde teen stopped at the edge of the oasis where Gaara stayed. His red eyes scanned the area. He took several sniffs as if to find Gaara's scent. Someone definitely lived here, but it was impossible to pinpoint if the demon was here currently. He's here. Kurama mentioned. Shukaku's suppressing the bloodlust, but he's still here. Alright, so he's hiding in the sand. Naruto frowned. There was a lot of sand in the area. It would take a while to search for the other Jinchuriki. He could use his magic to spread the sand out, but that might prove counterproductive if the sand in the air was used against Naruto. Not only that, if Naruto attacked, he would be open for attack. The other container might use that chance to kill Naruto or run away, so Naruto would never be able to find him. Time for the plan, then. Oh, this is going to be fun. Kurama grinned. What, I know you're there, number one. Quad. Naruto spoke out to the silent dunes of sand. Quad, you can hide all you want, but I won't be leaving. Quad. He was met with silence. Quad, no comment. Quad. Naruto gave a sarcastic grin. Quad, from what I heard from my demon, Shukaku has a pretty sharp tongue himself. Quad. Nothing. Quad, oh, I get it. Quad. Naruto let out a soft chuckle. Quad, you're afraid. Let me ask, are you afraid of me or Kurama? Either one is a logical enemy to fear. After all, I'm a better Jinchuriki than you could ever be, and Kurama's more powerful than Shukaku could ever dream of being. Quad. The sand around Naruto began to stir. It was working. He had to keep pressing. Quad, why hide out in the desert? Are you reliant on sand? Are you reliant on your demon? Can you even fight without him? Because I can. That means I'm better than you in every way, right? Without the Bijk, I'm stronger. And with the Bijk, I'm stronger. Where does that leave you? Quad. The sand jumped around Naruto in anger. Quad, you're weaker than me. You're inferior to me in every way. Quad. Naruto called out. Quad, you could say that my existence is stronger than yours. Quad. Quad ra Quad. Gaara blasted out of the sand dunes in anger. Extending his arms, Gaara sent a concentrated blast of sand at Naruto. Quad, sky god sword. Quad. Naruto formed a black whirlwind of wind around his right hand and forearm. He thrusted his arm forward. The black wind drill met the blast of sand and sent the sand flying to the side. Naruto held this for a moment until the blast of sand came to a full stop. Dropping the magic flowing to his arm, Naruto glared at the red deed with the kanji scar on his forehead. He had no idea why anyone would put love on their forehead. Was this Jinchuriki a hippie? Gaara gasped out and huffed in absolute anger. Quad, you pant, you dare. Huff. Quad. Quad, I do dare. Quad. Naruto slid into a self-defense stance. Quad, I know of you, number one. I know of your work. You give us Jinchuriki a bad name and will bring negative attention to the rest of us. I cannot allow you to continue this any longer. Quad. Quad, you think you can stop me? Quad. The ring-eyed teen glared at the whiskered teen. Quad, yes, I can. Quad. Naruto responded. Quad, I'd like to see your try. Quad. Gaara roared. Quad, you forget, you're surrounded by my element. Quad. The sand around Naruto began to wrap around his legs. Forming hands, the sand began to reach and grab at Naruto in order to surround him and crush him. The hands only got to Naruto's knees before he reacted. Black wind burst around Naruto. It spread out around his entire body. This caused the sand to spread out away from his body. The force of the wind around his body lifted him slightly into the air in order to avoid having the sand below reach up to him again. What not good enough, number 1. Quat, Naruto mentioned. Quat, you see, you're surrounded by my element as well, for my element is the sky itself. I am the god slayer of the sky. I am the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. My name is Naruto Uzumaki and I'm going to kill you. Quat. Quat, kill me. Quat, Gaara's eyes narrowed. Quat, you wish, number 9. I am the Jinchuriki of the Ichibi. My name is Sabaku no Gaara and I will prove my existence by soaking my sand with your blood. Quat, sky god spear. Quat, Naruto thrusted his hands forward and sent a straight vortex of black wind to his enemy. This proved to be ineffective, though. Sand from the gourd on Gaara's back rushed out and stopped the wind in its track. The wind did manage to spread the sand out a bit, but it wasn't enough to hit the reed. Naruto could not stand around and contemplate what to do next. The sand around him was chasing him and trying to trap him. That was why he had to keep moving in an unpredictable way. He used his magic to enhance his speed to keep ahead of the tons of sand. This had continued for a while now. Naruto was trying to use long-range attacks to strike the other Jinchuriki down. Gaara's defense made it so that this strategy wouldn't work, though. At the same time, Gaara tried to use his sand to either catch or strike the blonde. The sand of the desert proved to be too slow to do this, however. Thus, they were at a standstill. In many ways, it was the unstoppable force fighting against the immovable object. Realizing that this strategy wasn't working, Naruto began to think about what to do. Long-range attacks lost the power needed to get past the sand around Gaara. Based on his observations, the blonde could see that the sand that Gaara kept close to him in the gourd was faster and more durable than the sand of the desert. That meant that it would be dangerous to get close. Unfortunately, that seemed to be the only option that Naruto had to do damage. Long-range and mid-range attacks wouldn't cut it. If he wanted to do damage, the blonde would have to get in closer and deal with the danger. Running forward, Naruto concentrated wind around his fist and sent it out in a burst right in front of Gaara. Quat, sky god strike. Quat. Like every other attack, it was stopped by the wall of sand. This time, though, the sand grabbed onto the blonde Jinchuriki and began to creep us his arm. Quat, sand coffin. Quat, Gaara spoke out. He reached a hand out and prepared to clench it. Quat, sky god sword. Quat, another drill of black wind formed around his arm. It instantly caused the sand around Naruto to blast off of him. It was then that Naruto began to run around the sand user at breakneck speeds. He sent slashes of black wind in all directions of Gaara to the point that the only thing that could be seen was curved waves of black wind around the sand user. Quat, sky god shower. Quat. Quat, sand spikes. Quat. Large spikes of sand jumped up and tried to stab the blonde god slayer. The hundreds of spikes failed to kill Naruto, but they did manage to cut him a bit. The cut on his upper arm didn't last long, though. A surge of sky magic to his arm instantly healed the bleeding wound. That was one sky god slayer magic's greatest strengths. Sky magic could heal just as easily as it could harm. Naruto could instantly heal himself of almost all non-fatal wounds as long as he had the energy. Quat, you are a fool, Uzumaki. Quat, Gaara glared. Quat, you cannot defeat me in the desert. No one can defeat me in the desert. Quat. Quat, how arrogant. Quat, Naruto shook his head. Quat, it doesn't matter if we are in your element. Not if I use your weaknesses against you. Quat. Quat, I have no weaknesses. Quat, Gaara stated. Quat, really? Quat, Naruto questioned. Quat, let's see. Quat. It was then that Naruto rushed forward again. Spikes of sand rose up once again to try and stop Naruto, but he weaved through them. Gaara scoffed and raised a wall of sand all around him. The blonde's attacks were fearsome, but they still couldn't get through the walls of sand that protected him. Splash. Gaara froze as he was completely drenched with cold water. The water all around him softened and sunk as the water seeped into it. Looking up, the red-haired teen saw another Naruto Uzumaki above him. Unlike the blonde charging at him, the blonde above Gaara was not using any of the strange black wind. Instead, he seemed to be covered in explosive tags. Quat, shy. Quat. Boom. The wet sand surrounding Gaara was blasted away. It managed to soften the explosion immensely, but it was at a great cost. Gaara did not have his sand to protect him. He was vulnerable. Fear gripped the redhead's heart. He looked up to the charging blonde in front of him. Wind wrapped around Naruto's hand like a drill once more. The sand in the environment rushed to try and protect Gaara. Quat, sky god sword. Quat. Blood splattered across the sand. Quat, I. Quat, Gaara screamed and fell to the ground. He clutched his wounded and bleeding chest. A deep cut ran down from his right shoulder to his left side. Pain. This was pain. Gaara did not like pain. Quat, my blood. Quat, Gaara's eyes were wide in terror. He trembled and heaved in anguish. Bile tried to force its way up his throat. Quat, this is my blood. Quat. What yes quat, Naruto stood above the red-haired Jinchuriki. Quat it is. Suck it up. Quat. What no. My blood. Ah quat. Naruto scoffed. This guy considered himself a Jinchuriki. The blonde shinobi had gone through worse wounds when he was 5. His pain tolerance had been pushed to the point that he barely registered wounds anymore. Quat what a weakling quat. Raising a kunai, Naruto tried to stab down and kill the other Jinchuriki. It was best to put an end to this threat. It would take years before Shukaku reformed, and when that happened, Naruto would handle him as well. Unfortunately, it wasn't a clean kill. Sand blasted out in a blaze. Naruto was forced to jump back and gain some distance. When at a safe distance, Naruto looked to see what really happened. Quat damn it. Quat. Sand was beginning to cover the red-haired teen. Gaara's torso and right arm was covered in thick demonic sand. His teeth sharpened, and his eyes turned a deep amber. Quat raw quat. He was transforming into his demon. Just great. That would make this a lot harder. Naruto hoped that he could kill the tattooed teen without this happening. He would have rushed in to stop it, but the sand was freaking out around him and the blonde was forced to keep moving. This is bad. You have to stop him from transforming completely. If Shukaku comes out completely, then you'll never beat him on your own power. But I can't get close. How do I? Quat'll kill you, Uzumaki Quat. The partially transformed Gaara rushed at Naruto with more speed than Naruto thought he could possibly have. It was clear that Gaara lacked physical endurance. It seemed the Bij chakra was enough to increase his speed by a large margin. Raising his arms in defense, Naruto blocked the attack. The clawed arm ripped through the protectors on his forearms and cut up his arms. The cuts were quickly healed, but the force of the blow sent Naruto rolling back. Quickly jumping to his feet, Naruto saw that Gaara was charging forward again. Not having time to dodge, Naruto decided to counterattack. Forming the attack that took the least amount of time to charge, Naruto met the claw with a burst of black wind from his fist. Quat Sky God Strike Quat. The attacks met and energy exploded out. Quat wa quat, Gaara sobbed loudly. All around him were people that glared at him with hatred and discrimination. Quat that's the one. Quat. Quat the freak. Quat. Quat none of us want you here. Quat. Quat die already. Quat. Naruto sobbed in the corner of his cell. His reward was a smack across the face. Quat you have no right to cry. Quat, the man with the boar mask stated. Quat you are a weapon, not a human. Quat. Quat your life is meaningless without this village. Quat. Quat if you fail us, we will kill you. Quat. Quat what the hell. Quat, Naruto shook his head as the visions faded. Quat what was that. Quat. What was what? The visions. Visions? Are you going nuts, Naruto? Quat no. Quat, Naruto looked up to Gaara. The red-haired boy was screaming and clutching his head. Quat he saw it too. Quat. Quat raw. Quat, sand creeped along Gaara once again. The left side of his face transformed like the other half. A tail burst out behind him. All that was left of the human side of Gaara was the love tattoo, the red hair, and his legs. Quat no. I won't go back to that. Quat. Quat quat, Naruto frowned. He didn't understand why he saw those things, but they meant something. Long ago, Danzo told him that when two beings of equal power clashed, they could sometimes read each other's emotions and intentions. But what he saw it was the same. Their feelings were the same. I have to do that again. Naruto charged forward. He formed 2 drills of wind around his arms once again. No Naruto. Go for the kill now. No. There's something I have to know first. Moron. If you don't take this chance, you could die. Listen to me and obey this one order. Kurama, I don't take orders. I do what I want. And I want to find out what this all means. Naruto swung the blades of wind. Quat Gaara Quat. Hearing his name, Gaara looked up. Seeing the attack, he retaliated. The red-haired half-demon swung his arms to meet the attack. Boom. Crash. Quat I hate them all. Quat. Quat I live for myself. Quat. Quat I need to prove my existence by killing them. Quat. Quat if I don't prove my existence is superior to theirs, what proof is there that I deserve to exist at all? Quat. Quat these people mean nothing to me. Quat. Quat I don't care if they die. Quat. Quat all that matters is my dream. Quat. Quat if I don't obtain freedom, if I don't touch the sky, then what's the point of living? Quat. Yes it's the same. Naruto pushed himself off the ground. He is my reflection. One wrong move and I would have ended up like him. Without Kachan, I would not have a path to travel down. Quat I quat, Gaara screamed louder than when he was injured by Naruto earlier. He was in anguish at those terrible memories. The pain. The loneliness. The hatred. It was all back. He had to make it stop. Quat make it stop. Quat. Shukaku obliged. Sand burst up all around Gaara. The waves of yellow covered him completely and grew to a mountainous size. The sand quickly formed into a giant tanuki with blue seal tattoos covering his entire body. His blue ears twitched as his amber eyes looked around. A single tail behind him waved back and forth and caused the sand to stir and scatter. Shukaku Gaara looked at Naruto. Quat sand coffin quat. Damn. Naruto was forced to retreat. He tried to escape the sand, but it was faster now. The sand caught his left arm and leg before he could escape. Quat sand burial. Quat. The sand constricted with an absurd amount of force. Naruto's limbs were instantly crushed into a fine pulp. His bones were smashed to dust. The muscle of his limbs were mush now. He was instantly crippled. Quat son of a bitch quat, Naruto hissed and fell to the ground. He forced as much sky magic into his limbs as possible and began their healing process. It would take a while, though. Kit. You need to stop the brat. He's about to force himself into sleep and unleash Shukaku. I can't move, Kurama. I need to heal my limbs first. I need to get to the point that I can at least move. Damn it. Naruto was fortunate that Gaara wasn't fighting logically. It would be easy to finish Naruto off right now. The other Jinchuriki, however, wanted to unleash his full power to kill the blonde. He was so focused on unleashing Shukaku and stopping the mental pain that he didn't go for the finishing blow immediately. Quat force sleep technique. Quat, Gaara muttered after his torso popped out of the forehead of the giant tanuki. The teen instantly fell into a deep slumber and allowed his inner demon to take control. Quat Yahoo! I'm back, baby Quat, Shukaku waved his massive arms around in glee. Quat and look. I found an ant that I want to kill. Yippee Quat. Bed up, Naruto. Almost done. Shukaku took a deep breath to the point that his stomach extended out like a ball. The demon then brought one of his clawed hands to his stomach and spat out a ball of air that could level a mountain. Quat air bullet Quat. A humongous ball of wind was shot at Naruto. It traveled down to Naruto at extreme speeds. It was a critical hit. Quat ha 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 ha. I gotcha ha Quat, Shukaku blinked as the giant ball of air didn't blast out like it normally did. Instead, the air seemed to be funneled to the center like it was being sucked into a vacuum. Naruto began to swallow the air attack. Despite the massive size, the ball of wind still obeyed his will to flow into his stomach. In a whirlwind, Naruto ate the mountain-size attack like it was lunch. Quat I did Akamasu. Quat, Naruto stated after eating all the wind. Quat you dumbus. Quat. Unlike most of the air Naruto consumed, he could not reconstruct the attack as magic. This was because the attack was powered by demonic chakra. There was no way to change the energy into magic. Thus, it did not help fill his magic reserves. It did, however, fill Naruto with an excess of chakra. Already full of his own chakra and Kurama's chakra, however, Naruto had not place to naturally put it. Thus, Naruto's body was put into a state that few shinobi had ever experienced. Chakra overload. Blue energy poured out of Naruto in waves. The energy restored the little damage that was left in his arm and leg. Now completely mobile, Naruto jumped up and soared through the sky. He formed a familiar cross symbol and yelled out, Quat Taj Kage Bunshin no Jutsu Quat. Hundreds of thousands of clones appeared all around the sand demon. In a swarm similar to killer bees, the numerous clones of Naruto land over every centimeter of Shukaku to the point that the skin of demon was no longer visible. They all quickly began to swarm. Quat ah. Get off Quat, Shukaku flailed around desperately. He sent thousands of Narutos flying, but most of them stayed on. They all charged to the sleeping Gaara, but the sand rose up to protect the red-haired teen. Despite the defending and attacking sand, the thousands of clones continued to charge forward. Waves and waves of powerful punches began to make the defense around Gaara falter and weaken. Quat I said get off Quat, Shukaku roared. His skin of sand rippled and blasted out. With thousands of poofs of smoke, all the clones disappeared from the blasts of sand. By focusing on the attack, however, Shukaku let the defense around Gaara falter. Quat Sky God Spear Quat, the original Naruto, who transferred back to using magic, thrusted his arms out and sent a concentrated tornado at the dome around Gaara. The wind tore through the weakened shield and slammed into the boy that it was protecting. Quat no. I just got out Quat, Shukaku cried as Gaara woke up and took control once more. Quat you Quat, Gaara glared at the blonde teen after he opened his eyes. Quat I'll kill you Quat. You idiot. Why didn't you kill him with that technique? Why are you refusing to kill him? Not yet. I need to know more. But I'm out of magic and chakra. Kurama, I need some of your chakra. Are you serious? Yes. Please lend me your strength. Very well, I can see how much this means to you. Thank you. Naruto felt as sand wrapped around his body once more. It was ready to crush him into a fine paste. Just before it did, though, Kurama sent a surge of demonic chakra through his body. His hands and teeth changed into claws and fangs respectively. His whisker cheeks darkened. His eyes, however, did not change. Quat roar Quat, Naruto glared at Gaara. The force of the chakra pushed the sand away from the blonde and gave him a protective cloak with a single tail. Gaara's eyes widened in fear. Quat no. Monster. Stay away from me Quat. What Gara quat, Naruto rushed forward. His cloak of demonic chakra blazed around him and stopped all the sand attacks that were sent at him. What I said stay away quat, arms of sand wrapped protectively around Gara. Above the massive hands was the face of a woman. Naruto did not recognize the lady, but he did recognize the presence of a mother. I see. Naruto brought his fist into the shield of sand and everything blew up. Sand fell to the ground like rain. The body of Shukaku was dissolving and falling to pieces. Below the massive dissolving demon corpse was the two boys that were fighting it out mere moments before. Both of them lie unmoving on the ground. Groaning, both Yunchkriki pushed themselves up off the sandy ground below them. They looked up at each other. Raging red eyes met unfeeling teal eyes. Both boys panted and breathed out heavily as sand rained down around them. Quad I see it only works when we attack at the same time quad, Naruto pushed himself to one knee. Gaara did the same. The red-haired teen was silent, though. Looking up, Naruto and Gaara both realized that the massive body was now gone. All that was left in the massive desert was the two of them. Both boys lacked any more energy. Their stamina was at their limit and their demons could help them no longer. Naruto thought about eating more air to replenish his magic but decided against it for two reasons. 1. It took a lot more time to eat the air that was lazing in the sky compared to when Naruto ate wind attacks. He would be completely open to Gaara's next attack. 2. If he wanted this to work, Naruto had to have the same strength as Gaara. Quat come. Quat, Naruto stood. Quat one more strike to decide the victory. Quat. Gaara pushed himself up. Quat yes let's see whose existence is greater. Quat. With one last roar, both Yunchkriki rushed forward. Their paces were the same. The looks on their faces were mirrors. The thoughts that ran through their minds were completely the same. Two equal forces charged at each other with the limited energy they had left. They both sent a right hook at each other's faces. The hits connected and blood spilled out of their mouths. Quat your mother gave you your name, you know. Quat, a man named Yashimaru lay dying on the ground. Quat this child's name shall be Gaara. A demon who shall only love himself. Love only yourself and fight only for yourself so by doing that, you will be able to keep existing. Quat. Hot tears ran down a young Gaara's face. He looked broken and shocked beyond words. Quat those were the things she wished for you. However Ni-chan did not name you that because she loved you or worried about you she gave you that name so that you would survive and be a reminder to the world. Quat, the bloodied man could barely speak in a whisper at this point. Quat a reminder of her hatred, of how she went to her death loathing and cursing the world remind them and show them all. No, you were never loved. Quat. Gaara clutched his head in agony as the one person who cared for him crushed his very soul. Quat now die with me. Quat, Yashimaru opened his jacket to reveal explosive tags. Boom. Quat don't call me that. Quat, April demanded. Quat call me, Kasan. Quat. Naruto was shocked into silence. Quat is that too much to ask. Quat, April cried. Quat I always wanted to be a mom is that such a bad thing. Quat. Quat no I don't believe so. Quat, Naruto shook his head. Quat you would have made you are a great mother. Quat. April gave him a smile. Quat thank you. Quat. They were silent for a moment. Naruto had an emotionless face while April was crying. Quat in my study is my will. Quat, April spoke again. Quat follow it please. Quat. Naruto was silent. Quat and I need to tell you why I always believed you I know about everything. Quat, April noted. Quat Azura she's Quat. Quat she's what. Quat. Quat nothing. Quat, April shook her head. Quat look in the book. Quat. Quat the book. Quat. Quat yes. Be strong Naruto find friend smile more and remember your dream don't forget it. Quat, April pull him close and hugged him. Quat and I love you, Naruto. Quat. Her arms went slack. Quat April sensei. Quat. He sat up and looked at her closed eyes and peaceful expression. Quat April. Quat. April was dead. Quat Kasan. Quat. They stood unmoving. Their fists remained where they threw them. Blood dripped out of their mouths as the fists caused their faces to cave inward. Both boys had their eyes closed as they stood in silence. They were like human statues carved from stone. The traveler passing by would assume that the boys were people from a portrait compared to two actual living beings. Gaara was the one that broke the silence. Tears ran down his face at the memories he saw. He sobbed out, Quat I see that's the difference. While your existence is stronger you've experienced love. Quat. But that said, Gaara fell back and crashed into the sand below him. It was like falling into the arms of a loving mother. Quat I never stood a chance. Quat. Naruto did not move for a moment. He continued to have his arm extended, but after a few seconds, he slowly relaxed his stance. Red eyes stared down at the unmoving red-haired Jinchuriki. Quat yes Kasan is the difference. Without her, I would be the same as you. Quat, Naruto noted. He let his own tears flow without shame. Naruto pulled out a kunai. He examined it for a moment before he threw it away. Quat you're the reflection of what I could have been. You're the person that Kasan worked desperately to make sure that I didn't become. For her and for myself I can't kill you, Gaara, because that would be like killing myself. Quad. Light shined from the east as the sun rose on the horizon. Both boys were covered in the light of dawn. Night had ended and a new day was beginning. The years Gaara spent in the world called Earthland were the best ones of his young life. They weren't good at all, but they were still the best. He had finally gotten away from the hateful stares and spite-filled whispers. The Jinchuriki no longer had to deal with the hatred that he received from his status. At the same time, though, he was completely alone. There was no company. No one was there to break through the whispers from Mother and force him back to reality. It was hard to count the people that helped prove his existence. They were merely victims that were crushed beneath his sand. As such, Gaara spent years alone. He never had anyone to break him out of his daze-filled life. It was like he was dreaming, and that led up to the best part of this new world. Gaara actually got to sleep. In Suna, he was never allowed to sleep without releasing his demon. If he tried, then his father would stop him. Thus, he was always awake. He was always tired. That was what made Earthland a paradise. He was allowed to sleep. In the desert, no one was around to see his transformation, and if anyone came by, they would be killed by Shikaku. Gaara was actually allowed to rest his weary mind, and that was all that kept him sane. Waking up was always the same, though. Gaara woke to the rising sun. He was always rested and filled with content. This time, though, his journey back to the land of consciousness was not peaceful and happy. No, Gaara woke to the feeling of aches and pain. What ga quat, Gaara's darkened eyes opened to darkness. That was another oddity. There were no stars, moon, or even sun. There was only a ceiling. The ceiling? What, you're awake. Quat, a voice to Gaara's left jolted him out of his daze. He recognized that voice. In an instant, Gaara's mind was flooded with the memories of his previous fight. The Redeed rocketed up to a sitting position. This caused pain to shoot through his body. Quat. What, sorry, I didn't feel like healing my enemy. Quat. Naruto was sitting on a chair a few feet from Gaara's bed. He was leaning back and had his leg crossed. The blonde looked completely relaxed. Quat, luckily for you, your Bijk accelerated your healing, so your bones aren't broken anymore. Quat. What, you Quat, Gaara glared at the blonde. He willed for his sand to gather, but was shocked to realize that nothing happened. Quat, what Quat? Quat, don't try to control your sand. I moved us far away from the desert and sealed your gourd away. Quat, Naruto explained. His red eyes gleamed in the darkness. Quat, without sand, you're pretty helpless, huh? Quat. Gaara froze. It was true. Without sand, he lacked the ability to fight. He could try to fall asleep, but the blonde would get to him before he could force himself to sleep. His mother couldn't help him wait. Why couldn't he hear the voice of Mother? What, oh, and I used some seal work I learned back in Konoha to stop the connection to your Bijk. Quat, Naruto gave a grin. It made him look almost sadistically amused. Quat, Danzo wanted me to control Kurama in case something happened. Of course, nothing ever did. But at least I had a good seal. Your seal is pretty crappy, you know. Letting you get controlled when you sleep. What moron thought up that design? Quat. Gaara eyed the other teen. He tried to think of what to do. This enemy was clearly far faster than him. He would never be able to escape. Trying to fight would be suicide without his sand. He wasn't skilled in hand-to-hand either. Right now, he was helpless. Quat, relax, number one. Quat, Naruto mentioned and leaned forward. Quat, if I wanted to kill you, I would have already done that. Unless you try anything stupid, today isn't the day that you're going to die. Quat. What do you want? Quat, Gaara hissed out. What I want? Nothing that I could ever get from you. Quat, Naruto shrugged. Quat, truth be told, you're pretty insignificant in my larger goals. Quat. What, then why even come after me? Quat, Gaara questioned. What, 2 reasons. 1, you were drawing too much attention. If the Magic Council ever found out about Jinchuriki, they would have us purged. Quat, Naruto knew they would not let his kind live with the power and threat they possessed. Quat, 2, you were my responsibility. I am the reason the Jinchuriki came to this world. It is my duty to make sure you behave, at least that's what Ka-san thought. Quat. What, Ka-san? Quat, Gaara paused. Quat, that's right, when we fought, we viewed each other's past and I saw her. The one you called your mother. She showed you love, but she died. Quat. What, she did? Quat, Naruto's hands clenched. Quat, it seems that we Jinchuriki live cursed life. Quat, Gaara looked up to the ceiling. Quat, we have nothing, and we finally gain a little bit of happiness, it's stripped away. Quat. Quat, well, we are technically sacrifices for humans, right? Jinchuriki. The power of the human sacrifice. Quat, Naruto mentioned. Quat, right, and yet you care enough about humans to stop me from killing them. Quat, Gaara noted. Quat, idiot. I already told my reasons for stopping you. Quat, Naruto frowned. Quat, I don't care about the people you killed. They mean nothing to me. Quat. Quat, really? You don't care about them? Quat, Gaara eyed him. What if I end up saving people because of my actions? It's merely a coincidence. Quad. Naruto shrugged. Quad, I'm not some hero. I have no interest in justice or moral righteousness. The only things I care about is my freedom, fulfilling my dead master's wishes, and destroying everything related to my true enemy. Quad. Quad, how surprising. Quad. Gaara noted. Quad, I don't know if that's the most inhumane or the most human and truthful thing I've ever heard. Quad. Quad, perhaps, it's both. Quad. Naruto suggested. Quad, maybe, so what will you do with me? Quad. Gaara questioned. Quad, nothing. Quad. Naruto shrugged. Quad, I don't care if you kill people, but it draws too much attention. The smart thing would be to kill you so that you won't get the rest of us killed, but I don't want to. To me, that would be disrespecting everything Kasa did for me. So, I'm giving you one chance to leave. If I ever hear about you killing people like a maniac again, though, I'll have no choice but to kill you. Quad. Quad, killing people was the only way for me to prove my existence. For me to prove to myself that I wasn't some piece of dirt for people to step on. Without that, what do I live for? Quad. Gaara questioned. Quad, I don't know. That's something you need to answer for yourself. Quad. Naruto explained. Quad, I have my purposes in life set, but the search for absolute freedom and revenge are not for everyone. Quad. Quad, so I need to find another purpose. Quad. Gaara looked down. Quad, you don't have to decide now. Quad. Naruto stood. Quad, come, let's get something to eat. You look like you could use a good meal. My treat. Quad. Quad, alright. Quad. Gaara nodded and rose from his spot. Quad, but can I ask you one more question after this one? Quad. Quad, sure. Quad. Quad, what did you mean when you said that it was your fault that we came to this world? Quad. After the fight, Naruto took Gaara to a town that was a decent distance away from the desert. No one in this town was paranoid at all about the desert demon, and no one would be able to recognize Naruto. Thus, to most people, they looked like regular teenagers that dressed in a funny way. Gaara eyed the blonde in front of him. They now sat in a diner. The room was filled with people, but no one was paying too much attention to them. They got a few glances because of their clothes, but that was about it. It was strange for Gaara to be in public like this and not get the looks of fear and hatred. He was like another face in the crowd. It was nice. Quad, a goddess, ha. Quad. Gaara took a bite of his salmon. Quad, that seems pretty far-fetched. Quad. Quad, I don't need you to believe me. Quad. Naruto was enjoying a bowl of ramen, aka the food of the gods. Quad, it's just the truth. Quad. Quad, alright. Quad. Gaara shrugged. Quad, if it's the truth, then it's the truth. I've heard stranger things before. After all, just look at us. Our existence is pretty far-fetched if you think about it. Quad. Quad, true. Quad. Naruto nodded. Quad, but still, even I wouldn't. Quad. The blonde god slayer was interrupted when the door to the diner slammed open. 5 large men walked into the bar like they owned the place. All of them could be considering intimidating with their large stature, massive amount of tattoos, piercings, and leather clothing. Gaara thought that they looked like they were compensating for something, though. Quad, hey. The dark guild punk rock is here. Quad, the apparent leader spoke up. His hair was shaped up into a purple mohawk, and the sheer number of piercings in his face made it look like his face was more metal than flesh. Quad, the name's Hero, and you all better respect that or you'll get what's coming to you. Quad. Quad, does he look as stupid as he sounds? Quad. Naruto whispered lightly to Gaara. The ninja already explained to the Redeed why he usually had his eyes covered. Quad, how stupid does he sound? Quad. Quad, on a scale of 1 to 10. At least 12. Quad. Quad, double it and you got how he looks. Quad. Quad, I see. Quad. Naruto lifted his headband but squinted his eyes so that the redness of his eyes couldn't be seen. He looked over to where the loud intruders were. The apparent dark guild members walked up to the counter. The leader, Hero, spoke out again. Quad, give me everything on the menu. It will be free of charge, of course. Quad. Quad, be but Quad, the lady behind the counter trembled. She was rather cute in a girl next door kind of way. Quad, I see, can't do that. I'll get fired and I need this job. Quad. Quad, too bad. Quad. Hero sneered and held up a hand. Dark energy danced around his fingertips. Quad, I can bring this down with my darkness magic if you want. Or. You just get me my damn food. Quad. Turning away, Naruto lowered his headband again and addressed Gaara. Quad, anyway, now that we got past the whole goddess thing, we should probably talk about what you're going to do. I would suggest a place where you can blend in, like a guild. Quad. Quad, aren't you concerned about those guys? Quad. Gaara looked back and forth between the punk rock guys and Naruto. Quad, nope. They're not my problem. Quad. Naruto shrugged. Quad, and they're only taking food. They're not hurting anyone. If I fought them, the damage would be a lot more expensive for the restaurant than if they lost some food because Kami knows I'm not paying for damages. Quad. Quad, I see. That makes sense. Quad. Gaara nodded slowly. Quad, ha 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 ha. Quad. Hero's voice rang out. Naruto and Gaara just ignored him and continued their conversation. Quad, yeah, you should all be licking my boots. my guild is the best. We're going to take over this country cause we got Zeref on our side quat. Naruto froze. What yeah? We found one of his books. We're going to unleash one of his demons and march on the capital quat, Hiro laughed. What you found one of Zeref's books quat, Naruto was standing now. He faced toward the dark mages defiantly. Gaara suddenly noted that his sand gourd was in the blonde teen's hands. The god slayer placed it down beside the redhead. What ya quat, Hiro grinned. He thought that the kid was looking up to him in awe and fear. The punk rock member wondered if the kid would pee his pants. Quat you can feel the power radiating off it. Really weird picture of a bird on it. Rumor is that the demon has the power to enhance your abilities. Quat. What where is it quat, Naruto demanded. What why the hell should I tell you, little brat quat, Hiro sneered. What because I'm asking nicely quat, Naruto tried to walk towards the dark mages, but he managed to trip over a stool and fall on his face. What ha 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 quat, Hiro and his gang laughed. Quat you tripped. How sad quat. Naruto quickly picked himself up and bowed. Quat I'm sorry I ruined the mood. Next time, someone should move the stool out of my way. Quat. Quat don't act like it's our fault quat, the rest of the people in the diner yelled out. Quat anyway quat, Naruto walked over to the group of dark mages. With a calm face, he looked up at the now standing men. With his headband down, he could only see a little bit but they looked amused. Quat please tell me where that book is. Quat. Quat no. Quat, Hiro grinned. Quat Chibi, take care of this annoying brat. Quat. Quat right. Quat, the largest of the group walked over to the teen. He was a giant wall of muscle that was over 3 times Naruto's size. Naruto wasn't intimidated in the slightest, but the other people in the diner were. Quat wait quat, the thin blue-haired woman behind the counter. Quat please, don't hurt the child. He didn't mean anything. It was just curiosity quat. Quat I don't think so. This kid disrespected me. I need some kind of compensation quat, Hiro grinned. Quat of course, it doesn't have to be the kid's blood. Having a woman's touch would help boost my ego just as much quat. Quat tsk. Quat, Naruto shook his head. Quat alright, I'm not that good of a person, but that's just disgusting. I was going to let you go once I got my information, but now, I'm going to have to beat you to a pulp and leave you for the rune knights. Quat. Quat you talk big kid quat, Hiro snorted. Quat Chibi, snap his neck quat. Quat no quat, the woman behind the counter pleaded, but she was too late. The fight had already began, but it did not go as she expected. The large Chibi tried to punch at the smaller boy, but was shocked when the blonde jumped over the punch and flew up until he was at the giant's head level. Quat sky god strike. Quat, Naruto's black wind-coated fist rammed into the giant of a man's jaw and sent the dark mage sprawling away unconscious. Quat what the hell quat, one of the other 4 members of the group voiced their thoughts. They were in complete shock that a brat like the kid could not only use magic but could also use magic strong enough to knock out their ally with one blow. They were so distracted that they never noticed when Naruto landed on the ground without making a single noise. The blonde god slayer rushed forward to one of the open men and did a roundhouse kick empowered with black wind. The attack hit one of the man's back and sent him flying out the door. Quat sky gods whip. Quat. Quat you brat quat, 2 of the unnamed dark mages glared at the blonde. They each pulled out a weapon. One had a katana, while the other had a large mace covered in spikes. Both weapons were swung at the teen's head. Naruto was about to stop the blows when something interesting happened. The sand wall had sprung up on either side of the blonde. The blows were completely stopped in their tracks. Quat what quat, the 2 dark mages' eyes widened. Quat where did this come from quat? Quat sand wall quat, Gaara had risen to his feet and placed the gourd back on his back. The redhead had his hands extended to give the sand more control. Quat sand fists. Quat. Several different arms sprang out from the walls of sand. The golden arms hit the dark mages across their bodies and caused the men to groan out in pain. Gaara didn't stop there, though. The sand stayed connected to the men's bodies and completely covered from the neck down. Quat sand coffin quat, out of instinct, Gaara's eyes filled with bloodlust. Quat Gaara quat, Naruto snapped out. He recognized the move for their fight. That move was designed to kill. Quat tone it down quat. Recognizing the message, Gaara sighed, quat sand burial quat. Like usual, the sand began to squeeze the men. The force of the sand, however, was far less than Gaara had ever used before. Instead of instantly becoming splatters of blood across the walls, the 2 dark mages were merely crushed to the point of their bones breaking. But that done, Gaara let the unconscious men fall to the ground. Quat another brat quat, Hiro glared to where the redhead was. The sand was now in between Hiro and the blonde, so Hiro thought it would be best to deal with the red-headed brat first. Quat I'll kill you for hurting my crew. Get ready to choke on your own blood, brat. Darkness bullet quat. Extending his hand, Hiro gathered darkness around his fingers. A dark bolt of energy was shot through the magic seal in front of him. The ball shot towards Gaara at rapid speeds. Instead of using his absolute defense to block it, Gaara decided to counter-attack it. Quat sand bullet. Quat. The ball of sand the same size as the darkness spell shot out towards the dark ball of energy. When the two attacks met, the sand easily pushed past the dark ball of energy. The sand then continued to hero and nailed the dark mage in the face with the dense sand. Luckily, the magical ball of darkness did slow the ball of energy down enough so that the force of the sand bullet wouldn't decapitate the punk rock mage. The force did cause the man to fall back, though. Once he crashed to the ground, Hero was instantly trapped by Naruto. The blonde had each one of his legs on Hero's arms to trap them. He then pointed a black drill of wind at Hero's face. Quat sky god sword. Quat. The entire diner was in awe. Two 13-year-old boys had managed to defeat 5 grown mages with ease. Such a thing should be impossible, yet they saw it before their very eyes. Quat g ga quat, Hero whimpered in fear. Quat d don't kill me. Quat. Quat I won't kill you. Quat. Killing this dumbus would draw too much attention with the witnesses around. Quat all I want to know is where the book is. Quat. Quat I it's back at the guild hall. Quat, Hero yelled out in a panic. Quat the master has it. He wouldn't let me get close to it. I'm new to this magic thing. I just started last week. Quat I can tell. Quat, Naruto mentioned. Quat where is your guild hall? Quat. Quat t there's a map in my right pants pocket. Quat, Hero trembled in fear. Quat alright, I'll just quat. Naruto paused when he saw a folded up map floating right below his nose. It was covered in sand and floating right in his field of vision. Quat I thought I would get it from you. Quat, Gaara noted. Quat sand makes pickpocketing easy. Quat. Quat I see. Quat, with his free hand, Naruto grabbed the map and looked it over. Quat how do you know he's not lying about the map? Quat, Gaara walked up to Naruto. Quat I have good senses. While standing on his arms, I can feel and hear his heartbeat. When people lie, their body usually reacts to it. Unless they're really good at lying, but this guy sucks at it. Quat, Naruto explained. Quat p please. Just let me go. Quat, Hero begged. Quat no, I don't think I will. Quat, Naruto dropped the drill around his hand and punched the man square in the nose. The force knocked the man out instantly. Stepping off the man, Naruto tucked the map away in one of his pockets. Quat thanks for the assist, Gaara. It really helped limit the damage. My magic is kind of destructive. Quat. Quat I can see that. Quat, Gaara appeared at the shattered door at the entrance of the diner. Quat but that can be a good thing. Quat. Quat yeah. That was amazing. Quat. Quat how did you do that? Quat. Quat you guys are so cool. Can I get your autographs? Quat. The two teens were instantly surrounded by a large group of people. They were all praising the teens for their bravery and skill. Some of them tried to reach out and touch the Tujinch-Kriki, but they didn't want to have any of that. Gaara's hand popped up and stopped anyone from grabbing at him, while Naruto merely swatted the hands away. Quat what we did wasn't brave. Quat, Naruto mentioned. Quat these guys were weak. Either one of us could have taken them with ease. Quat. Quat yes, so you can back off. Quat, Gaara's demonic glare caused the people looking at him to step back. Quat Ayano, still thank you, those men might have hurt someone if you didn't intervene. Quat, the blue-haired waitress bowed to them. Quat I can cover the costs of your meals as thanks. Quat. Quat like I said, we didn't do anything brave. Quat, they didn't even do it for the people here. They did it because Naruto wanted to learn about that book of Zeref. Looking at the woman's name tag, Naruto handed over the money. Quat I'm still paying. I don't want to have any debts to people, Megarden-san. Quat. The woman took the jewels but still had a frown on her face. Quat oh okay. If you say so, but what guild are you from? The council should know which guild members saved us. Quat. Quat we don't have a guild do we? Quat, Gaara looked to Naruto. Quat well, I don't. And you sure as hell don't. Quat, Naruto shrugged. Quat no guild. But how do you earn money? Quat. Quat I have ways. Quat, April did leave him a bit of an inheritance money-wise, but Naruto didn't want to use that. So, he used money he took from defeated dark mages. He was also good at pickpocketing, so that was an option. Quat it's too crowded in here. Quat, Gaara grumbled. He looked like he was fighting from lashing out. Quat I'm leaving. Quat. Quat yeah, me too. Quat, Naruto nodded and began following his fellow Jinchuriki. Quat w what about your names? My daughter Levi wants to be a mage, and she'll want to know about the mages that saved me. Quat. The duo paused. Quat Gaara. Quat. Quat Naruto. Quat. With that, the two Jinchuriki left the diner. The memory of them stayed, though. People continued to whisper about the two bows that fought so proficiently. None of them had seen anything like it. They had to tell people what happened. And just like that, the whispers became rumors. The rumors would grow as myths. Then, much later down the road, the myths would turn into legends. Quat so, I would suggest going to a guild that already has a Jinchuriki. That way, the other numbers can help you adjust. Quat, Naruto mentioned once they returned to the room they rented. The curtains were now drawn so that light could pour into the simple room with 2 beds. What that would be Lamia Scale, Blue Pegasus, or Fairy Tale. But the master of Fairy Tale might be suspicious of you considering our conversation not too long ago. And from the stories I heard, Blue Pegasus would drive you nuts. So, I suggest Lamia Scale. Quat. What I don't want to join a guild. Quat, Gaara noted as he sat on his bed. What oh quat, Naruto raised an eyebrow as he sat across from the other Jinchuriki. Quat but it would be the best way for you to lay low and blend in. Quat. What I don't care about that. Quat, Gaara grunted. What alright, but I don't think you should go back to the desert. It would be too easy for you to fall back into killing people if you're alone. Quat, Naruto mentioned. Quat and I can't let you do that. Quat. What then you'll have to be around to stop me. Quat. What ha quat. What you showed me something. My way of proving my existence was wrong. I can never understand love and true purpose if I keep slaughtering people. Quat, Gaara clenched his fists. Quat I want more. I want what you have. I want dreams and a drive to better myself. So, I want to follow you. Quat. Quat follow me. Quat, Naruto raised an eyebrow. Quat I hate to break it to you, Gaara, but I'm not the best example in the world. I may not delight in killing people, but I can do it with ease and no regrets. Quat. Quat that's fine. I can change into cherishing all human life. That's just not what a Jinchuriki is. Quat, Gaara explained. Quat but I do want to cherish some things. Some people. You had your mother. She mattered to you. I want to matter to people and have people matter to me. You showed this to me, but I have a lot more to learn. A lot more to grow. Quat. Quat I'm not going to be your mom or anything. Quat. Quat I know. I don't think I could ever have a mother's love. Quat. It was after that sentence that Naruto's eyes snapped to the gourd of sand on Gaara's back. Quat but do think I can have the love of a friend and Nakama. Quat. Quat I see. Quat, Naruto slowly nodded. Quat I can't guarantee that I would be a good friend. I have my own missions that I put above people. I will kill everything related to Zeref and I will always fight to be completely free. Quat. Quat and that is why I need to follow you. Quat, Gaara mentioned. Quat I want dreams of my own. I want someone I can rely on, someone like me. Please, allow me to assist you in your dreams so that I can find some dreams of my own. Quat. Quat well, we did work well together earlier. Quat, Naruto nodded slowly. Quat I could use some help getting stronger. Always need a sparring partner for that. Plus, Zeref and his creations are very strong, I could always use backup. Quat. Plus, being alone was tiresome at times. Naruto was used to being around April all the time. After her death, the blonde was often unable to sleep because of the solitude he felt. It was like he was back in Konoha, and Naruto hated that thought. Still, could he trust Gaara? Sure, he gave the redhead his gourd back, but Naruto just wanted the other Jinchuriki to have a way to protect himself during the fight. But Gaara did help him earlier. What fine. We can travel together for now. After all, someone needs to make sure you don't draw too much attention to the Jinchuriki. Quat. What right not drawing too much attention. That's what we're going to do. Quat. It wasn't a great start. It wasn't even a good start. Nevertheless, it was the beginning for those two. These were two people that had nothing to begin with. They had nothing but the demon sealed inside of them. No love. No mercy. No family or friends. Until now, that is. Because that was the beginning of the strongest team and strongest friendship in Earthland. Quat so basically, we're going to go around the country beating up dark mages but not killing them. Quat, Gaara sighed as he followed Naruto down a dirt path. Quat I need to hone my skills with my magic and that's one of the best way to do so. Quat, Naruto shrugged. Quat just sparring against you would make me stagnant. As for the no killing thing, it's not illegal for us to beat the shit out of these guys, but it sure as hell is to kill them. Quat. Quat I see. Quat. Quat besides, I think it would be for the best if we have a good reputation. Quat, Naruto mentioned. Quat seeing as what we're going to do and that we're independent mages, there will be rumors about us. If they're good rumors, though, and we have a positive light around us, the Magic Council will be more reluctant to work against us. Quat. Quat you think this Magic Council will try to fight against us? Quat, Gaara questioned. Because of his isolation, he knew very little about the workings of this world's government. Quat they are insecure people. They lord over people with their power and status with a few exceptions, of course. Quat, Naruto shrugged. Quat we need them to be, at the minimum, neutral to us. Quat. Quat but dealing with the dark mages is their job, right? Quat, Gaara guessed. Quat doesn't that mean we'll make them look bad? Quat. Quat thus, we need good public opinion so they won't work against us. Quat, Naruto noted. Quat especially if they found out my other reasons for attacking dark guilds. It's not like I can ask around the Light Guild, civilians, and Magic Council about people connected to Zeref and the other Jinchuriki. Quat. Quat there are still 4 of the other numbers left. Quat, Gaara remembered what Naruto told him earlier. Quat some of them could cause far more damage than I ever could. Quat. What exactly? They are my responsibility, so I have to stop them from getting too out of hand. Quat. Naruto nodded. Quat, but I have no clue where any of them are. I heard rumors that a giant turtle guy left the country, a steaming bull is part of a dark guild, and a young boy who controls bubbles and acid were spotted at the Tower of Heaven a while ago, but I don't know a whole lot more than that. They haven't been on the radar for a while, so I'm going to need to interrogate people from the underground to find out what I want to know. Quat. Quat, alright. Quat. Gaara looked up to see that they were close to their destination. It was a broken down guild hall with a banner of a black rock with metal piercings sticking out of it. Both teams stopped and looked up to the large broken down building. Quat, as we're moving, we're going to work on making you stronger as well. Quat, Naruto said after a moment of silence. Quat, your weaknesses are close hand combat and your lack of a positive relationship with your bitch. Also, you should try to learn some form of magic as backup. If we fix those problems while working on your sand powers, then we'll be an unstoppable team. Quat. Quat, unstoppable, huh? Quat, Gaara nodded slowly. Quat, that does have a nice ring to it. But that training will have to wait. Right now, let's deal with these fools and then focus on training. Quat. Quat agreed. Quat, Naruto walked over to the entrance of the guild hall. Quat, you ready? Quat. Quat, I'm always ready. Quat, Gaara yawned. Quat, but I don't think you should ask me about this guild. I only feel a little bit of power from it and it's demonic in nature, so I'm assuming it's the book. Those guys in there shouldn't be a challenge at all. Quat. Quat, yeah. Quat, Naruto raised a foot and kicked the door down. The sight of the entrance being destroyed caused all the mages in the guild to look towards the blonde. Quat, hello, my name is Naruto Uzumaki and this is my comrade Gaara of the desert. We're here to give you two choices. 1. You hand over Zeref's book so I can destroy it. 2. You don't hand it over and we kick your asses and take the book. Quat. What the hell is this? Quat. What is this, a joke? A couple of brats are threatening us. Quat. Quat, make the dumbasses fix the door, then kill them. Quat. Naruto hummed. Quat, so, you're choosing the second option. That's good. I wanted to fight. Quat. Black wind rushed around the blonde's arms as he sprinted forward. As he did this, sand flowed all around him. The black wind and golden sand blasted across the guild hall in waves. The dark mages tried to put up a fight, but they quickly overwhelmed by the combined forces of Tujinch Kriki. Within minutes, the punk rock guild was defeated. They never even stood a chance. As this was happening, Gaara stood back and watched as his sand and Naruto destroyed the guild. He made sure not to kill anyone, just like Naruto said, even if he really wanted to. The redhead would have to work on that if he wanted to stay by Naruto. Killing was no longer the way to prove his existence. Gaara would have to find a new way to do that, but he wouldn't have to look that far. Because right here and now, Gaara felt happier than he had ever been. Fighting beside Naruto, his friend, was the most satisfying thing Gaara had ever felt. So, he knew he wouldn't have to prove his existence ever again, because fighting beside Naruto, a man that Gaara would later think of as a brother, proved to Gaara that he was more human than he ever knew. As the fight, more like a beating really, came to a close, Gaara allowed a small smile to cover his face. The future actually looked bright for once. So I guess I will stop here, so I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and share with your friends. Yes, also don't forget to smash that subscribe button and comment section 1 heart. Thanks for watching.